to join a few classmates in another classroom to take the exam. Within 2.5 hours, he completed all the questions, including the essay, in just an hour and a half, filling the pages with neat handwriting and few errors. Previously, he had a penchant for crossing out mistakes, resulting in a messy appearance that had drawn reprimands from his middle school teachers. But now he faced none of those troubles, even avoiding diagonal lines. As the other students continued to write furiously, Shen Yin began to ponder how to endure the remaining hour. Once the class ended, a throng of students filled the staircase, and in his current position, Shen Yin found it difficult to secure a warm meal. However, Chen Long could navigate through unconventional paths. Upon arriving at the cafeteria, he spotted Xia Yanchun and Li Shiyan in the adjacent line. The two girls glanced his way but pretended not to notice, continuing their chatter. Shen Yin recalled that their classroom was on the first floor, likely making this rare proximity to the cafeteria a reason for their agreement to dine together after class. With the chill in the air, the late arrivals secured the most advantageous spots, while those arriving earlier were relegated to the less favorable upper floors. It was perplexing how someone from a higher floor found himself queuing alongside two from a lower one. The two girls ordered a meat dish and a vegetable, patiently waiting for Shen Yin to finish his meal selection. If they hadn't waited, he would have sought them out soon enough, as he typically dined with them. And eating alone felt rather odd. After consuming so much, you still claim not to be a glutton? Xia Yanchun remarked, watching him choose 3 meat dishes. With no vegetables in sight, his bowl overflowing, enough to sustain her for an entire day. I have a high metabolism. I barely slept last night, and ran over 10 kilometers today. Shen Yin grinned, though the reason for his restless night was something he chose to keep to himself. Xia Yanchun glared at him in annoyance. Who even wants to know? Li Shiyan, bewildered, wondered why they were already bickering upon their first meeting. 3 individuals found an empty table. Li Shiyan, overhearing their light banter, discovered that Shen Yin exercised every morning, his eyes sparkling with vitality. To think he managed to work out daily, how impressive. As for me, I wish to exercise too, but I can never rise early, hee. Yet, when it comes to flying, I can certainly awaken. Suddenly, the once cheerful Li Shiyan ceased her laughter, burying her little face in her meal. Shen Yin was indeed too extraordinary for her. She was merely an ordinary girl, unable to cope with such intensity. It was better to let Gimi handle it. For he had known Shen Yin for quite some time, and surely possessed his own methods. Xia Yanchun observed Shen Yin as he devoured his meal with the spoon provided by the school. He scooped up generous portions of rice and meat, swallowing one large mouthful after another. Just watching him was enough to make Xia Yanchun feel faint, prompting her to intervene. Aren't you afraid of choking? Could you not exhibit a semblance of maturity? I'm simply hungry, Shen Yin retorted, dismissing her concern, pondering the source of such a nagging presence at the dining table. Is it necessary to eat so quickly? Thanking her for her well-meaning admonition, he resolved to eat with more decorum. Thus, he took a large spoonful, slowly placing it in his mouth, chewing and swallowing at a leisurely pace. Ah well, should I choke, it would be just as well. Remember to tell your uncle and aunt that you enjoy Orlin's roasted chicken. He could never forget his fondness for Orlin's roasted chicken. After finishing his meal, Shen Yin beckoned Xia Yanchun to join him for a drink, eager to showcase his prowess. Xia Yanchun, feeling somewhat cornered, sighed and accepted this as a form of compensation for the offense caused by her previous question, dutifully paying for the drinks. Eureka, I've won, Shen Yin exclaimed, having purchased energy drinks that were priced at 6 yuan 50 per bottle in the school's shop. Upon opening the cap, he discovered he had won a prize, prompting him to redeem another bottle, requesting Xia Yanchun to twist it open. Could it be another win? He chuckled. After redeeming a third bottle, he was unfortunately met with disappointment, yet Shen Yin felt content regardless. Perhaps luck was on his side. After all, winning consecutive prizes wasn't unheard of. Before the system, he had experienced similar streaks. With the cost of 1 bottle, he had procured 3 drinks, igniting a small thrill within Xia Yanchun, who relished such bargains. Initially, she had no intention of consuming so many beverages, yet now she felt compelled to drink, having surrendered the caps to the shopkeeper. She took a cautious sip to avoid spilling while walking. Aren't you worried about being unable to sleep later? These energy drinks combat fatigue, Shen Yin remarked, surprised. If I can't sleep, it's of little concern. I'll bring them for the exam to stay awake. Besides, I slept well yesterday. So 2 hours shouldn't be too taxing, Xia Yanchun replied. Are you teasing me about my sleep? You may rest comfortably, but I cannot. I woke up before 4 today. Why did you rise so early? Xia Yanchun immediately felt guilty. She sent Shen Yin a message just before midnight. And if he were truthful, it meant he had only slept a maximum of 4 hours since yesterday. With the midterm exams looming, guilt washed over her. Yet, it was not her fault that Shen Yin chose to wake early for exercise despite knowing he lacked sufficient sleep. She had merely sent her message and then retired for the night. This matter was certainly not hers to bear. Xia Yanchun observed his spirited demeanor and felt a twinge of suspicion. Did he truly rise at 4 to exercise? He lacks dark circles under his eyes. Really? In a moment, I'll discreetly show you on my phone. The fitness app has the records. If you dare deceive me, I shall make you pay dearly. Should you fail to overpower me, can I then retaliate and trigger a defeat CG? How outrageous. Oh, don't twist. Shen Yin was terrified, fearing that one day his waist would be wrung like a pretzel by Xia Yanchun. It turned out that previously, Chun Bao had merely pretended to pinch him, causing no real discomfort. Yet when she truly pinched, the pain was significant. Chun Bao was quite clever, knowing he hadn't fastened his clothing, deliberately slipping her hand beneath the hem to twist. In school, they were forbidden to embrace or touch, yet she hadn't considered this when pinching him, and Shen Yin had already become quite compliant. Xia Yanchun relished the moment, confident that Shen Yin would no longer retaliate. Shen Yin, who wished to indulge in the comforts of familiarity, had revealed his vulnerability. Should he dare to strike back, he would find himself deprived of such comforts. Xia Yanchun smirked with pride, feeling akin to the Buddha, while Shun Yin was but a foolish creature, unable to escape her grasp. She continued to assert her dominance over him. Chapter 146. To interlock fingers with her, a few boys and girls remained in the classroom, searching for partners to compare answers. Much like fledglings waiting to be fed, Xia Yanchun assumed the role of the mother bird, distributing test papers for them to match answers, each time reminding them of her own imperfections with relentless patience. This is the nature of a top student. The second high school is renowned throughout the province, and most new policies from the Education Bureau are piloted here, strictly monitored. There are no elite classes divided by grades, nor classes for advanced mathematics, resulting in a wide disparity in student abilities. Among them, there are brilliant scholars like Xia Yanchun and those like Huang Chun, who have resigned themselves to mediocrity. However, due to the high entrance standards, even the average students in the class do not perform poorly. A middle-range student from a less prestigious school might still shine brightly. The average scores in Class 11 are exceptionally high, so much so that it would not be an exaggeration to call it the strongest class in the second high school. Shin Yin's previous score of 550 was hardly impressive in this context. Many students scoring similarly enjoyed comparing answers post-exams, even knowing it bore little significance. Yet they could not resist the urge. Shin Yin seldom engaged in such activities. He had previously lacked motivation, but now he felt overconfident. Did no one find it frightening that I, merely seated here, exude such strength? Shin Yin rubbed his nose, contemplating a change to a white plastic chair. As the bell approached, students began to leave the classroom one by one until only Shin Yin and Xia Yanchun remained. With everyone gone, quickly show me your phone. Xia Yanchun stood up, dusting off her pants, crossing her arms as she gazed at Shun Yin expectantly. Are you truly going to show me? Humph. You wouldn't be deceiving me, would you? Of course not. I shall show you. Shin Yin wiped away the non-existent sweat from his forehead, cautiously retrieving his phone. Glancing at Xia Yanchun. Are you really going to look? You sly one. You are indeed a deceiver. I'm not lying. Just take a look. As the phone powered on, he discreetly peered at it from his backpack, and Xia Yanchun crept around, curiously extending her head to catch a glimpse. The software contains Shun Yin's exercise records. The last session began at around 4 in the morning. The activity lasted a total of 2 hours, truly from 4 to 6. Xia Yanchun cast a sidelong glance at Shun Yin, asking, who were you trying to impress with that guilty expression earlier? For you to see, he replied. Impressive indeed. But you should hurry and get some sleep. It's imperative you take this nap, or you'll be utterly exhausted this afternoon. Without waiting for Shin Yin to respond, Xia Yanchun poked his shoulder with her finger, insisting, you absolutely must sleep. No more drinks for you. Once you're awake, you can have something to rejuvenate yourself. But drinking now will make it hard for you to rest. I'm not tired. 3 or 4 hours is ample, he countered. Those who succumb to exhaustion often think the same way. Just sleep, she retorted. Shin Yin felt a bit embarrassed, wondering why he felt like a child being supervised by his mother. It was as if they were playing house, and he was cast as the son again. If I must sleep, then you should too. I can wake up on time. I'll call you when it's time. If I feel tired, I'll sleep. Xia Yanchun replied casually, not at all fatigued, especially after having consumed quite a few energy drinks. She had no intention of napping at noon. As Shin Yin rummaged through his drawer for a few books to stack as a pillow, Xia Yanchun returned with her pink little pillow and playfully tossed it onto his head. You can borrow this. Wow, how generous. I'm moved to tears. If you drool, just wait for me to retaliate, she teased. Giving Shun Yin the small pillow seemed to balance everything out. The fact that Shin Yin had a restless night had nothing to do with her. He couldn't pin that on her. She merely sent him a playful picture. And it was his own wandering thoughts that kept him awake at 4 instead of letting him sleep peacefully. As Shin Yin settled onto the small pillow, he realized just how comfortable it was. Even though it hadn't been washed since the start of the school year, it remained clean. Having been in close contact with a girl every day, exuding a delightful fragrance. Now that he had the original pillow scent, what else could be far behind? Shin Yin was utterly enamored. Just don't rub your oily face on my pillow. I didn't even sweat. It's perfectly clean. Even so, don't rub. I find that distasteful. Shin Yin adjusted the pillow and quietly lay down, patting the empty space beside him. Sit and chat with me. What more is there to discuss when we talk every day? She replied, yet still grabbed a book and sat down, using it as a cushion. If there is nothing to talk about, just stay with me until I fall asleep. Then you'd better hurry. How can I control that? Why don't you tell me a story? Are you still a child? Should I scold you with some foul language instead? You're really dull, she scoffed. The classroom was quite tranquil. The window, which had been closed, was inexplicably opened by someone during the exam, making the atmosphere a bit chilly. Sitting in Shin Yin's spot, Xia Yanchun liked to tuck her hands into her sleeves, puffing them out to blow warm air into the fabric. Only Shun Yin knew that this was a habit she had developed from her previous non-mainstream days. Over time, it had become second nature to her, and doing so in winter made her hands warm. Xia Yanchun's hair was fluffy, and her attire was quite ordinary. Yet even the most common gestures from her non-mainstream phase seemed endearing when she performed them, adding to her sweet charm, undeniably sweet to the extreme. It's so cold. Xia Yanchun, lost in her thoughts, slightly ajar the window to let in a breath of fresh air, then proceeded to close both the front and back doors, ensuring that no breeze would intrude. She wondered when Shin Yin would finally succumb to slumber, and thus remained by his side, occasionally picking at her nails or rummaging through his drawers. Ultimately, she brazenly delved into his backpack and pilfered an alpine lollipop. Was this not theft? When I indulged in my peanuts, was it not theft then? So what? You truly are invincible, Shin Yin. Shin Yin flashed a grin. Freeing one hand to tuck away her hair behind her ears, revealing her exquisitely delicate features. He balanced 2 fingers on the table, transforming them into legs, and playfully declared, "Let me show you something amusing." Xia Yanchun, with the lollipop in her mouth, watched as his 2 legs ambled toward her, then playfully hooked her fingers, slowly pulling back as if claiming a prize, unable to suppress an eye roll. She had anticipated this trivial trick. How could he mistake her indulgence for his charm? Was this entertaining? Indeed. With a cheerful demeanor, Shen Yin took her allowance as his own talent, playfully poking her fingertip with his, stealing glances at her as she began to avert her gaze. After a moment's hesitation, he gently slipped his fingertip between hers, slowly intertwining their fingers, wishing to connect them fully. When he looked up again, Xia Yanchun's almond-shaped eyes had already settled on him. Shen Yin blinked, tightening his grip slightly. Their palms pressed so closely that not even a whisper of air could pass between them, her fingers spreading slightly in response to his hold. Xia Yanchun lifted her gaze. She was all too familiar with Shen Yin's hand, the very hand that had once plucked flowers for her. Yet, at this moment, the warmth emanating from his touch was unfamiliar and overwhelming, sending shivers through her ears. Even the air felt heated. Shen Yin maintained his playful grin, and Xia Yanchun parted her lips, uncertain of what to say. Shen Yin's flirtatious gestures had become second nature to her, and she found herself unwilling to resist or correct him, even though she understood that this path could lead to an outcome where she would be completely consumed by him. She repeatedly deceived herself, allowing him this once more, indulging herself one final time before withdrawing. Xia Yanchun felt herself to be the true instigator. If she truly wished for distance, Shen Yin would not dare to touch her. "Shen Yin, take on another burden," she murmured softly, attempting to retract her hand. But his grip was firm. She had no choice but to extend her other hand, painstakingly prying apart his fingers one by one. Shen Yin gazed at her, a hint of disdain on her face, though her ears were tinged with pink, and even her steady breath began to quicken. "Truly impressive, my friend. This shy, disdainful demeanor of yours reveals genuine affection. Chunner, you are simply adorable. Now, do rest well. Further antics may lead to consequences." Xia Yanchun managed to pry his fingers apart, swiftly retracting her hand into her sleeve, her expression transforming into one of fierce determination as she jabbed at his face. "If the cameras catch us like this at school, we're doomed." Shen Yin, covering his face, replied with a naive grin, "The cameras rarely function, only during exams." Before he could finish his sentence, his expression froze. "Oh no. The midterm exams are happening these days. How dare the school interfere with my flirtations?" He mused about transferring to another school to show the geniuses of the second school a thing or two, contemplating their reactions. His words struck a chord with Xia Yanchun, who began to feel a pang of panic, envisioning the despair of being caught holding hands with a boy in class and subsequently dragged to the podium for public reprimand. However, her sharp mind quickly dispelled the fear. During exam periods, no major issues arise, and who would bother checking the cameras? Even if there were supervising officials, they would have retired for the day and wouldn't be monitoring the footage. If they were caught, she could easily claim it was Shen Yin who had initiated the awkward encounter, asserting that she had no intention of holding his hand. In reality, it was Shen Yin who had taken the lead, and she had resisted almost immediately after realizing what was happening. "Apologies, dear supervisor, my reflexes are a tad delayed. You should be reprimanding Shen Yin for his amorous advances. In moments of crisis, adversaries often unite, and should their antics be recorded, she would accept the consequences." Knowing that similar cases of boys taking liberties when girls were unaware were quite common. 666, are you game? She thought, dismissing the situation as if she had merely been led by a dog. "I too, have been led by a dog," she mused. "Do you admit this is your hand?" Xia Yanchun tucked her hands into her sleeves, gazing out the window in silence. The cold-toned world outside tinged her delicate strands of hair with silver. As she stared at the distant, overcast sky, her eyelashes casting gentle shadows beneath her eyes. Only her earlobes, still warm, offered a hint of warmth in the chilly atmosphere. Shen Yin chose not to continue their playful banter. Matters of ambiguity are best left unspoken. With Xia Yanchun as his makeshift pillow, he soon drifted off to sleep, only to be roused by the afternoon bell ringing. Beside him, the space felt cold, and Xia Yanchun had somehow returned to her seat. Having not slept all afternoon, Shen Yin noticed she appeared a bit drowsy. Peering over, he saw her poring over chemistry exam materials. "Return my pillow once you're awake," she said, her tone indifferent. "All right, I will," he replied. "Of course, after a boy uses it, it becomes unclean." "That's not true. I didn't drool." "Smell it again," he retorted. "It's still not clean." "I'll wash it over the weekend," she declared. Shen Yin pouted, feeling as though she was scolding him. He requested 2 wet wipes from Xia Yanchun, then made his way to the restroom, washing his face and feeling refreshed. He headed to the examination room, where he unexpectedly encountered Chun Xiuyu on the stairs. "Shen Yin, which class are you in?" Chun Xiuyu inquired curiously. "19th class," he replied with a smile. "Xiuyuan and I are in the 18th class. That sounds quite close." "That's great." Shen Yin responded cheerfully. "Upon completing the examination, I shall treat you to a meal." "Oh, what a delightful prospect. A simple meal is hardly a burden." And Chun Xiuyu feels quite grateful to Shen Yin. He has shown her considerable kindness, having rescued her from the abyss of failing grades on 3 occasions throughout her second and third years of high school. Indeed, his assistance in mathematics has been more valuable than ascending a 7-tier pagoda, a true noble among peers, deserving of honor. "Let us strive for a 3-digit score. Then I shall treat you to a feast." Shen Yin flashed a thumbs up, embodying the exuberance of youth. "Should you achieve that 3-digit score, I shall reward you with 2 splendid fish." "Oh, that is unnecessary. Simply treat me to a meal." It is rare to encounter a gentleman who directly invites a lady to dine. Well, you have encountered one today. Now, make sure to achieve a high score. With a playful huff, Chen Qiyu hurried off to her examination room. She perceived Shen Yan as nearly invincible. His modeling skills and high score suggest that even without diligent effort, he might easily attract a wealthy partner, as gossip often circulates about young men and affluent women. Moreover, it is conceivable that it is not merely a wealthy woman choosing him, but rather he selecting a wealthy woman. Given that Shen Yan has recently grown closer to the class monitor, Chen Qiyu contemplated whether she ought to maintain some distance from him. However, their interactions had not crossed any boundaries. They merely conversed, occasionally seeking his guidance in mathematics, and perhaps chatting while fishing together. Nothing more, entirely normal. Before examinations, it is easy to let one's thoughts wander, and such musings can be uncontrollable. It was only upon receiving the test papers that Chen Qiyu managed to redirect her wildly errant thoughts, immersing herself in the examination. For Shen Yan, the 2.5-hour mathematics exam was a gentle endeavor, with only the final problem posing any real challenge. Even then, he was not entirely certain he could secure full points for it. Nevertheless, achieving a total score exceeding 135 remained well within his grasp. After school, Shen Yan awaited Chen Qiyu at the stairwell, contemplating the prospect of joining her for a meal alongside Chuan Bao and the charming young girl. Chen Qiyu soon emerged, her eyes sparkling with joy and her demeanor bright. Do you possess confidence in achieving a 3-digit score? Shen Yan, recognizing Chen Qiyu as the cherished daughter of the fishing uncle, offered his good-natured inquiry. I believe so. I completed the basic problems with time to spare for the advanced ones. I even made some progress on the major question regarding conic sections, Chen Qiyu declared, her chest held high, clearly buoyed by her own confidence. That is quite commendable. Will you be able to earn points? Alas, I spent 20 minutes merely proving the given conditions. What a harrowing experience. Goodness, you surpass me. How did you manage that? Chen Qiyu felt a touch of exasperation at his teasing. I assure you, I am not jesting. How did you accomplish it? Shen Yan genuinely believed Chen Qiyu possessed remarkable talent. Proving the given conditions in 20 minutes was no small feat, and he doubted he could have done the same. In a sense, Chen Qiyu had surpassed her mentor. It might be time for her to embark on her own journey. If he were to attempt such a task, he would likely find his thoughts muddled before even completing it. Today, I have some matters to attend to. I shall post as usual tomorrow. Chapter 148. You are not to my liking. The examination stretched over 2 days, and upon completing the comprehensive science test on Wednesday afternoon, the midterm assessments reached a temporary conclusion. Soon, there will be a parent-teacher meeting and the first mock examination for the college entrance exam. The mock exam is of utmost importance, as it significantly influences the scores for the actual examination. Shen Yan has heard several teachers mention that the score from the first mock exam typically adds about 30 points to the final score. Although one teacher suggested that this may not be entirely accurate, the consensus among so many educators certainly warrants consideration. With the midterm exams concluded, the next event on the agenda is the parent-teacher meeting, scheduled for this Saturday. This timing allows parents to attend without conflicting with their weekend commitments, showcasing a rare instance of the school's humane approach. One might even consider it akin to granting a half-day off, having just completed the tests. The atmosphere in the classroom is lively. Xia Yanchun casually reminded everyone to maintain a semblance of quiet, but soon relinquished her oversight. It was only when Su Kashi appeared in the corridor that the classroom gradually quieted down. Su Kashi convened a brief meeting to assign 2 boys and 2 girls the task of guiding the parents of their class to their seats at the entrance. The classroom erupted into a cacophony of voices. Teacher, I'll do it. Lin Shiyuan, naturally vivacious, eagerly volunteered. Teacher, me too. Huang Chen quickly raised his hand in response. All right, Lin Shiyuan, you're in. Huang Chen, I have another task for you. Please take the class funds and buy 2 cases of water from the store to distribute 1 bottle per table. Don't do this. Teacher, it's decided. It seems less than ideal to assign someone who rarely studies and is often a distraction in class to welcome parents. It is not a matter of underestimating Huang Chen. Rather, Su Kashi is simply being prudent. There is always the chance a parent might inquire about Huang Chen's academic performance, and he would awkwardly have to admit to scoring only 300 points, leading to an uncomfortable situation for both parties. As a teacher, she could hardly voice her concerns. She could only wish for Huang Chen to perform well in his physical examination, perhaps even securing a place in a modest second-tier university. So, who would be the best choice for this welcoming duty? Surely, it would be someone studious, with a commendable attitude, tall and handsome. Su Kashi glanced at Shen Yan, only to have him immediately shake his head. She hadn't even posed the question yet. The dark horse has his own matters to attend to. Just then, 2 students raised their hands, and Su Kashi seized the opportunity to make her selections. Shen Yan was not particularly invested in the welcoming task, and turned to observe Xia Yanchun, who was intently reviewing her answers. Who is coming from your family? My mother. As she has just changed classes. Wonderful. Tell your mother that you're craving durian, and ask her to bring 2 over. Isn't that you who wants it? Xia Yanchun retorted, a subtle twitch at the corner of her mouth. Who is coming from your side? I'm not sure. I'll need to call to find out. Should I ask my family to bring you an Orleans roasted chicken? No need. I'll buy something if I feel like it. As the class monitor, Xia Yanchun was called aside by Su Kashi after the brief meeting to discuss her responsibilities. Upon returning, she was seen holding 2 bottles of Wangzai milk. It appeared that Yin Yuzhu was also in the office, likely having insisted on giving them, as the main teacher was recruiting followers once more. Unfortunately, there were only 2 bottles, and Xia Yanchun preferred not to let Shen Yin consume sugary drinks daily, opting instead to share with Li Shiyan. Wow. Li Shiyan's eyes sparkled with excitement. Here, take it. Your sister Chuan got it from the teacher. Why do you both come back from the office with Wangzai? Clearly, the teacher finds us quite agreeable. Shen Yin interjected, gesturing towards Li Shiyan. If you head to the office, the teacher will surely scold you. I haven't done anything wrong. So why would the teacher scold me? Li Shiyan immediately shrank back, her petite frame seemingly ready to disappear into her clothes. You simply don't please my eyes. Shen Yan replied with a nod. He relished the sight of the little girl looking both indignant and helpless. Each glimpse of her expression added 5 seconds to his life. For it was undeniably amusing. How adorable, Xia Yanchun remarked, nearly at a loss for words. She was exasperated by Shen Yan's relentless teasing, fearing he might pluck all the feathers from the little girl. Observing Li Shiyan's sulky demeanor, she quickly ushered her outside to enjoy the breeze in the corridor. After the examination, during the evening study session, teachers would project the correct answers or write them on the blackboard for students to compare. Amidst the ensuing clamor, a portion of the students began to scrutinize their answer sheets. Shen Yan compared his answers to the multiple-choice questions. Regardless of the subject, his accuracy was commendable. His score in English would not fall below 135. Huh, is this the world of an English ace? He chuckled, reminiscing about how a certain class representative once looked down upon him for achieving such scores. The score was not merely a fabrication. It was bolstered by a systematic approach, as well as his own diligence. He was unperturbed by others' skepticism, unlike his fishing skills, which were purely reliant on the fish biting the bait. If anyone were to inquire about his fishing expertise, he would likely falter. However, fishermen rarely sought his advice. They were more inclined to question whether the waters held fish, whether the bait was suitable, or if the fishing spots had been properly prepared. Did you get the right answers? Ma Mingfan glanced back at Shen Yan, extending his hand. He had inadvertently dozed off during math class and wanted to take a look at Shen Yan's answers. Hey, don't spread this around. What the heck? You got every answer right on your multiple choice? It's basic skills. Ever since I stopped playing Naruto, I feel my future is bright. You should give it a try too. Shen Yan replied with a goofy smile. Ma Mingfan examined Shen Yan's answer sheet, noting there was not a single mark of correction, which frightened him. Damn it. I'm uninstalling Naruto and focusing on my studies. How could I even think like that? Don't underestimate my will of fire. Ma Mingfan pondered for half a second, almost being overwhelmed by thoughts of his favorite characters. As school ended, shadows flickered beneath the streetlights, with groups of students walking together. Someone, in an unusual bout of exuberance, shouted, causing 2 previously joined figures to swiftly separate. Shen Yan stroked his chin, observing the young couples at school. Outside weekends, this was the only time they could hold hands and stroll under the cloak of night. He scoffed at such displays of affection, as he himself had already held hands during the day, even while staying out, free from the fear of barking dogs or sudden appearances of authority figures. The night air had turned a bit chilly, and Shen Yan pulled Xia Yanchun's small hand from his pocket, placing it into the warmth of his larger coat pocket. Let me warm you up. Even though her hand was squeezed and kneaded within his pocket, Xia Yanchun was not particularly inclined to respond to him. She merely made a sound of acknowledgement, allowing him to indulge in his whims, as the distance from the school gate to the parking lot was merely a few meters. He was so engrossed in his antics, she figured it would be fine to let him have his way. Upon reaching the parking shed, Shen Yan, displaying the demeanor of a cad, casually withdrew her hand from his pocket and tossed it aside, feigning ignorance as he lifted his hand. Cuckoo pushed the small electric vehicle out. Can you guess my rank in the recent exam? Their essay prize for the correct guess. Shen Yan produced 2 helmets, placing one directly atop Xia Yanchun's head with a smile. Well, you're certainly not first. You ranked around 10th in the last monthly exam. This time, perhaps 5th or 6th at best. I can't be sure. Just hope I don't surpass you by accident. My efforts are genuine, you know. Xia Yanchun remained unfazed, as if showing off was a trivial task. Once on the vehicle, she instinctively rested her hand on Shen Yan's shoulder. However, as the ride commenced, the wind chilled her hand. Meanwhile, Shen Yan's hands were exposed to the elements. Xia Yanchun huffed, and her small hands stealthily slipped into the warmth of Shen Yan's jacket pocket. The boy's pockets were notably spacious, seemingly capable of accommodating many hands, and they exuded an inviting warmth. Whether due to the design of the clothing or Shen Yan's own body heat, she could not tell. In any case, it felt wonderfully warm. Shen Yan straightened his back, his hand also retreating into the pocket. Hey, don't drive with one hand. The warmth suddenly enveloped her, and Xia Yanchun frowned, murmuring softly. That's quite dangerous. It's fine. Shen Yan exhaled a breath of warmth, the cold front still lingering, as vapor formed momentarily before dissipating into the air. His hands, too, felt the chill from driving, causing Xia Yanchun to shiver slightly. If you crash, it'll be disastrous. On a straight road, it's unlikely to happen. My hands are cold. Warm them for me. Oh, get lost. Xia Yanchun withdrew her hands, retreating them back into her sleeves, hesitant to let him touch her again. Shen Yan could take a fall without issue, but if she fell, it would be dreadful. After all, a beautiful girl falling could leave unsightly scars. The security guard at the residential gate, still smoking, noticed the 2 children returning in their vehicle but did not extinguish his cigarette. Instead, he stretched his hand holding the cigarette towards the security booth, donning a smile as they passed before resuming his smoke. After parking, Shen Yan could not resist blowing warmth into his palms, rubbing them vigorously. This wind is truly freezing. What are you trying to do? Cough cough. Shen Yan suddenly grinned mischievously. Xia Yanchun immediately sensed trouble. Just as she realized his intent, the back of his hand had already landed on her face, pressing inwards, causing her lips to pucker comically. Shen Yan's hand was icy. This was clearly intentional. Shen Yan. Haha. Shen Yan dashed away, only to be met with a firm kick to his backside from the pursuing Xia Yanchun at the elevator entrance. Another chapter will be posted later. Chapter 149. A glimpse of Foot digging upon returning home. Shen Yan immediately indulged in a hot shower, reveling in the warmth. Although Shun Yu's door was closed, the light beneath it was on. Shen Yan knocked gently. Sister, are you attending the parent-teacher meeting this Saturday? No, I want tea. I'm coming in. Without waiting for a response, Shen Yan opened the door, meeting Shen Yu, who was secretly enjoying spicy skewers. The room was warm with the air conditioning, yet slightly stifling, and the mingling aroma of the spicy food with the already fragrant room made Shen Yan hesitate to enter. The leader has instructed our department to prepare for overtime, as there may be unexpected work this weekend. As for the parent-teacher meeting, you should invite your parents. Don't even think they won't come. I will inform them shortly that you have a meeting this week. If they come, so be it. I'm not worried. Shen Yan scoffed, truly believing that anyone could speak to him in such a manner. He estimated his score, which would be no less than 650. A score of that caliber certainly holds a respectable rank. Who are you calling a buddy? Address me as sister. You act like a little hoodlum, completely unaware of whom you are emulating. Things were fine before. Could it be that you've been influenced by playing Three Kingdoms? Impossible. As dedicated players of the game, we excel. I'm off now. Get some rest, and tell me what you'd like for breakfast tomorrow. No need. It will be cold by the time I wake up. Just go to bed. On Friday, the cold front had passed, and by 5 o'clock, the sun and gentle breeze began to emerge. The temperature noticeably rose, reaching 20 degrees, rendering the need to bundle up like a dumpling unnecessary. Shen Yan found his autumn school uniform to be just right. In the park, the outdoor dancing continued, but he did not see the familiar elderly gentleman. As he scanned the park, he lamented the absence of anyone with whom he could engage in frivolous banter. Shen Yan felt a void within him. After practicing for only half an hour, he sat on the fitness bar, upholding the spirit of the elderly gentleman in the white robe. It must be said that the aunties and mothers participating in square dancing are the true connoisseurs of life. One can only wonder how they manage to rise so early each day to dance. Those high school students who manage to get up at this hour are undoubtedly the creme de la creme of the nation, destined to become remarkable individuals. Initially, he intended to quietly observe the square dancers, but he simply could not ignore the young lady in the wheelchair nearby. Earlier, while jogging, he had noticed her navigating the area in her chair, and now it seemed she wished to leave, but was unable to access the park's disabled ramp. Halfway up, she slowly retreated. Shen Yan, being kind-hearted, hopped down from the bar and took a couple of steps toward her to offer assistance. To his surprise, he witnessed the young lady rising from her wheelchair, limping as she lifted it to ascend, then awkwardly seated herself back in it. Wait, you can walk. Shen Yan chuckled lightly, deciding against further practice and turning back down the path. As he passed by the young woman in the wheelchair, he stole a glance. She was quite a lovely girl, with fair skin akin to Chun Bao, albeit a bit slimmer, wearing slippers. He wondered what she was doing in the park alone so early in the morning. Typically, one with such mobility challenges should have company, shouldn't they? Shen Yan didn't dwell on it too much, and as usual, he bought breakfast before heading home to shower and then off to school with Xia Yin-chun. Today was the day the results would be announced, and Shen Yan was quite eager. Who could understand the anticipation of waiting to see the fruits of a month's hard work? After all, midterms were formidable adversaries, and the release of results signified the advent of the next main quest. Anticipation filled the air as Xia Yin-chun donned her autumn school uniform, layering it with a thicker long-sleeve shirt and adjusting her collar. Without uttering a word, she exuded the aura of a well-behaved student. Shen Yan felt a surge of affection as he admired Chun Bao from head to toe. Have you had your fill of staring? He teased with a playful grin. With a resigned sigh, Xia Yanchun rummaged in her pocket and retrieved a bottle of pure milk. Stop grinning, here you go. When and where did you buy this? I forgot to drink it after purchasing it earlier. I only noticed it last night. Enjoy it. Having such a wonderful sister like me should make you secretly happy. What about all the breakfasts I bought for you all this time? That makes you a good little brother. So you think you can take advantage of every little thing? Huh. Shen Yan's unexpected remark made her frown. You keep emphasizing sister brother. Are you suggesting something inappropriate? Hey, Xia Yanchun was genuinely irritated and quickly interrupted him, not allowing him to continue with his odd comments. No more talk. Shen Yan couldn't help himself. That means you have a good childhood friend. Oh, come on. Saying that makes it awkward. I feel so embarrassed. Are you really embarrassed? Take off your shoe and show me your feet. No need to remove your socks. Get lost. I'll stuff your mouth with my socks. Chapter 150. Does he really have the ability to hypnotize while holding your hand? Since attending school with Xia Yanchun, Shen Yan had never been particularly composed. He often loved to cradle her hand in his own, occasionally running his fingers through her hair or playfully rubbing her ears. Unable to resist the urge, they soon arrived at school. Shen Yan parked the car and immediately followed Xia Yanchun's footsteps. Before he could reach for her again, his restless hand quickly retreated. What a coincidence. Chen Dong, carrying a backpack, was signing for leave at the school gate when he caught sight of Shen Yan and Xia Yanchun. What are you doing here? Shen Yan interrupted. Why are you asking for leave? I got a signature from the teacher last night. A relative has something to attend to, so I'm going back to accompany them. Chen Dong replied cheerfully. Seeing the two of them enter school together in the morning was nothing unusual. They had been commuting together for quite some time. It seemed he had just seen Shen Yan trying to hold the class monitor's hand, and he couldn't help but wonder if his suspicions were correct. Even if it were true, he wouldn't be surprised. He had long sensed a certain intimacy between Shen Yan and the class monitor. Xia Yanchun felt a bit shy and remained silent, passing through the school gate first and waiting inside for the two of them to finish their conversation before heading to the classroom with Shen Yan. Chen Dong is asking for leave again, claiming a relative has something going on, Shen Yan remarked to himself. I heard you. Ugh, I'm a bit thirsty. Let us go buy a bottle of cola at the convenience store. Drinking cola so early? Aren't you worried about getting sick from all that? If you want something cold, buy mineral water. Why are you so concerned about others? Shen Yan muttered softly. In the end, he opted for mineral water. All the beverages at the school's convenience store had increased in price, but the 2 yuan water remained the same, a rare act of conscience. Shen Yan rarely drank hot water. Even in winter, he preferred cool water, unlike Xia Yanxun, who often brewed a pot of hot water to sip throughout the morning. The hot water was typically managed by the girls in class, often leaving a wet patch on the floor. The 2 classes in the morning went smoothly. During the break, just as Shen Yan took a sip of water, Su Keshi appeared at the door, calling into the classroom, Xia Yanxun, Shen Yan, both of you come to the office. Shen Yan nearly spat the water all over Ma Mingfan. He was unafraid of the office, and neither was Xia Yanchun. Both were frequent visitors. However, the prospect of their combined presence was rather daunting. After all, on that fateful noon during midterm exams, they had brazenly held hands on the desk, oblivious to whether the camera was recording. Now, being summoned to the office together, Shen Yan felt a wave of dread wash over him. Who among the faculty was idle enough to review the surveillance footage, pressuring the homeroom teacher? Or perhaps their recent boldness had finally caught up with them. Regardless, Shen Yan found himself in a precarious situation. He glanced at Xia Yanchun and noticed her stiff demeanor, as if she had been petrified for quite some time. Xia Yanchun turned her head rigidly, meeting Shen Yan's gaze. They swallowed hard in silence, words escaping them. Why are you two still here? Ma Mingfan glanced back. Didn't the teacher call for you? Coughing nervously, Shen Yan was drenched in sweat, feeling utterly unwell. He slowly rose, making his way out of the classroom alongside Xia Yanchun. What could it be about? Xia Yanchun asked, her anxiety palpable as she clutched her clothes tightly. You're the class monitor. How would I know? Shen Yan retorted. This is all your fault. Her exasperated accusation lacked conviction, as she feared the reason for their summons was indeed the reckless antics they had indulged in during class. With the parent-teacher meeting looming the next day, the teacher might disclose their indiscretions to their parents, and the thought was suffocating. It's all your fault. She muttered again, this time more softly. Shen Yan shot her a look that seemed to say, am I the scapegoat in this legendary tale? Let us just say a buddy hypnotized you and made you raise your hand, and you stood there like a statue, shall we? If your friend truly had such hypnotic powers, would he also be holding your hand? Please, don't rush. You've read so many books. Yet you panic at the slightest trouble. Shen Yan took a deep breath, adding, you are the top student in the school. If you were caught for early romance, what could the school possibly do to you? Xia Yanchun, who had been feeling anxious and vulnerable, found herself momentarily speechless by Shen Yan's words. Her breathing quickened, and a hint of embarrassment colored her cheeks as her eyes widened. Who's in a romantic relationship with you? Please don't make such wild claims. All right. It's not a big deal. Shen Yan reassured her. As the 2 academic prodigies, their grades remained unaffected by their budding romance, and the school had no grounds to intervene. The corridor was bustling, and Xia Yanchun felt each step weighed heavily upon her. Upon arriving at the office door, she even forgot the customary greetings, her mind consumed by her interactions with Shen Yan. Regret washed over her. She shouldn't have indulged him so freely in the classroom. Had she been at home, such concerns would have been absent. Hello, teacher. Shen Yan greeted politely, glancing around at the assembly of brilliant minds in the room. Ah, you finally arrived. Come over here, Su Keshi beckoned. Once they approached, she handed them 2 blank sheets of paper, smiling as she said, you two, one an exemplary student and the other a dark horse, will represent the students at tomorrow's parent-teacher meeting. You'll need to present a short speech. Xia Yanchun, please articulate your methods and insights for maintaining academic performance. As for Shen Yan, detail the evolution of your mindset during this period, and feel free to include some reflections on your learning and a touch of positivity. Once completed, I would appreciate it if you could share your work with me this evening. Is that agreeable? Ah, so that is the matter at hand. I initially thought it was about catching early romance. Alas, one must not speak carelessly. My friend and Chunbao have only ever shared a flirtatious bond, devoid of any early romantic entanglements, merely a typical classmate relationship. While Shen Yan was not particularly anxious, he too felt a sense of relief alongside Xia Yanchun. Xia Yanchun couldn't help but pat her chest, her heart racing. She had even concocted a narrative where a sweet, innocent girl was coerced into a clasped hand situation by a wicked, twisted individual. Did you hear that? Su Keshi squinted, sensing tension between the two. What's this? You both seem rather anxious. Not at all. Teacher, it's just what you heard. Indeed, we both heard you, they replied, each expressing their own thoughts, which lightened the atmosphere considerably. Su Keshi did not dwell on it too much. She was no fool, easily discerning the students' subtle emotions. She chose to remain silent to avoid causing any discomfort. Good to hear. This is the midterm results sheet. Xia Yanchun, please take it back and project it for everyone to see. Once reviewed, post it on the back wall of the classroom. You may leave now. All right, no need to wait. Tonight, I'll take a short break. It's just a single update. Chapter 151. Could Shen Yan truly be a genius? Upon exiting the office, Shen Yan immediately squeezed his way over to Xia Yanchun. Let me have a look. Why the rush? Xia Yanchun scrutinized her freshly received midterm results. Unsurprisingly, she topped the class, achieving a score of 706 on the moderately challenging exam. Although her score was slightly lower than that of the monthly test, it was not detrimental. She maintained her position as the first in both the class and the entire school. To be candid, Xia Yanchun found it increasingly challenging to continue improving her already impressive performance. As long as she could stabilize her scores within this range, she would consider it a resounding success. Then, she momentarily lost focus, glancing at Shen Yan before returning her gaze to the results. In second place was Shen Yan, with a total of 688, ranking 8th in the school. Third was Li Shiyan, scoring 670 and ranking 47th. In 7th place was Chun Dong, with 648. while Chen Xiaoyu came in 12th with 626. Ma Mingfan ranked 21st with a total of 560. At the bottom was Huang Chun, though he had made a slight improvement, rising from 300 in the monthly test to 327, possibly having guessed a few multiple-choice questions correctly. Why can't I see my rank? Can you help me check? Shen Yan squinted. What are you pretending for? Scoring only 690 and acting all high and mighty, Xia Yanchun retorted, fully aware of his little antics. However, Shen Yan achieving such a high score was indeed surprising. In previous parent-teacher meetings, she had always been the student representative speaking at the podium. It was no wonder the homeroom teacher had specifically invited Shen Yan this time. Last semester's final exam, Shen Yan barely scored around 550, and now, just half a semester later, he had ascended to this remarkable level. In just 3 months, a remarkable increase of over 130 points was observed. If this were a rise from 300 to 450, it would seem reasonable. However, Shen Yan's extraordinary leap occurred within the range of 550 to 700. A disparity in difficulty that is simply incomparable. One can only wonder how he accomplished such a feat. Could it be that Shen Yan is indeed a prodigy? Transforming into a top-tier scholar in merely 3 months may seem like a dream, yet it has undeniably transpired in Shen Yan's case. Pouting her lips, Xia Yanchun felt her own efforts appeared somewhat trivial in comparison. After laboriously striving from start to finish, she found herself nearly caught up by someone who had only toiled for 3 months. Who could she turn to for an explanation? Shen Yan's scores seemed to evolve as if by magic. Perhaps in the next mock examination, she would struggle to maintain her position as the top student. Goodness. A score of 688 is hardly a high mark. One must not forget that she sometimes fails to reach 700. Shen Yan's prowess was indeed formidable. Xia Yanchun realized she could no longer undermine Shen Yan based on academic performance. She resigned herself to acceptance. Fortunately, she had never promised Shen Yan any rewards for achieving high scores, or else she would have faced dire consequences. After a flurry of chatter, Shen Yan was already floating on air. He was no saint, and it was only natural to feel elated after attaining such high marks for the first time. Upon returning to the classroom, Xia Yanchun seized the opportunity during the break to project the results onto the multimedia screen, encouraging those who improved to keep pushing forward, while urging those who regressed to engage in serious reflection before returning to her seat. As the results were unveiled, the classroom erupted into noise, awakening the boys who had been on the verge of dozing off. Haha, the top scorer is still the class monitor, truly a model for our generation. In second place is Shen Yan. Wait, is that the same Shen Yan who was online playing Naruto at 2:30 in the morning? Goodness. Pass it on, playing Naruto leads to high scores. The more you play, the better you become. Shen Yan chuckled. I'm just joking. I have long since shifted my focus to One Piece. Traitor. Having someone like you in our village is an utter disgrace. Where's your will of fire? The commotion persisted until the class bell rang, just in time to prevent Shen Yan from fearing that this group would truly ensnare him. How did you know I scored 688? Shen Yan patted Ma Mingfan on the shoulder, still reveling in his triumph. Ma Mingfan was exasperated. Now the whole class knows. Is this incessant competition really necessary? Can we not call it competition? Is there anything wrong with those who aspire to improve? You should also strive for growth, though you are my rival. You are not without merit. Wake up, you are not as handsome as Minato. This morning, I almost assisted a disabled girl in a wheelchair. What do you mean by almost? You were about to help, but she managed to carry the wheelchair on her own. Well, you didn't help her, so don't boast about it. What do you mean by she carried her own wheelchair? Has this world been invaded by imposters? As the class bell rang, the class representative began to read aloud, gradually drowning out the clamor with the sound of reading. Shen Yan, feeling too apathetic to engage in early reading, turned his attention directly to the system tasks. At the moment he beheld his total score, a notification from the system emerged, yet he chose to set it aside, as he found himself in a leisurely interval. Main quest, wield the sword against stronger foes. Completed, reward, 10,000 gold coins. Unlock main quest, ascend, become an advanced adventurer. Accumulate 10 defeats of high-level monsters. 0-10 reward, 10,000 gold coins. Title, advanced adventurer, charm 3, stamina 3. Agility 3. Good news, he ranked 2nd in the class and 8th in the entire school during the midterm exams, achieving a remarkable feat. Better news, he had completed the main quest, amassing a substantial 40,000 yuan in his bank account. The most astounding news, a new main quest had emerged, also offering 10,000 gold coins, yet the title's attributes were significantly enhanced, now including an agility attribute as well. Flooded with good tidings, Shen Yan stroked his chin, pondering the implications of the agility attribute described in the new title. According to various gaming conventions, agility is generally subdivided into 3 attributes: the ability to evade attacks, increased movement speed, and enhanced casting speed. In reality, it should not differ greatly. Speed, reflexes, dexterity. Who knows? After all, the title had yet to be acquired. He still needed to tackle 10 sets of midterm exam papers from other schools. This repetitive task was wearing him down. Was there truly no respite from such drudgery? During the lunch break, Shen Yan dined with Xia Yanchun, savoring the school's garlic stir-fried pork, leaving a lingering taste in his mouth. Fortunately, his backpack was stocked with snacks, and he had purchased a couple of Green Arrow chewing gums earlier. So have you written that piece? Shen Yan tossed a piece to Xia Yanchun, sitting at the table, still mulling over the speech he needed to prepare. Not yet. How should I write it? Just express your diligent mindset and insights. If you can't find the words, delve into some uplifting topics. Otherwise, you can always go home and search online. Xia Yanchun advised softly. She was quite the frequent speaker. Not just representing students at parent meetings, but also having taken the podium on Monday in front of the entire school. Since the commencement of military training, she had consistently been the student representative for their cohort. Wow, it seems you can write anything. Do you think that the speeches I previously delivered were original compositions? I merely read the scripts provided to me. You genuinely believed I penned them myself? True. Last semester, you recounted how you woke at 4 in the morning to study, and I almost believed it. You remember that? Xia Yin-chun remarked, nibbling on her nails and chewing her gum. So do you know how to write it now? Certainly. I will craft an inspirational tale about my daily commitment to studying for 20 hours, enduring hardships, and asserting that my fate is in my own hands. Who would believe that? The teacher wouldn't approve. Chapter 152. About as Sister Chun Xin-yin remained indifferent, with AI advertisements rampant. He intended to enlist AI's assistance in composing an essay when he had a moment. If he were to reveal his actual study methods, others would likely find them implausible. Sleeping at 2 and rising at 5, exercising until 6 before heading to school, skipping lunch breaks to study whenever possible. While this could be achievable, the sustainability of such a routine remained uncertain. There was no telling if he might collapse at his desk the very next day. Xin-yin, emboldened by the presence of the little Gui, dared to act in such a manner. Having regained his vitality, he now weighed approximately 150 pounds, likely feeling even heavier with the burden of his thoughts. What of it? He mused. He was too weary to continue the charade, wishing instead to be the cheerful hero of the day. Xia Yin-chun had already retrieved a small pillow, placing it on the table. Her curiosity piqued as she glanced at Xin-yin. Are you going to take a nap? She inquired. I'm not tired. You may rest. I shall vigilantly keep an eye on you, he replied with a mischievous grin. Isn't that a bit fearless of you, Haki-chun? She teased, a light hum escaping her lips, which captivated Xin-yin. The sound was undeniably endearing, making him wish to embrace her. With a grin, Xin-yin moved closer, reducing the distance between their chairs. During this midday respite, the little girl's chair became his own. Drawing the curtains and closing the door, the classroom transformed into their private sanctuary. As he leaned in closer to Xia Yin-chun, Xin-yin was enveloped by a delightful fragrance, mingled with the sweet scent of chewing gum, causing his breath to deepen involuntarily. Hey, what are you doing? It's a different era now, she exclaimed, her voice trailing off as she swiftly covered his mouth with her palm, pushing his face away. Is it appropriate to smell someone like that? It's quite bizarre when you think about it. Suddenly, she felt something soft, warm, and damp brush against her palm, startling her into retracting her hand, her eyes widening in surprise. Did you just lick me? She exclaimed, hastily wiping her hand on Xin-yin's clothing, her expression one of disgust, as if she were about to overflow with distaste. Ahem, might I suggest that you refrain from covering someone's mouth so casually? Xin-yin said with a serious tone. Xin-yin, you better behave yourself tomorrow. If my mother catches you misbehaving, you're finished. I promise I won't misbehave. Tomorrow, I'll give you a good thrashing in front of your mother and let her know our relationship is far from cordial. That is backward. It should be me who is hitting you, Xia Yin-chun muttered, her hand once again drawn into Xin-yin's grasp, cradled gently against her abdomen as he massaged from her fingers to her forearm. The importance of their relationship paled in comparison to the warmth of Xia Yin-chun's hand resting in his embrace. One should not merely speak of intentions, but rather act upon them. Perhaps feeling more at ease, the little pricks of discomfort on Xia Yin-chun's body subsided, her fingers intertwining with Xin-yin's as she directed him to massage her. A bit higher. Yes, just there. A touch lower, gentle now. Am I taking advantage of you? And yet you seem to enjoy it? He teased. Why so forceful? No more squeezing. Xin-yin inhaled deeply, refusing to release her wrist, pulling her slightly closer. In that moment, she shifted entirely into his arms, their embrace long overdue. Despite the earlier scare that morning, Xia Yin-chun felt Xin-yin must possess an unusual amount of courage, for how else could he be so audacious? His breath, warm and coarse, brushed against her hair, the rhythm of his inhalations palpable and teasing, causing a delightful tickle in her ears and hastening her own breaths. Xia Yin-chun could not see Xin-yin's face, and with her hand being firmly grasped, she felt as though she were being bullied by him. Yet, she found herself unable to muster any strength, particularly as Xin-yin's grip tightened, bringing her closer to him. If anyone were to witness this, her blissful campus life would undoubtedly come to an abrupt end. Xin-yin perceived Xia Yin-chun as entirely pliable, seemingly relaxed in his embrace, causing his heart to race uncontrollably. Chun Bao, Xin-yin leaned down, whispering softly into her ear with a playful smile, let me hold you a little longer. After all, you'll have to behave yourself tomorrow. What nonsense. As if I owe you anything. You can't hold me anymore. Who says otherwise? Xin-yin retorted, releasing her hand, yet wrapping his other arm around her. He rested his head atop her soft, fluffy hair, chuckling lightly. How many times must I remind you? Debts must be repaid. Have you forgotten how outrageous you were in the past? Xia Yin-chun instinctively recoiled, feeling a sense of guilt wash over her as he mentioned her past antics. Even when she was in the right, she felt compelled to reason with Xin-yin. A true hero does not dwell on past glories. Please refrain from constantly bringing up those matters. Indeed, Xin-yin inhaled her scent, savoring her warmth, and after enjoying the embrace, he gently released her, gathering her delicate hands together. I still prefer the rebellious version of you from before. Xia Yin-chun was at a loss for words, feeling both flustered and frustrated. Her cheeks flushed, she promptly straightened up and withdrew her hands, aware of her disheveled hair. She attempted to smooth it down, but Xin-yin was quicker, tucking her stray locks behind her ears. As his hand withdrew, the delicate strands cascaded down once more. She bit her lip, allowing her hair to fall freely to conceal her reddened ears. It was evident that she was merely too lazy to bother with him, otherwise. He wouldn't even have the chance to touch her. Not that she expected gratitude from him, yet his arrogance was infuriating. Shen Yan, you truly have the audacity. Oh my, Sister Chun is magnificent. I bow to you. Shen Yan's expression changed with remarkable speed, leaving Xia Yan Chun slightly bewildered. Nevertheless, the affectionate address of Sister Chun warmed her heart, causing a small flower of joy to bloom amidst her earlier frustration. Forget it, I can't be bothered with you. No more antics. All right, Shen Yan replied, placing his hands in his pockets and adjusting the hem of his jacket. Xia Yan Chun found it peculiar that he suddenly stopped embracing and teasing her, appearing unusually compliant. She turned her gaze to him and inquired, what are you doing? Just sitting here for a bit before heading back, Shen Yan replied expressionlessly. Xia Yan Chun nodded, feeling a bit dazed and confused. However, as her mind gradually cleared, she seemed to piece together something, casting a stiff glance at Shen Yan, who leaned slightly forward. She opened her mouth, but hesitated, fearing it was not as she suspected. The blush on her face deepened, and she buried herself in a small pillow, murmuring, Sister Chun is going to sleep now. Good afternoon. Shen Yan quietly exhaled, wishing to brighten her spirits. All right, you are my sister. Hurry and get some rest. I didn't catch that. What did you just say? If your ears are blocked, go and clean them out. Chapter 153. The Will of Fire, sold and played 3 Kingdoms. Taking advantage of Xia Yan Chun's nap at the table, Shen Yan had already completed his speech draft. Amidst a flurry of idle chatter, the intended use of AI went unutilized. However, it is not wholly without merit. For his remarkable exam scores are a testament to his indomitable will, persistence, and hard work. Floatingwood continues to thrive, with his family in good health. Which brings a light-hearted chuckle. In the afternoon, a double English class saw Yan Yuzhu once again extolling Shen Yan, whose impressive score of 135 in English, despite being the lowest, certainly warrants some praise. Teacher, Yan possesses a profound understanding, almost coaxing Shen Yan into a state of euphoria. With such an English teacher, one might even be willing to reside in a grand villa alongside a golden-haired, 175 centimeters classmate. The final period was designated for self-study, during which Su Keshi convened a brief meeting to finalize arrangements for the forthcoming parent-teacher conference. As evening descended, the horizon was adorned with hues of pink and purple, the classroom lights flickering to life, and the gentle evening breeze caressed the camphor leaves, crafting a serene poem of twilight within the campus. Chen Xiaoyu, resting her delicate face, leaned against the window beside Shen Yan, enjoying the view and the cool breeze that tousled her hair, releasing a fragrance reminiscent of shampoo. The golden light was perfect for a photograph. Upon returning from the convenience store, Shen Yan was greeted by this enchanting scene, undeniably beautiful. Even when Chen Xiaoyu was not in high spirits, she could still be considered a lovely young lady. Shen Yan placed a bottle of mineral water atop the stack of books, inquiring playfully, what brings you here? Oh, just enjoying the scenery, she replied with a smile. In this serene setting of early winter, within the campus, it was indeed a harmonious time for youthful exuberance. Shen Yan smirked, glancing at Chen Xiaoyu's grades, noting her improvement in mathematics with a score of 105. A 3-digit score in math. You've made progress. You are allowed to be a little exuberant, he remarked. What on earth? Chen Xiaoyu pondered, unable to comprehend why she was perceived as eccentric in Shen Yan's presence when she considered herself quite normal. Rolling her eyes, she contemplated making an exit, but Shen Yan's next question halted her. By the way, who is coming tomorrow? My dad, she responded. Oh, that guy from when you went fishing? It's nothing. Just go back. Shen Yan waved his hand dismissively. It had been a while since they had seen the fishing uncle, who likely still harbored hopes of pursuing Chen Xiaoyu. He wouldn't be thinking of courting my daughter, would he? Mused the fishing uncle. Once a teacher, always a father. Shen Yan quipped, eliciting laughter from his friends. During the evening study session, a fragrant aroma filled the classroom, where the blackboard boldly welcomed parents with large letters. Tomorrow, some students would need to contact their parents in advance. As the last class progressed, Xia Yanchun began distributing students' mobile phones from the podium, as instructed by the teacher. Most of them were spare devices or model phones, now sophisticated enough to illuminate screens, easily passing the school's scrutiny. Not just Ma Mingfan and Chen Dong. The boys who indulged in games, even the well-behaved little girls had their hidden phones, secretly playing in the restroom during lunch breaks. Li Shiyan retrieved her phone, casting a furtive glance at the door before stashing it back into her small backpack and pulling out a similar device. Her eyes gleaming with mischief as she clandestinely played behind a stack of books. Despite the open display of phones, this little girl still harbored a timid nature. A sudden scare from behind would likely send her into a frenzy. Noticing Shen Yan gazing at her, Li Shiyan blinked, feigning ignorance, and buried her head behind the pile of books like a little turtle. Ma Mingfan, engrossed in updating the Naruto mobile game on his phone, displayed signs of true devotion. Was this game truly so captivating? Shen Yan had already given it up, and witnessing Ma Mingfan's immersion in the game stirred no emotions within him. Those devoid of the will of fire are unworthy of my conversation. Where's your own will of fire? I sold it to recharge my 3 Kingdoms game. Oh, so you are a player of that game. Ma Mingfan expressed profound respect, proclaiming, I forgive you on behalf of the village. Shen Yan chuckled, playfully delivering a light punch to Ma Mingfan, followed by a gentle slap, feeling a sense of satisfaction. By the way, who is coming from your side tomorrow? Shen Yan inquired again. My family lives far away, my parents want to come. It's better that way. If they see how much you've improved while I remain stagnant, they will surely nag me. Isn't it simply because you haven't put in enough effort? Didn't you say you were training your willpower? What have you done with it? Ahem, enough of that noise. Ma Mingfan straightened his posture, turning around to raise a finger, conspiratorially saying, I'm challenging myself to a month of abstinence. Honestly, I think it would be easier to challenge myself for 2 months to rank first in class. Last week, I was resolute, and counting today. It's already the 13th day. Impressive. Shen Yin couldn't help but applaud him, giving him a thumbs up. It seems that indulging in peculiar interests truly does yield significant results in cultivating willpower. Shen Yin, with a sense of pride, patted Ma Mingfan on the back, saying, I have something else that can help you strengthen your willpower. Would you like to see? What is it? I hope it's not yet another dance video from the park. Taken aback, Shen Yin awkwardly laughed. Haha, I've changed my phone and didn't save it. I won't send it to you for now. Ma Mingfan reacted with exasperation. I knew it. You've shared it before during National Day, and now you want to pull this on me again. The people in your video look as if they've been dead for 10 days. He had initially embarked on the path of cultivating willpower, but certainly did not wish to shorten his lifespan. Shen Yin found himself at a loss, as the Andes never allowed a photo without full beauty filters. Speaking of which, you've changed your phone? What about the old one? I sold it on a second-hand platform. Ma Mingfan replied, what? I'm still in the middle of a combo. That is impressive. Ma Mingfan, disdainful of the Tauren, turned away from Shen Yin, returning to his game of Naruto, seizing the opportunity to play another round before class ended. Shen Yin tidied up his desk, organizing the mess to avoid being scolded by his mother when she came tomorrow to find the drawers chaotic. This exemplified the advantage of occupying 2 desks. As for the scraps, he certainly made sure to squeeze the little girl for help. Girls often like to place a small plastic bag between the 2 desks to collect trash, and Shen Yin begrudgingly persuaded them to assist him in disposing of his waste. The small plastic bag was already half filled by Shen Yin, while Li Shiyin could only watch, seething in silence, knowing she would obediently take it out after class. When the bell rang, Xia Yanchun descended from the podium, tidying her small backpack. Her water bottle was empty, yet the water dispenser still had someone filling theirs. After a moment of contemplation, she placed her water bottle on Shen Yin's desk without uttering a word. Look, Shen Yin muttered, exasperated by her ability to delegate tasks. He couldn't be bothered to complain. Is this the last time? Are there really only a few times left? This truly is the last time. I shall not request your assistance again. Chapter 154. He likes me. The words of a wicked woman are utterly untrustworthy. If there were to truly be a last time, Xia Yanchun would have no opportunity to utter her final words today. There will be many more last times to come. Shen Yin only helped her after others had finished lining up, handing her a full jug. It would be impossible to drink at home later, wouldn't it? Xia Yanchun accepted it, taking a couple of sips, her lips smacking. She was parched. Why complicate matters? Asking you to fetch some water is always met with either wind or rain. Shen Yin bore a grudge. Just then, a girl approached, gleefully waving her phone. Ma Mingfan, I've downloaded this game too. Oh, you finished downloading it? There's not much fun in this game though. Watching you play seems quite entertaining. Shen Yin squinted. Could it be that playing Naruto truly allows one to find their own Hinata? The girl's name was Liang Jing. She lacked presence in class. During physical education, while the girls gathered to chat, Liang Jing often remained a silent observer, occasionally chiming in. How did you start playing Naruto? It seems you've just downloaded it. In Shen Yin's memory, Ma Mingfan and Liang Jing had exchanged many words, belonging to that category of classmates one forgets after graduation. Merely liking posts on social media occasionally. Never mind. It was not his concern. He could gossip another time. Shen Yin slung his backpack over his shoulder, pulling out 3 lollipops, tossing the extra one to the girl with low blood sugar. Thank you. Li Shiyin was exceedingly polite, a demure young lady. By the way, since you have low blood sugar, do you usually carry candy? Shen Yin asked curiously. Yes, I have chocolate and milk candies. Well, if you forget to bring some one day, just ask the class monitor. I have some in my bag, and you can have the monitor retrieve it for you. Oh, thank you. Descending the stairs with Xia Yanchun, Shen Yin sucked on the lollipop stick, darting left and right. Isn't it dangerous if one has low blood sugar? Shiyin is just a bit low. It's usually not a problem. Oh, I see. Xia Yanchun also unwrapped her candy, savoring the sweet alpine milk candy melting in her mouth. The moonlight was hazy, and only a few stars were visible. Upon returning home, Shen Yin swiftly took a shower and then made a phone call to his family. Hello, what is up? Came the familiar voice of his mother on the other end. Shen Yin rubbed his nose. Mom, when are you coming over tomorrow? Early. I'll be coming with Aunt Wen. Why don't you want me to come? Did you fail your exam? Of course not. I've never seen you call before. Is there something specific you want to ask? Usually, it's my sister who attends parent-teacher meetings. You never come. That is true. It's nothing. I just wanted to ask when you would arrive. Mom. If I do poorly on the exam, will you scold me? I'll scold you to death. I thought you were finally being serious. As soon as Chun Minue's words fell, Shunshir's voice chimed in immediately. If you fail, I'll hit you. Low scores will get you hit. No progress will get you hit, and high scores will get you hit too. It was evident he had long wished to reprimand Shen Yin, just waiting for an excuse. As for the reasons behind his desire to strike, Shen Yin could only say that some questions ought not to be asked. He felt a deep sorrow, for he was undeniably filial. The pain stemming from his original family. Perhaps he could vent his feelings on Zai Hongshu, lamenting about his upbringing in hopes of finding a sympathetic older sister to offer solace. After a few minutes of idle chatter, Shen Yin ended the call. His mother was visiting tomorrow, and Aunt Wen would also be coming, which meant they would surely sneak into his room for a look. He needed to tidy up to avoid his mother's nagging. He was uncertain of how long they would stay. With both sets of parents present, Xia Yanchun would undoubtedly remind him to behave, which filled him with dread. Shen Yin resolved to seek out Xia Yanchun, after a brief moment of contemplation. Upon hearing a knock at the door, Xia Yanchun, freshly bathed and clad in her slippers, peered through the peephole, confirming it was Shen Yan. She hesitated before opening the door, slipping back into her room to put on some undergarments. A girl alone at home often prefers to dress as minimally as possible. When she finally opened the door, the sight that greeted her was Shen Yan, his hair still damp. Did you just finish bathing? You haven't even dried your hair, she remarked. It will dry soon enough, Shen Yan replied with a playful tug at his locks. Xia Yanchun stood at the threshold, scrutinizing him openly. You look quite presentable after your shower. What do you want? Let me in first. I have something important to discuss with you. How mysterious. If you promise not to hug or touch me, I might consider letting you in. Shen Yan stood at attention, resembling a mute. Xia Yanchun wore an expression of knowing amusement, even less inclined to allow him entry. Without uttering a word, she attempted to close the door. But Shen Yan's hand propped it open. What do you mean by not letting me in when the door is already ajar? It's quite late for a boy to be visiting a girl. What's wrong? Am I not allowed to visit you at this hour? She retorted. Not wanting to engage in a quarrel over this, Xia Yanchun deftly shifted the topic. I spoke with my mother. They will be arriving early tomorrow. I'm aware. I returned her call. By the way, where's your manuscript? May I see it? There's nothing noteworthy about it. Come on, let me have a look. With a sigh, Xia Yanchun retreated to her room, rummaging through her backpack until she found a folded sheet of manuscript paper. She intended to hand it to Shen Yan, only to realize he had not followed her in but was rummaging through the refrigerator for peanuts. Is this also part of your important matter? The essentials of life, indeed. See, is this what you meant by having something important to discuss? Close enough, Shen Yan replied, lounging on her soft bed, legs crossed as he examined her manuscript, pointing out the amusing parts immediately. Do you write exercises every evening after returning home? What else? If you hadn't come, I would have started working on them. Do you also memorize classical Chinese poetry during your midday break? How come I didn't know about this? Well, it's a mix of truth and fiction. Is that a problem? No problem at all. You are absolutely right, Chuanbao. Shen Yan chuckled, glancing over to realize that their manuscripts were quite similar, reiterating the same mundane matters prevalent in school. What about yours? After the teacher reviews it, I just tuck it away in a drawer. I didn't bring it back. Oh, Xia Yanchun replied nonchalantly, climbing onto the bed, her focus having shifted entirely from studying with Shen Yan present. Shen Yan hindered her studies. Early romance is inappropriate. Fortunately, she and Shen Yan never engaged in such folly, not even a hint of it. Fresh from her bath, Xia Yanchun donned a short-sleeved shirt and shorts, revealing her fair arms and slender calves. Shen Yan noticed, but was indifferent. The air conditioner emitted a warm breeze, creating a somewhat stuffy atmosphere. And lying on the bed felt particularly comfortable. Having just pulled up the quilt, she nestled her head against a small pillow, ready to sleep. Shen Yan, open the window. Just a crack for some fresh air will suffice. Are you ordering me about again? Fine, just tell me this once, quickly. Xia Yanchun playfully kicked him with her foot. Shen Yan complied, opening the window and drawing the curtains, leaving a narrow gap. You've hardly changed since childhood. If I hadn't gained weight, who knows how long I would have endured your teasing. You, on the other hand, have transformed completely. Transformed in what way? Xia Yanchun covered herself with the quilt, unwilling to divulge. In the past, Shen Yan had regarded her with disdain, as if she were a ghost. Now, he approached her eagerly, sniffing and touching her like a playful puppy. He likes me, he likes me, he likes me, she thought, her fair face gradually tinged with a rosy hue. You should go back now. I want to sleep. Sleep so early? Yes, I'm tired. Shen Yan mischievously pinched her exposed cheek, chuckling. I'm tired too. I want to sleep with you tonight. Chapter 155. Rivals and a touch of affection. Absolutely not. Don't even think about it. Xia Yanchun retorted, flustered. She had anticipated that Shen Yan might suddenly embrace her or pull her hands from the quilt to hold them close, perhaps even begging to see her legs. But she never imagined he would suggest this. Her gaze turned melancholic as she tightened the thin air-conditioned quilt around herself, swatting Shen Yan's hand away. She extended her foot and gave his thigh a playful kick, still feeling unsatisfied. The gesture lacked any real impact, and Shen Yan simply ignored it, leaning closer and declaring, to be able to sleep together is the ultimate expression of our bond. I believe this is a necessary step for us. Go away, who wants to be with you? But I want to be with you. Xia Yanchun's almond-shaped eyes widened in surprise, wishing to hide. She covered half her face with the quilt, revealing only her glossy, dark eyes. After a moment of contemplation, she muttered softly, it's still not acceptable to be close to me. Shen Yan felt a pang of disappointment. His brows furrowed slightly. What about just for a little while? Xia Yanchun pursed her lips. How long is a little while? Shen Yan, sensing an opportunity, quickly raised 2 fingers. 2 hours. Not acceptable. 1 hour. Xia Yanchun felt herself getting flustered, her mind swirling. Although Shen Yan merely sat on the edge of her bed in her home, she felt as though he had her cornered, leaving her no escape. How could it be that they, once rivals, had evolved into this? The notion of being rivals was originally Shen Yan's stubborn declaration, vowing to remain foes for life. Yet, here they were, in a situation that felt entirely inappropriate. She was still holding on to that rivalry. Rivals should not share the same bed. However, if one is both a sworn enemy and possesses a hint of unparalleled excellence, even an hour would be insufficient, 10 minutes at most. Xia Yanchun murmured softly, already prepared to expel Shen Yan if he proved unwilling. What can one accomplish in 10 minutes? What more do you desire? Get off my bed. Shen Yan chuckled. How could you misconstrue my intentions? What have I sullied? He merely perceived 10 minutes as a fleeting moment. Yet Xia Yanchun's mind was rife with less than wholesome thoughts. Well, 10 minutes it is. 10 minutes shall suffice. As Shen Yan prepared to recline, Xia Yanchun swiftly moved back. I assure you, even if you fall asleep, I will ensure you return to your own space. Feigning slumber will be futile. I have no such intentions. I may not know others, but I certainly know you. Hee hee, then you may count away. Shen Yan had already settled down on the girl's soft bed, finding it quite comfortable. However, both pillows resided with Xia Yanqun, and the resentful expression on her face as she clutched the blanket indicated her reluctance to share. Shen Yan, unfazed, nestled his head on his arm, grinning. They had shared this bed numerous times, yet lying so closely together brought back memories that harkened back several years to their innocent, naive days. What laughter is this? We cannot lie together. Keep your distance from me. I refuse. Shen Yan nudged closer, attempting to push the girl towards the wall. Xia Yanqun gazed down at her small plush toy, contemplating turning away from him, yet hesitating to do so. While shopping with Shen Yan provided a sense of safety. Knowing he would step up in times of trouble, solitude with him felt precarious. With her back turned, who could say whether he might seize the opportunity to embrace her? What was that saying? Those who stab you in the back are not always wielding knives. Even if Shen Yan merely sought to embrace her, she could not simply ignore it. An embrace was not something to be taken lightly. It required her consent, and should she refuse, she would immediately wriggle free and chastise him soundly. How could a grown person still sleep with his sister? I am quite at a loss for you. Is this really the time for such comments? Your words make it seem as though we are merely jesting. Ah, Xia Yanqun was exasperated, giving his arm a firm slap. What nonsense are you spouting? Let us not speak of it, just one embrace. Shen Yan smiled lightly, reaching out to pull the girl, along with the blanket, into his embrace. Xia Yanqun, small in stature, offered no resistance as he enveloped her, a plush toy wedged between them. The warmth of the heated air enveloped Xia Yanqun comfortably. Although she lay on her side, aware that Shen Yan was watching her, she dared not meet his gaze, opting instead to lower her face and steal a subtle whiff of his scent, a wave of shyness washing over her, moistening her eyes with unshed tears. Oh, how she adored the contours of Shen Yan's collarbone and Adam's apple. Is this how you revel in embracing? She murmured to herself. In 10 minutes. May I not indulge in this embrace? Tomorrow, my friends will sever ties with you, refusing to acknowledge your existence. Silly, you have been embraced by a fool. Shen Yan tightened his hold, drawing her even closer, his hand sliding upward to gently cradle the back of Xia Yanqun's head, wishing to draw her further into his embrace. Until the gentle warmth of Xia Yanqun's breath caressed his neck, he reluctantly loosened his grip, his heart racing faster than usual. This sensation of complete indulgence left him feeling somewhat flustered, impulsive, and shy, a rare embarrassment washing over him. The control had always rested in his hands. Yet now he found himself somewhat at a loss, ultimately resting his hands on Xia Yanqun's waist. The blanket was thin, and so were their short sleeves, making the slippery sensation particularly pronounced. Xia Yanqun, feeling a bit anxious, clutched the blanket tightly, allowing him to hold her for a brief moment, just 10 minutes. As she quieted, Shen Yan also fell into silence, his hand remaining still on her waist, their breaths growing more pronounced, sending a tickling sensation across Xia Yanqun's head. Embarrassed, she subtly pulled the blanket down a little, playfully poking Shen Yan with her nails, urging him not to blow his warm breath upon her. Yet, her own warmth continuously wafted towards Shen Yan's collar, and she relished the delightful imbalance this unfairness created. After a prolonged moment, she shifted slightly away from Shen Yan's neck, exhaling a warm breath that alleviated her discomfort. Being in his embrace felt even more stifling than being confined in a heated room. Glancing up at Shen Yan, she noticed his inexplicably excited and guilty expression, which distracted her, prompting her to nervously tuck her hair behind her ear. How long has it been? She wondered. I don't know, he replied, feigning seriousness. It should be a little over 2 minutes. How could that be? Do you take me for a fool? Xia Yanqun protested, struggling to rise. Perhaps it hadn't been a full 10 minutes, but it certainly couldn't have been merely 2. Shen Yan was anything but honest. His thoughts and intentions were all over the place. Lazily sitting up, Xia Yanqun reached for her phone. It was nearly midnight. That's enough. Just one more hug. You still want to linger, don't you? Time's up. Shen Yan grimaced, clutching his head in mock agony. Ah, I feel so dizzy. I might just faint on your bed for 6 hours. Do you think I could remain here until 6 tomorrow morning? I'd toss you out like garbage. Oh. Shen Yan sat up heavily, sighing. It seemed the title of the best in the world was still far from his grasp. Then keep trying. I'm going to sleep now. Resuming their playful rivalry, as Shen Yan got out of bed, Xia Yanqun settled comfortably back down. The heat within her expanded, and she lifted the blanket slightly to cool off, leaving only a bit to cover her stomach, for without that, she felt quite uncomfortable. Why aren't you leaving yet? She urged, noticing Shen Yan still sitting on the edge, his back turned to her. Remember to close the door. I know. Shen Yan first moved to the light switch, turning it off before rising to open the door, trying to appear as casual as possible, and then swiftly slipped out. This was a moment akin to the pinnacle of a clever duel. In the darkness, Xia Yanqun tidied the disheveled sheets Shen Yan had left behind, lying back down with her eyes closed, quietly murmuring a complaint. Pervert. Chapter 156. Hockey Chuan knows everything. Shen Yan fled swiftly, grateful that Shen Yu had gone to bed early. Otherwise, he would have had to wait longer to return home. The warmth in Xia Yanqun's room was stifling, making him uncomfortable. Winter had just begun, and the outside wind was gentle. Why was the heating on? Do all girls behave this way? For him, as long as he didn't freeze into an ice block, there was no need to turn on the heating. Shen Yan intended to retire early for the night. Just as he lay down, his phone buzzed. Glancing at the notification, he promptly opened it. Xia Yanqun. Dear, water pipe, alarm clock JPG. Damn it, it's so spicy. Haki-chun seems to know everything. Shen Yan was so startled that he nearly cried, and in his sorrow, he sent over 30 emoticons. cluttering the QQ chat with a barrage of 36 rebuttals, until the latest emoticon appeared with a red exclamation mark. Haha, he had been blocked. Well, that was just splendid. The following day, Saturday, as usual, Shun Yin rose early, drew back the curtains, and found the sky still shrouded in darkness, with a mist enveloping the world outside. It was the first fog of winter, a vivid reminder of the season. Shun Yin, disinclined to venture outdoors, completed his daily exercise routine at home. While the park was ideal for jogging or utilizing public fitness equipment, at home, he typically performed push-ups combined with sit-ups. He did not count the exact number, but estimated it was sufficient to warrant a break, exercising for about an hour. His physical fitness certainly rivaled that of soldiers subjected to rigorous training. Since he remained indoors, Shun Yin opted not to purchase breakfast. After taking a shower, he prepared to meet Xia Yanchun, as usual. Upon opening the door, he discovered her already waiting outside, leaning against the wall with a small backpack. With her familiar ponytail and dressed in a complete school uniform, layered with warm clothing for her role as a student representative, she appeared quite obedient. "You're up so early today?" Shun Yin remarked, somewhat surprised. Sometimes, he awoke even before the alarm. Xia Yanchun pulled a bottle of pure milk from her pocket. "Here, drink this. No need to thank me." "Oh my, how touching," he playfully exclaimed. "I didn't bring you breakfast, though? Did you not exercise today?" "I worked out at home." "Oh, I see." Shun Yin rarely drank pure milk, finding it tasteless. He preferred the sweet, high-calcium variety. However, Xia Yanchun adored it. And during their middle school years, perhaps hoping to grow taller, she brought a bottle every morning, accompanied by a small bottle of mouthwash to prevent bad breath after drinking. Despite consuming so much, she remained at a height of 1.6 meters, while Shun Yin, eating whatever he pleased, had grown to 1.8 meters. He didn't know if he was still growing since there was no physical examination in his senior year. Shun Yin was quite satisfied with his current height. 1.8 meters was considered quite perfect in the eyes of girls. Those towering at 1.9 meters might be better suited for basketball, a sport Shun Yin rarely played. So there was no need to aspire to such heights. As they descended into the community, Shun Yin recalled the incident of being blocked the previous day. He nudged Xia Yanchun with his elbow. "Quick, pull me out of the blacklist." "I won't. We're done." "Is this milk a farewell gesture?" "Uh-huh." Shun Yin gulped down the milk in one go, with no one around. He mimicked a sports player, executing a backward jump shot. The plastic bottle bounced off the edge of the nearby trash can and landed perfectly inside. Triggered the primal instincts of a boy. "Wow, impressive." Shun Yin beamed with pride. Xia Yanchun, not quite understanding the reason for his joy, managed a thin smile as she pulled out her phone and removed him from her blacklist. "Once again, I sent a message to my mother, advising her to exercise caution while driving due to the fog enveloping the city." Suddenly, Shun Yin nudged me with his elbow. "What did that picture you sent yesterday imply?" he inquired. "What do you mean by imply?" "I meant it literally," I replied. "Haven't you sworn off that?" he teased. "Did you break your vows last night?" I tilted my head, my eyes sparkling with mischief. The naughty side of me had surfaced. I distinctly recalled how flustered Shun Yin appeared when he left last night. Shun Yin, with his mismatched eyes, seemed to be fully aware of everything. "Damn, what could possibly be wrong with a mere plant?" he retorted. Yet, he genuinely hadn't broken his promises. His self-discipline was commendable. "I really didn't," Shun Yin insisted, his tone betraying a hint of awkwardness. It felt rather strange for someone to seriously discuss such matters early in the morning. One might assume it was merely a trivial affair. "Oh, so you actually believe me?" I challenged. "I never said I didn't believe you," he countered, his frustration evident. "You're such a simpleton, making me, an innocent girl, speechless." I blinked at him, thinking, who is the innocent one here? Today's breakfast was on me. Shun Yin, after an hour of fasting exercise, was so famished he bought 3 barbecued pork buns, a bag of steamed dumplings, and 2 bottles of yogurt drink, totaling 16 yuan. "Sister, you've hit the jackpot," he scoffed. "Eating so much, you're like a pig." I only purchased 2 rice noodle buns, sufficient for my appetite. But I couldn't help but feel discontent over Shun Yin's excessive consumption of drinks right after finishing his milk. I decided to take one of his yogurt drinks, sipping it slowly. If it weren't for Shun Yin's swift consumption, I would have swiped the half-finished one from him. The school entrance displayed a prominent sign reading "Welcome Parents." As one of the top high schools in the province, CIN No. 2 High School placed great importance on events like parent-teacher meetings. Activities such as literary evenings, sports meets, and award ceremonies were conducted with utmost formality. The campus environment was pleasant, and the faculty was exceptional. Aside from the exorbitant prices at the school store, Shun Yin found little to critique. However, the fact that a mere 450 milliliters bottle of cola was sold for 4 yuan and 50 cents was enough for him to label the school as subpar. Rumor had it that the neighboring No. 1 High School sold the same for just 4 yuan. No. 2 High School had always lagged behind. The store owner's room was ajar, and the air conditioning was so intense it felt like stepping into the ice age. The classroom was filling up, and there was no requirement to wear uniforms. Lin Shiyuan had donned a lovely long dress, looking every bit a young beauty, while even Li Shiyan sported a muted leaf-colored outfit. At first glance, it seemed a bit outdated, yet upon a second look, it appeared rather charming. In contrast, Shun Yin and I, clad in matching blue and white uniforms, seemed somewhat out of place. TSK, I mused, sipping on my yogurt drink, which did little to quench my thirst. I then took a few gulps from my water bottle with its built-in straw. The bottle was rather small, insufficient to satisfy my thirst. I glanced back to see the hot water, still boiling, courtesy of someone unknown. A sidelong glance revealed Shun Yin watching me. I frowned. "What are you staring at?" "I didn't call you." "Hand it over," he said, extending his hand, offering to fetch me water, though with some reluctance. "You're the one who wanted to help me," I huffed. Shen Yan gave me an okay sign in response. After all, I had just rested yesterday. Helping with a bit of hot water is a small favor. I hope that next time, Chunbao will also assist me. Recently, I should quicken my pace. To the readers who find this appealing, I would appreciate a 5-star review. Chapter 157. This is the first killing god of Sinin number 2 high school. Dare you to lock eyes with her for 10 seconds? Soon, Su Kashi entered the classroom to outline the points of attention for the parent-teacher meeting, releasing the students. Except for the student representatives, no students were allowed to linger in the classroom. Those without parents attending the meeting could return to their dormitories to enjoy their holiday, while those with parents could go to meet them, and if they preferred not to, students from their class would accompany them to the school gate. Shen Yan and Xia Yanchun could not return to the dormitory and had to speak at the podium, so they decided to head to the school gate together, with Li Shiyan following suit. The school gate was already congested with private vehicles, ranging from ordinary vans to sedans, and there were even a few high-end luxury cars. Every school has its share of wealthy students, and Sinin number 2 high school is no exception. Are your parents coming as well? Li Shiyan inquired, twirling her hair and tiptoeing at the school gate to look outside. Not seeing her parents, she whispered to Xia Yanchun. Pretty much, since our hometown is neighbors. Xia Yanchun nodded. That's wonderful. Not at all, Xia Yanchun murmured. Considering that this fellow could easily invade the balcony to bother girls, not everyone could endure Shen Yan. What are you two chattering about? Shen Yan peered over. Nothing, Xia Yanchun replied, unperturbed by Shen Yan, as she merely expressed her discontent without speaking ill of him. Oh, I see my mother's car. Li Shiyan exclaimed suddenly, her previously lowered head brightening up as she dashed outside. Shen Yan followed her running direction and spotted a Mercedes. Though he did not recognize the model, it appeared quite expensive. The little girl truly seems to be a small heiress. The driver was a woman dressed in a tailored suit, wearing sunglasses, her demeanor gentle and stylish, perfectly aligning with Shen Yan's stereotype of wealthy individuals. Li Shiyan was bouncing in front of the woman, her height only reaching the woman's shoulder, and though he could not hear their conversation, her joy was evident. Quite adorable. This is the first killing god of Sinin number 2 high school. Dare you to lock eyes with her for 10 seconds? Is your best friend's family a billionaire? Shen Yan nudged Xia Yanchun once more. Please don't keep pushing me, Xia Yanchun replied with disdain. Her family is quite affluent. During our first and second years, she treated me on many outings. Wow, you didn't invite me. Did I not call you 2 or 3 times? That doesn't count. I meant during our first and second years. Xia Yanchun found it tedious to respond. During their first and second years, Shen Yan had clearly shown disdain for her. So why should she make an effort to invite him out? Though she had also felt a similar disdain for him at that time. Especially since he had a crush on Lin Shiyuan in their second year. Given that Shen Yan had someone he liked, she was even less inclined to ask him to go shopping, fearing it would lead to misunderstandings. It seems our mom is coming. Shen Yan squinted toward the entrance, confirming his recognition before leisurely walking over. Are you from class 11? Class 11, please follow us. We will show you the way. Thank you, Chen Mingyue smiled. Turning to Wen Jining, the young ladies here are both enthusiastic and lovely. The students from number 2 high school exhibit a commendable level of quality. Wen Jining covered her mouth with a smile. When I came before, it was always the younger ones who came to fetch me. I wonder why that isn't the case this time. Is that so? This is my first visit. I usually let my sister handle it. That rascal Shen Yan didn't even bother to come and greet me. Lin Shiyuan, with keen ears, raised an eyebrow and glanced at Chen Mingyue. Auntie, are you Shen Yan's mother? Yes. Does Shen Yan speak to you often? How does he fare at school? Haha, Shen Yan is quite good, tall and slender. Performs excellently in his studies, and is exceptionally bright. Is he really that good? I had no idea. Chen Mingyue found it increasingly absurd. Is this really my Hajir? Could it be that my Hajir is actually quite remarkable? The Shen Yan described by my classmates doesn't quite match the one I know. Which one is my Hajir? Mom, when Auntie Shen Yan approached, casually greeting Lin Shiyuan. I'm busy, thanks. No problem. Lin Shiyuan smiled lightly. Noticing Xia Yanchun behind Shen Yan, she nodded with a raised eyebrow. The class monitor has arrived too? This is my mom. Oh, since you all are here, I no longer need to lead the way. I will wait for the other parents. Lin Shiyuan hurried back to the school gate, realizing that if no other students came to escort their parents, the 4 of them might struggle to manage. That girl was quite nice. Do you get along well at school? Very well, he. Mom, later we are going to buy winter clothes. That sounds great. We haven't shopped together in ages. Xia Yanchun was engaging in lively conversation, while Chen Mingyue bombarded Shen Yan with questions, inquiring if he had been bullied, and checking if he had any pocket money left. Eventually landing on the most crucial topic, his academic performance. Mom, are you done? Didn't the parent group send out the report cards? Not yet, if they had. Why would I ask you? Although Shen Yan was part of the parent group, he hadn't paid attention to whether Su Kashi had shared the grades. Cough, in any case, I did quite well, you'll find out soon enough. That cheeky boy is rather full of himself, if your grades slip. I will definitely support your father in disciplining you. Chen Mingyue replied, not holding back. She was not the gentle one auntie. A mother is often less forgiving towards her own son. She could smile and excuse a mistake from a neighbor's child, but when it came to her own Shen Yan, she would playfully swat him. Other people's children would find it awkward to administer discipline. That night, Shen Yan wrote an essay on traditional Chinese families, which garnered 1 million likes on social media. Upon arriving at the classroom, Chen Mingyue discovered that Shen Yan and Xia Yanchun were merely separated by an aisle, both looking exceptionally happy. Their bond was indeed delightful. Parents continued to arrive, and Su Kashi arrived precisely on time at the podium. With a little bee pinned at her waist, exuding professionalism, she spoke at length about the class discipline and reported on the academic situation. Going on and on with her discourse, students were unable to enter the classroom as the corridors were teeming with their peers. As Shen Yan escorted his mother into the classroom, he cleverly snatched a bottle of mineral water from Ma Mingfan's desk, having indulged in too many buns for breakfast. He found himself parched. Hey, do you want some? He whispered, leaning over the balcony and poking Xia Yanchun's arm with his index finger. Xia Yanchun replied, accepting the bottle. She had a speech to deliver soon, with a lengthy manuscript to recite, and the water would be perfect to soothe her throat. The water tasted slightly sweet. After taking a few sips, she capped the bottle and held it in her hand. Shen Yan reached out. Give it back to me. You want a drink? Xia Yanchun murmured, surprised. She had thought Shen Yan wouldn't drink from a bottle that had already been opened. Now, in front of so many people, how could she possibly hand him the water she had already sipped? Surely, they would tease her for it. I thought you didn't want any. Just grab another bottle for yourself. Shen Yan, dripping with sweat, jested, Jime, you are invincible, even stealing water. I only intended to let you have a sip. The banter about the water continued endlessly. Xia Yanchun tugged at Shen Yan's shirt, leading him to the nearest stairwell connection, where she shoved the mineral water into his hands. I'm truly at my wit's end with you. Innocently, Shen Yan replied. I'm thirsty. I haven't had any water all morning. Otherwise, you could have helped me grab a bottle. Thirsty yet you refuse to drink. Isn't that what I'm preparing to do? I thought of you first when I had water, yet you still blame me. It seems I was mistaken in my trust. Perhaps we should sever our friendship. All right. Drink quickly. You'll need it for your speech. Frustrated, Shen Yan twisted open the bottle, ready to gulp it down, yet Xia Yanchun pressed his hand down again. Wait a moment. What now? Without uttering a word, Xia Yanchun stepped closer, delicately wiped the bottle's mouth with the back of her hand, and then rubbed her hand dry, whispering, you can drink now. How can my imported water turn into domestic? Stop talking and drink. Xia Yanchun glared at him, flustered, watching him take the bottle into his mouth, tilting his head back. He drank greedily, finishing more than half of the remaining water. Conflicted feelings surged within her, while she internally berated him for being foolish. She couldn't help but steal a glance at his bobbing Adam's apple. As the water dwindled, she averted her gaze, running back to class with a flustered huff. Wait, why is she running away? Shen Yan wondered, also heading towards the classroom, the empty bottle in his hand, quite conspicuous. Passing by the office, he spotted Yan Yuzhu typing at her keyboard and took a detour into the office. Hello, Teacher Yan, Shen Yan greeted politely. Yes, is there something you need, Shen Yan? Hee, I have a small favor to ask. Last time, I asked you to help me find 10 copies of the monthly exam papers, right? This time, I would like the midterm exam papers from other schools. Of course, Yan Yuzhu replied with a warm smile, always treating diligent students like Shen Yan with utmost kindness. No teacher could disfavor a student who diligently adhered to their tailored study plan. I'll have them organized by the weekend and send them to you. You are the best teacher, truly. Yan Yuzhu chuckled softly, opening her drawer to retrieve 2 bottles of Wangzai milk from a pile. I previously promised you milk tea if you did well on your exam, but I want to treat you to milk tea. Wangzai milk is unlimited. Unlimited Wangzai? Teacher, are you trying to raise a soldier? Startled by the energetic Bishop Wangzai, Shen Yan stood at attention, declaring, I shall remain forever loyal to you, teacher. Yan Yuzhu expressed her satisfaction. She hadn't seen Shen Yan indulging in a bubble lately, which indicated his unwavering loyalty. Shen Yan casually discarded a piece of trash while clutching 2 bottles of Wangzai and made his escape. The Genius Retirement Home was a splendid place, offering complimentary Wangzai upon entry. After meandering through the corridor, Shen Yan did not spot Xia Yanchun, only to realize that she was already in the classroom rehearsing her speech. Xia Yanchun served as the student representative for their class, a dark horse in their midst. Although their speeches diverged in content, they shared the same essence, merely narrating the same core message through different stories. The lengthy manuscript was swiftly recited, and Xia Yanchun jogged out into the corridor, tossing her hair back and exclaiming, You've delivered that speech so many times, yet you still feel nervous? Shen Yan raised an eyebrow. A little bit. Come here. He waved the Wangzai in his hand. Did you go to the office? What for? I asked Teacher Yan for some exam papers. What axie? We have another open book exam coming up, and I intend to surpass you in the mock exam. Shen Yan's grin was playful, but Xia Yanchun recognized his earnestness. Dream on. Xia Yanchun held a sense of pride. We must wager. We must. No bets. Coward. Xia Yanchun poked Shen Yan's shoulder with considerable force, causing him to sway slightly. When I'm about to utterly crush you, I don't bet because I can't be bothered with you. It's the same now, understand? Shen Yan was taken aback. If there's no bet, then why are you poking me? Because I find you unpleasant. It's your turn to present. The teacher has called for you. Shen Yan responded with a heavy O, grasping his manuscript as he entered the classroom through the front door. Xia Yanchun stood by the window, hands behind her back, quietly observing his performance. Shen Yan, usually boastful and cheeky, she hoped to witness a flustered expression on his face, wanting to see him at a loss for words, considering how he often teased her. However, Shen Yan remained more composed than she anticipated, even delivering his speech with a touch of emotion. Upon seeing him take the stage, Chen Mingyue became utterly ecstatic. Oh my son is a dark horse, a model student, an ambassador of progress? How impressive. Chen Mingyue excitedly exchanged knowing glances with Wen Jining, her eyes brimming with unspoken joy. The parent-teacher meeting concluded around 11 o'clock. As soon as Chen Mingyue emerged, she lavished praise upon Shen Yan. What a remarkable young man to score 680 points. That's incredible. Shen Yan shrugged. Isn't it just about having hands? Show off, may lightning strike you. Xia Yanchun quipped. I wasn't referring to you, but if the shoe fits, don't say a word, or I'll knock you off your feet. Mom. He is threatening me. Shen Yan grinned, showcasing his innate charm. Amidst their playful banter, Shen Yan guided his mother around the school, ultimately leading her to the convenience store where he purchased a bottle of iced tea for $4.50. Mom, do you know how much this bottle costs? $5. Do you understand why my living expenses vanish so quickly? Spendthrift, you'll get an extra 100 next month. Chen Minhua laughed heartily. 688 points. I was drenched in the rain during the wheat harvest and couldn't gather it in time. This score is a lifesaver. If she achieves that score in the college entrance examination, she would treat Shen Yan like an emperor, ensuring that he only consumes chicken eggs and never duck eggs. Mom, could you perhaps reduce your consumption of short videos? I'm struggling to adapt. Isn't it enough that I indulge in this hobby and increase your living expenses? Alright. Dear mother, you have a point. Shen Yan remarked with a thumbs up. However, I won't require any additional living expenses. 800 is sufficient. I can sustain myself through fishing. Do you even have time for fishing? Of course. I study while fishing and sell my catch. I have already risen out of poverty, using the proceeds from fishing to purchase an electric bicycle. Unlike some individuals who, at a young age, solely focus on studying. What distinguishes that from lying flat? Upon hearing his self-deprecating banter, Xia Yanxun could not contain herself. Is achieving a score of 700 and lying flat truly comparable? That is quite impressive. Let us return to the topic of fishing. Shen Yan animatedly recounted to Chen Minhua and Wen Jining how diligently he studies and how he sells fish. His persistence, ambition, and determination were vividly expressed, yet not a single word rang true. Added 1600 words. Chapter 158. It appears we have grown quite close. In the previous chapter, I managed to add 4,000 words in the early hours. If you haven't read it yet, you might wish to revisit it. A high school student fishing to buy a car seems quite fantastical. Initially, Chen Minhua was skeptical. However, after Wen Jining mentioned how Shen Yan had gifted her fish during the National Day holiday, and with Xia Yanxun as a witness to his fish sales, Chen Minhua reluctantly nodded in partial belief. Balancing both studying and fishing. Could one person truly manage as if they were two? Recently, it would be best to refrain from fishing and focus on studies. We aren't lacking in funds at home. Understood. I once fished during the mock exam review. Shen Yan replied earnestly. The less he spoke, the fewer mistakes he made. His fish-selling ventures had been infrequent, netting him a few thousand yuan. Selling fish was merely a minor means of laundering money. Otherwise, he would struggle to explain the source of his funds. Without a plausible explanation, spending would become an issue. Money without expenditure is akin to having none at all. It would be impossible to conceal the purchase of an electric bicycle worth several thousand yuan. If he remained silent, Shen Yu would inevitably speak up. One line necessitates 10 more to maintain. Thus, a vague approach proved to be the optimal solution. Alas, the entire family is full of cunning. After the parent-teacher meeting concluded, the subsequent time was considered a holiday. Xia Yanxun eagerly dragged Wen Jining and Chen Minhua out for shopping, with Shen Yan accompanying them. However, he needed to first return the electric bicycle to the community before joining Wen Jining's vehicle to the mall. The mall was rather small, and after a few visits, Shen Yan found it tedious. Conversely, Xia Yanxun was always excited, eager to explore all the beautiful items, eventually gravitating towards Miniso to browse cosmetics and the like. She would only look, rarely buying, and would spend 20 to 30 minutes testing products, a rather tiresome endeavor. Shen Yan, let me buy you a new pair of shoes. As they passed a shoe store, Chen Minhua called out to him, hoping to reward him for his excellent exam performance. Oh, there's no need. I have several pairs already. Then how about a new set of clothes? Winter is approaching. We should purchase some winter attire. We can assist you in selecting them once we finish shopping. All right, Shen Yan nodded. His wardrobe did not see frequent changes. His outerwear and hoodies were the same few pieces, and it was indeed time for a refresh. However, he decided to wait for the girls to finish shopping first. Both sets of parents were present, and Shen Yan was aware that Xia Yanxun preferred to remain inconspicuous and not draw attention to herself. During their shopping excursion, she spent most of her time with her head bowed, engrossed in her phone, and refrained from conversing with him, while he, in turn, showed little inclination to engage with her. This had been their dynamic during their first 2 years of high school, silent and uneventful, with spoken words leading inevitably to quarrels. Mom, this piece is quite lovely. It would look even better if it were a bit smaller. I find this one rather appealing. Xia Chun, what do you think? Very nice. It suits Annie perfectly. Xia Yanchun also chose an autumn coat to try on, exuding a mature aura. After turning around twice in front of the mirror and feeling satisfied, she decided to purchase it. Chen Minyu also bought one, while Wen Jining did not find anything she liked and left empty-handed. Have you finished shopping? Yes, let us go get your things now. I could just order online. Since we're here, we might as well, Chen Minyu remarked, pointing towards the men's clothing store. Pick out whatever you like. A slightly higher price is of no concern. Scoring 680 points is far more valuable. I assent to it. Achieving 700 would be even better, Shen Yin chuckled. For 700 was no longer an unattainable goal for him. For the majority of families, such a score was akin to ancestral blessings, requiring fervent prayers to the heavens for 3 days and nights. Their family was ordinary, experiencing a range of emotions tied to academic scores. Throughout the outing, Shen Minyu wore a smile, appearing years younger, and Shen Yin contemplated purchasing a pair of shoes worth 2,000 yuan, believing his mother might just agree. In the men's clothing store, Shen Yin had yet to begin selecting items when the girls, particularly Chen Minyu, eagerly assisted him in trying on several pieces. Upon seeing the price tag, he was taken aback. One coat originally priced at 600 yuan was marked down to 488, leaving him astounded. Spending that much would be better spent on a meal at Haidaleo. What does it matter? Just buy something around 1 or 200, he said, returning the garments he had tried on to their hangers. He moved to another store, where prices were considerably more reasonable. As he was about to choose a couple of appealing jackets, he felt a sudden poke on his shoulder. Shin Yin, this one looks promising. Xia Yanshun pointed to a light-colored coat resembling a shirt, which had a nice layered effect and would pair well with long pants. Shin Yin was slightly taken aback. Xia Chun was helping him select clothes. He felt a surge of affection. Do you like this style? No. I merely think the clothing is aesthetically pleasing, she replied, meeting his gaze with unwavering confidence. Shin Yin stroked his chin and raised his hand, though he hesitated to tuck a strand of her hair behind her ear. Instead, he turned to retrieve the coat she had chosen to try on. The outerwear had a Japanese style, appearing fresh and relaxed, and was even warmer than he had anticipated. It matched well with his black school uniform pants, creating a vibrant look. You look quite spirited, Chen Minyu praised, even when Ji Ning chimed in with compliments, remarking, you are becoming increasingly attractive. Ahem, it's merely natural talent, nothing I can do about it, Shun Yin replied with mock seriousness. You're truly lacking in humility, Xia Yin Chun whispered under her breath. They say one should be charming yet unaware. Why does he boast so much? Shun Yin stood upright, embodying the essence of charm indeed. Xia Yanshun felt that Shun Yin always exuded a youthful charm, and in this outfit, his boyishness was almost overflowing. Perhaps a pair of glasses would enhance his appeal even further. It must be acknowledged that Shun Yin's physique indeed drew attention, and Xia Yanshun selected 2 additional pieces for him, each of which he managed to carry off with ease. After trying on several outer garments, Shun Yin ultimately chose the light-colored shirt jacket he had initially tried on, which was undeniably attractive and reasonably priced at just over 100. Shun Mingyue and Wen Jining rarely visited the city, so the two of them wandered about. Xia Yanshun had previously spent many outings with Li Shiyan, but now she found herself lacking interest. Her feet felt somewhat weary, and she could not muster the energy to browse through Miniso. So she sought out a row of massage chairs to rest, entrusting her belongings to Shun Yin. These massage chairs would emit a voice prompt if someone sat down without making a purchase, transitioning from a gentle reminder to a mechanical insistence to vacate the seat within 2 minutes. Your massage chair wants you to leave. I won't leave, Xia Yanshun huffed, finding the chairs, which cost only a few coins for a few minutes of use, rather disappointing and devoid of patrons. The attendant will come and chase you away. Let him come, we shall see. I intend to stay, she declared defiantly. Shin Yin, somewhat embarrassed, noted her audacity. When they approach, I will simply run away. If I lag behind, so be it, just enjoy your massage. Oh please, massages are a waste of money. Then I shall heed your advice, dear. Shin Yin, with his characteristic lack of shame, settled into the chair. Xia Yanshun cast a sidelong glance at him. This fellow, when alone, had taken to calling her dear. The duality of his behavior, presenting one face to family while concealing another, was oddly thrilling. Several times when they left together, she feared Shin Yin might sneak up behind her without familial oversight, but thankfully, he remained relatively honest. By the way, why did you help me pick out clothes earlier? Shin Yin reclined comfortably, his demeanor casual. I simply thought they looked good, he replied. Isn't that a bit too intimate? She retorted. Choosing clothes feels rather personal. Doesn't he it? Xia Yanshun pinched her fingers, dismissing his concern. What is the big deal? I find it perfectly normal. What, then, constitutes intimacy? At the very least. Holding hands or something akin to that. Good heavens, it appears we are quite intimate already. Xia Yanshun blinked in surprise, momentarily speechless before raising a finger in earnest. That was merely my way of indulging you out of indifference. We are not intimate at all, so do not misinterpret. Could you indulge me a little more, then? I would kneel for you. Absolutely not. Chapter 159. Early romance is ultimately a trivial matter. Xia Yanshun initially maintained her composure, but as Shin Yin turned away from her, her cheeks flushed a rosy hue. She had intended to find a topic to tease him about, but the mall offered little of interest, and soon their mothers returned. They all piled into Wen Jining's car, leaving Shin Yin and Xia Yanshun to occupy the back seat. The car did not carry the unpleasant scent of air fresheners. Sitting beside Xia Yanshun, Shun Yin caught a faint, delicate fragrance in the air. It was subtle enough to go unnoticed until he became aware of it, at which point its presence seemed to amplify. It was delightful, refreshing, and unmistakably the scent of zhuang bao. Here, Shin Yin said, retrieving a bottle of Wangzai milk from his pocket and offering it to her. How many bottles do you have? None, just 2 bottles. Did you give them all to me? I really did, replied Shin Yin, tugging at the pockets of his clothes, revealing nothing but his phone. Indeed, they were empty. Xia Yanshun, with an impassive expression, unwrapped the plastic bag from the straw and tucked it into her pocket, gently sipping through the straw as if even a small bottle of Wangzai could evoke a sense of ritual. The girl lounged languidly, her long legs demurely aligned. Shin Yin, observing himself, sat with his legs wide apart. He attempted to sit with his legs together for a while, but found it unbearably uncomfortable. Why must boys refrain from crossing their legs or sitting in a relaxed manner? It felt like oppression against masculinity, prompting him to instantaneously speculate about the divine gender of the creator. Quite absurd. Xia Yanshun, regarding him with disdain as he twisted and turned like a fish out of water, shifted to the window, resolutely ignoring his attempts at conversation. The towering buildings outside could indeed be considered a form of beauty, certainly more appealing than Shun Yin himself. By the time they returned home, it was already afternoon. Poor Shun Yu, burdened by overtime, could not attend the parent-teacher meeting and had yet to return. Shun Mingyue, upon returning to the neighborhood she hadn't visited in ages, immediately set out to check the rooms of Shin Yin and Shin Yu. To her surprise, Shin Yin's room was unexpectedly tidy, while Shin Yu's seemed to lack the touch of femininity. The living room was littered with rubbish, prompting Shun Mingyue to start cleaning up, despite Shin Yin's insistence on helping. Mom, when are you going back? Soon? Or maybe tomorrow, depending on Aunt Wen. Oh what? You can't wait for me to leave, right? Am I interrupting your youthful lives? Your mother was already surfing the internet when you weren't even born yet. Back in the day, your father would sneak onto the farm to steal my vegetables, blah blah. Mom, are you going back tonight or tomorrow? I'm quite tired from driving today. I think I'll head back in the morning. Okay. Xia Yanchun tossed her bags onto the sofa. Mom, I haven't really cooked here before. Hee. I'll go buy some groceries and make dinner for you. You should rest for a bit. There's ice cream in the fridge. Alright. I'll take a short break. Mom, go to my room. Yours hasn't been tidied yet. Xia Yanchun had always been well-behaved, which reassured Wen Jinong. The two children were of similar age, but Shen Yin was rather mischievous and often got into trouble, enduring many lessons from Chen Minhua. The young Shen Yin would sometimes try to shift the blame onto Xiaochun when he was reprimanded, claiming she was the one at fault. How could someone as well-behaved as Xiaochun possibly engage in such naughty antics? Having driven for a long stretch today, Wen Jinong felt genuinely fatigued. She lay down on Xia Yanchun's bed, and the waves of drowsiness and exhaustion washed over her. Adjusting her pillow, she was just about to drift off for a short nap when her eyes narrowed, and she noticed a short hair on the bed, twisting it between her fingers. Whose is this? Shen Yin's? The first person who came to her mind was indeed Shen Yin. The two families had been close for so long. The children were of the same age, attended the same school, and lived next door. They had often shared a bed in the past, which was understandable at that time. However, at this age, Wen Jinong pondered, this short hair could also belong to Xia Yanchun. Perhaps a tender strand that had fallen out before it could grow long. The daughter of the family is exceptionally bright, at her age. She surely possesses the discernment expected of her. It is inconceivable for her to share a bed with Shen Yin, even if it were indeed Shen Yin's hair. It might have merely fallen while he was sitting on the bed, engaged in light-hearted conversation. Wen Jining holds a great deal of confidence in Xia Yanchun, intelligent, quick-witted, independent, and vivacious. She possesses an abundance of virtues. How could she possibly act foolishly in such matters? Furthermore, even if, hypothetically, her daughter were to lack understanding, would Shen Yin not be equally astute? They are both remarkably clever children. This thought reassures Wen Jining, given their familiarity as childhood friends. Should they develop early romantic feelings, it would seem a trivial matter. As long as they remain within bounds, she is disinclined to intervene. Their playful banter is delightful. Xia Yanchun tidied up casually, opened the window to let fresh air into the room, and disposed of a bag of trash. Once everything was in order, she donned her shoes quietly and slipped out. In the corridor, she unexpectedly bumped into Shen Yin, who was also carrying trash. Are you taking out the garbage too? He exclaimed in surprise. Xia Yanchun nodded, intending to descend with him, when she heard Shen Yin cheerfully add, Great. Could you help me take it down, dear Chun? Xia Yanchun's expression darkened instantly. Take your dear and go. You can manage your own trash. Just as Shen Yin was about to set the garbage down and head back home, Xia Yanchun quickly grabbed his sleeve, glaring at him. We're going down together. It's not a favor. It's just a simple task. I still need to buy groceries. Come with me. My mom doesn't allow me to play with bad influences. If Xia Yanchun had whiskers, she would undoubtedly be puffing them in annoyance at that moment. This was Shen Yin's way of communicating with her when he had no intention of courting her favor. Their exchanges were a perpetual cycle of irritation. Either he vexed her, or she vexed him. Is the event back on? Ahem, so you truly want to accompany me? I find myself at a loss with you. Haha, Chun. Shen Yin called out to his mother, Mom, Xia Yanchun wants me to go grocery shopping with her. I'm heading out now. Go ahead. Bring back some groceries. Anything will do. Alright. Shen Yin closed the door, grabbed the trash, and hurried to the elevator. What are you standing there for? Let us go. Xia Yanchun remained silent, sulking, allowing Shen Yin to guess her mood as they descended together in the elevator. With no one around, Shen Yin, feeling mischievous, smiled broadly, and slowly reached his hand towards Xia Yanchun, just as his fingers brushed against her fair skin. She quickly tucked her hand into her pocket, holding the trash with her other hand, and muttered, What are you doing? Be good. They can't see us. That doesn't matter. We must maintain the pretense of being adversaries. Don't get too close. Just as Xia Yanchun was about to continue her tirade, Shen Yin tightened his embrace, and the remainder of her words were stifled by the warmth radiating from him. What are you babbling about? Mom can't see us, dear Chun. Just indulge me a little. Seeking 1,000 more updates. Chapter 160. Screenshot of brothers Xia Yanchun, caught in his embrace. Shook her arm but could not dislodge his large hand, a scenario she ought to have foreseen. You truly are not behaving at all. Upon hearing the words, Shen Yin flashed her a smile. Neither of them was particularly honest, and Chun Bao did not refuse. However, Shen Yin did not hold her tightly for long. After a brief moment, he released her. Where will you go to buy groceries? The market or the neighborhood store? The market. Then I shall drive. Shen Yin was quite familiar with the route, having previously sold fish in that area. Upon arriving at the market, he messaged his mother to inquire about what vegetables to purchase. In the culinary department, Shen Yu's cooking left much to be desired, and he lacked any strong opinions himself, rendering him unsure of what to buy at the market. Ultimately, he decided to heed his mother's advice, procuring some pork and green peppers, along with pork ribs for a soup. Considering only the three of them, including Shen Yu, there was no need for an extravagant feast. Were it not for Chen Mingyue's presence, both he and Shen Yu would have opted for takeout. Xia Yanchun was capable in the kitchen, but during high school, her time was scarce, coupled with the convenience of the cafeteria, so she rarely cooked. Weekends often found her too lazy to stir. Today was somewhat special. She had purchased several varieties of ingredients, her hands laden with large and small bags that pressed painfully against her fingers. Have you finished shopping? She glanced back at the idle Shen Yin trailing behind her. Yes, Shen Yin replied, lifting his bags. Just these. Is that all? We can manage with a simple dish and a soup. Alright, let's go. By the way, my mother returns only tomorrow. Oh, don't act all surprised. You are not allowed to come over tonight. Understood, understood, who would care? Xia Yanchun huffed, recalling how some people had clung to her for even 10 minutes yesterday. And today, she felt indifferent. You better remain indifferent, I don't want any noise in my ears. With that, Xia Yanchun exited the market, carrying her groceries. Though her bags were somewhat heavy, she was not so feeble as to require Shun Yan's assistance. That was unnecessary. It was not as though they were shopping at a mall. If it had been a mall, she would have certainly let him carry everything, not for any particular reason, but because not allowing him to do so left her feeling unsettled. They parted ways, and after dinner, it was already 6 in the evening. Shin Yu barely returned from work, pale and weary. The weekend overtime had rendered her almost zombie-like. At 10 that night, after finishing his shower, Shin Yan discovered that Yin Yuzhu had promptly sent over the consolidated midterm examination papers. Shin Yan, so quick. Thank you, teacher. Yin Yuzhu. Okay. After a quick glance to ensure everything was in order, Shin Yan took a moment to go downstairs and print all 10 sets of papers, feeling their weight in his hands. It seemed he would be engaged in some serious study tonight. The more papers, the healthier the preparation. After greeting the two individuals in the living room, Shun Yan retreated to his room, seated himself at his desk, and plunged into his studies. Tackling 10 sets of papers proved quite demanding. Even during the National Day holiday, he had not completed such a number, let alone while also attending school, which consumed considerable energy. Before long, it was already midnight, and the lights in the living room had dimmed. Shun Yan stretched his neck, drank some water, and found the study session rather dull. It was undeniable that he often relied on sheer enthusiasm to push through. Today was a bit more relaxed due to the holiday. Under normal circumstances, he would be engaged in high-intensity studying. Even in extreme situations, with the boost of enthusiasm, he still felt fatigued. Nevertheless, his efforts were indeed effective, yielding remarkable results, not only in learning efficiency, but even in the aesthetics of his handwriting, which had become both quicker and neater. Twirling his pen, Shin Yan set his academic aspirations to the highest of heights. The curiosity surrounding the students who achieved a score of 700 is quite perplexing, especially since BYD has not managed to secure a place in the prestigious institution. The situation is indeed daunting. However, perseverance is key. From a score of 550, I have ascended to 680. A mere point can surpass 1,000 competitors. Now, Shin Yan has already outperformed over 100,000 individuals, striving to surpass even more. Feeling somewhat disheartened, Shin Yan, with patience, considers continuing the pursuit of more formidable monsters when suddenly his phone buzzes. It's 12 o'clock, a QQ message. Yet again, a familiar notification appears. Xia Yanchun, dear, pipe. Alarm clock JPG, addicted to sending images, are we? Shin Yan chuckled in exasperation and decided to initiate a video call. After a ring of about 10 seconds, the screen finally revealed the interior of Xia Yanchun's room. The camera spun for a moment before settling on the ceiling, illuminating the space brightly, yet Xia Yanchun remained unseen. Shin Yan rested his chin on his hand, speechless. Are you hiding from me? Where are you? I'm reading. Xia Yanchun's voice was soft as she peeked from the side of the phone, her round, dark eyes gazing at Shin Yan's face. Studying so intensely? Regular studying isn't considered excessive, she remarked. Is it? I am also working on problems. Shin Yan repositioned the camera to show his test paper, having just completed one from the top-tier school. Yet you criticize me? Aren't you the one who is more diligent? I am merely reading, whereas you are actually writing. Normal studying isn't excessive, she retorted. Why did you video call me? He inquired. What do you think? Xia Yanchun propped her phone against her desk, drawing her feet up onto the chair, looking slightly innocent. I have no idea. You've become quite addicted to sending images, haven't you? Every day, right on time. Shin Yan teased. Just reminding you of the hour, she replied playfully. Finally unable to maintain her facade, Xia Yanchun broke into laughter, her youthful charm shining through. The grown-up Xia Yanchun was both sweet and endearing, devoid of the mischief she once possessed. Yet in Shun Yan's eyes, she remained unchanged, her eyes twinkling with cunning and amusement, revealing a mischievous side that startled him momentarily. I'll send you a punch, Shin Yan playfully threatened, mimicking the action through the screen. Xia Yanchun relished the moment, enjoying Shun Yan's flustered expression. I'm feeling quite cheerful now, but I'm getting tired. Do we have anything left to do? I think I'll call it a night. Let me see your legs, he requested. Oh, Xia Yanchun obliged, showing her calves along with her feet. See, calves are still legs. If you disagree with this logic, you won't be allowed to eat chicken legs next time, she quipped. Her bare feet resting on the dark chair, a hint of pink gracing her delicate skin. Shin Yan squinted, snapping a screenshot. You're such a pervert. Xia Yanchun quickly adjusted the camera back, her previously cheerful expression now flushed with embarrassment. Good moods always seem to be ruined by you, she exclaimed, though the source of her good spirits remained a mystery. Ah, well, if it's saved, she sighed, dismissing the matter. After all, it's just feet. I usually wear slippers or am in bed. You've seen them before. Then I shall sleep, but I still wish to complete a couple more test papers. Still writing? At this hour? You'll write yourself to death. How dare you curse me while you sleep? Xia Yanchun huffed, having already nestled into her soft bed, comfortably lying down with the blanket just covering her chest, outlining delicate curves. Her face was directed towards the camera, fixating on Shun Yan, who was still seated at his desk, his finger hovering over the red button, contemplating the end of the call. Why haven't you hung up yet? I'm watching you, he replied. The video call remained unanswered. As she hesitated to disconnect, Shun Yan, in turn, chose to remain on the line, leaning against the side, indifferent to the situation. He completed 2 multiple-choice questions, glancing at the video again to confirm that Xia Yanchun was still awake before returning his attention to his work. Hastily jotting down a few equations in his notebook and tapping his fingers lightly on the desk with utmost seriousness. Having rarely witnessed Shun Yin's focused demeanor, she felt a tingle of ASMR and couldn't help but yawn. Still not hanging up? Just observing your study session. I'm off to sleep. Shun Yin swiftly transitioned to the bed, adjusting his pillow. Once the light was extinguished, darkness enveloped the surroundings, and with the glow from the phone, his face appeared ghostly under the camera. In the past, during power outages, she enjoyed shining a flashlight on her face to scare young Shun Yin. Oh my, how wonderful Xia Jie is, she mused, her eyes crinkled with delight. Turning off her light, she noticed Shun Yin poking at the screen, prompting her to lower her voice and harbor a flicker of curiosity. What are you doing? Just taking a look at your legs? I captured a screenshot a moment ago. Xia Yanchun blinked, pursed her lips, and playfully raised her small hand, shaking it slightly. Do you want this? Shen Yin felt as though the world had crumbled around him. He had been thoroughly ensnared by Xia Yanchun. Certain missteps, once taken, could linger for a lifetime. This is absurd, truly. Shen Yin, flustered and stammering, said nothing, his expression betraying a sense of urgency. Observing Shun Yin's guilty, disordered, and struggling demeanor, Xia Yanchun couldn't help but smile inwardly, revealing a playful grin akin to his. You are blushing. How dare you fool? Shen Yin's face turned crimson, hastily ending the video call. What a ridiculous person. Is it amusing? All I see is a pilot being teased endlessly after a crash. Buzz. A message from Xia Yanchun appeared. Xia Yanchun, why did you hang up? Shen Yin felt a shiver down his spine. How terrifying it was that Xia Yanchun had a relentless pursuit. Shen Yin, I don't wish to converse with someone as foolish as you. Xia Yanchun, are you angry? Shen Yin, I am utterly infuriated. Xia Yanchun, then that means you are not truly angry. Xia Yanchun initiated a video call. Shen Yin cleared his throat, composed himself, and accepted the call. His eyes were met with Xia Yanchun's visage, perhaps due to her delicate skin, illuminated by the dim night, revealing the faintest blush on her cheeks. Even at the risk of blushing himself, he wondered if she would dare to launch an offensive. You little rascal. As the video call connected, Xia Yanchun was stifling laughter, saying nothing. Her smile was captivating, yet to Shen Yin, it felt overwhelming. Finally, he broke the silence. What is so funny? If there is nothing else. I'm hanging up. There is nothing. Xia Yanchun, through the screen of her phone, gently tapped his nose with her fingertip. Good night, I'm off to sleep. With a mischievous glance, she harbored doubts about whether Shen Yin possessed some underlying code that compelled him to utter the same phrase every time she drifted into slumber, be it during a midday nap in the classroom or a night's rest at home. Although she did not particularly mind, the necessity of rest prompted her to end the video call. Her heart raced slightly. She relished the sight of Shun Yin's flustered demeanor. Yet jesting with him was a game she found difficult to endure, often leading her to reminisce about various trivial matters. The following day, Sunday, Xia Yanchun had retired early the night prior, and by 9 in the morning, she groggily opened her eyes. Slipping into her slippers, she ambled out of her room, only to be greeted by a delightful aroma wafting from the kitchen. When Jining was busy reheating dishes, the sounds of clattering utensils echoing softly. As she emerged, when Jining remained oblivious to her presence. Mom, the girl exclaimed, her voice still laced with the remnants of sleep. Why are you up so early? You should brush your teeth and have some breakfast. I'll be heading back to town soon, her mother replied. Why are you leaving so early? Xia Yanchun inquired. Curiosity piqued. It might rain, when Jining said, affectionately smoothing Xia Yanchun's hair. With a pout, Xia Yanchun complied, brushing her teeth before joining her mother for breakfast. When Jining had also boiled some eggs, cooling them in cold water, a few grains of rice clung to the shells. Xia Yanchun painstakingly peeled the eggs, savoring each bite, but occasionally found herself choking on the yolk, prompting her to swallow a spoonful of porridge. After indulging in Shun Yin's breakfast offerings too frequently, she found the outside meals lacking the flavor of her own creations. If only she possessed Shun Yin's resolve to rise early, she would certainly prepare porridge for herself. Perhaps even extend her kindness by bringing him a bowl accompanied by pickled vegetables and a boiled egg, envisioning him moved to tears, calling her sister as he ate. Such fanciful thoughts filled her mind. When Jining, unaware of her daughter's musings, smiled gently before speaking up. Who were you talking to last night? I heard your voice around midnight while I was on my way to the bathroom. Just my deskmate, Xia Yanchun replied. It was not a lie. They were indeed deskmates, separated only by an aisle. I see, chatting so late. Young people nowadays tend to stay up until the early hours, when Jining remarked nonchalantly. I thought you were talking to Shen Yin. No way. That fool. I feel nauseous after speaking more than 3 sentences with him. But you were helping him choose clothes yesterday. Oh, I couldn't help it. When I saw something nice, I just had to assist him, Xia Yanchun admitted, feeling slightly guilty as she took a large gulp of porridge. When Jining chose not to press further, she typically refrained from meddling in the affairs of the two youngsters. Surely, they were too grown now to resort to the childishness of physical altercations. If they were still brawling, that would be rather immature. Especially considering Xia Yanchun could never rival Shen Yin, likely ending up bruised and battered. As the time drew near, when Jining prepared to head downstairs, and Xia Yanchun offered to see her off. In the corridor, she exchanged greetings with Chun Minyue, who happened to be leaving. Having caught wind of the commotion, Shen Yin emerged, standing at the doorway, glancing first at Xia Yanchun and then at Wen Jining. Are you leaving so soon? He asked. Yes, it might rain by noon, and driving could be troublesome. You two always bicker. Just remember not to fight like you used to. Dear aunt, you must keep Xia Yanchun in check, otherwise. That little rascal with his fist, as big as a sandbag dares to strike your sister. Such unruliness. Chen Mingyue interrupted the spell by tapping the top of Shen Yin's head. Upon hearing the words your sister, Xia Yanchun blossomed like a cloud unfurling, her spirit lifting. The aunt's words resonated profoundly. Xia Yanchun wholeheartedly agreed. With her mother present, Shen Yin dared not act up and obediently escorted them down the elevator. As they ascended, only the two of them remained. Xia Yanchun kept her distance from Shen Yin, regretting her playful banter from the previous day. Shen Yin cheerfully edged closer, nudging her soft form with his elbow, teasing, why the distance? Just yesterday, you seemed entirely unreserved. What happened yesterday? Oh, you have a second personality now. Are you playing Identity V? I don't play games. I was feeling dizzy and fell asleep, so I can't quite recall what happened. Don't crowd me, or I might just bite. Xia Yanchun huffed, feigning disdain, though her ears betrayed her with a hint of pink. Does the secret technique of Xia Hongshu allow one to become invisible? Quite impressive. I don't understand. Xia Yanchun averted her gaze, and as the elevator doors opened, she swiftly twisted her body and slipped past Shen Yin, darting into her home. However, she left the door ajar. Soon, she re-emerged, a warm egg cradled in her palm. I felt a bit dizzy before bed last night, truly. I can't recall anything clearly. So here's an egg for you. A little bribe. Chapter 161. Insisting on being the older sister, the egg was warm, yet not sufficient. Shen Yin took the egg and extended his other hand. How about a bottle of milk as well? There's none left, she retorted. Oh, you glutton. Xia Yanchun interrupted him, scampering back into the house. Unfortunately, there was indeed no milk, and she could only offer Shen Yin a small peanut to make up for it. After all, the prices were similar, and Shen Yin appeared to be just waking up. Since there's no milk, here's this for you. She insisted. Have you eaten breakfast? I have. Then take it and eat. Nothing happened last night. All right, Chuanbao, I've completely forgotten everything you said and did yesterday. You are not at all inappropriate. Go away. Xia Yanchun kicked Shen Yin's calf. Not only did it fail to inflict pain upon him, but her own toe also bumped against something, causing a dull ache. She felt a surge of irritation and thought that conversing with Shen Yin for a moment longer might throw her off balance. Not wanting to linger, she hurried home and shut the door behind her. Shen Yin, in high spirits, enjoyed a delightful mood. By noon, the sky indeed turned overcast, and soon a light rain began to fall. The cold wind brushed against Shen Yin's face, lifting a corner of his exam paper, prompting him to rush and close the window. After parting ways with Xia Yanchun in the corridor, he settled in his room to write the exam, his hand aching from the effort. The system's task was quite demanding, but it offered a reward of 10,000 gold coins and a title of senior adventurer. What more could be said? He simply needed to write. Creak. The door to Shen Yu's room finally opened, her fair wrist carelessly slipping beneath her clothing to scratch an itch. Upon noticing that Shen Yin's door was ajar and that he was seated at his desk engrossed in study, Shen Yu curbed a smile, pondering the efficacy of his efforts. Studying, you say? What marks did you achieve? She inquired. Didn't T-Mom inform you yesterday? No. She was utterly exhausted and scarcely uttered a word. Nothing was mentioned in the parent group chat. That's unfortunate. I only managed to score 688. Just 688? Wait, how much is that? Shen Yu's incredulity was palpable. As a product of the prestigious 985 university, now employed in a state-owned enterprise, she was acutely aware of the significance of such a score. What rank did you secure? Second in the class, 8th in the entire school. Impressive. Is this truly my younger brother? The same sibling who didn't even open his backpack throughout the summer and crammed at the last minute, now ranking 8th in the school? While scores can sometimes be inflated, rankings are impervious to embellishment. To be 8th at Sinan No. 2 high school is undoubtedly commendable, placing one within the top 50 in the province. Only one high school, Sinan No. 1, can compete with Sinan No. 2, as other institutions in the province lag significantly behind. Even if some students from other schools achieve high scores, it is unlikely to disrupt Shen Yin's standing within the provincial elite. However, it is essential for him to maintain this performance. Many students mistakenly believe a singular extraordinary achievement reflects their true capabilities, and one hopes Shen Yin does not fall into this trap. Admittedly, attaining 8th place in the school demonstrates considerable talent. Shen Yin chuckled lightly, shrugging nonchalantly. It's nothing special. The journey of learning remains arduous. That is quite enough. With that score, you could easily gain admission to Kyoto. Some towns go years without producing a single top student, and you consider yourself average? Am I truly this exceptional? Oh dear. He feigned modesty in the face of praise. I suppose my previous reprimands of Shen Yin were justified. Has Mom returned? Of course, just look at the time. Shen Yu yawned. I think I'll take a quick nap. Shen Yin's lips twitched. You've already slept half the day away. What is wrong with napping during a break? Well, sleep on then. Indeed, the variability of human constitution is astounding. Some can afford to sleep for 12 hours and still indulge in a brief nap. In that time, Shen Yin had already completed an entire set of exam papers. In the afternoon, the rain poured heavily. Fortunately, Mother and Aunt Wen had made a swift exit. Shen Yin had finished the Chinese and English sections of his second set of papers, but his back ached from prolonged sitting. If this continued, he might suffer from a herniated disc. Just kidding, my friend. I'm back in fighting form. He jested, relieved of his discomfort. Having quaffed some water in the living room, he suddenly heard a rustling by the door. Shen Yin paused, then watched as the door creaked open, revealing a furry little head peering inside. I thought it was a thief, and almost kicked you. You didn't even knock, he exclaimed. Summer Yanchun puffed out her cheeks. What is up? You didn't reply to my messages. I thought you had gone out. I was writing, and didn't notice my phone. Why would I venture out in such torrential rain? Who knows with you? You're hardly the average person. Do you know how to converse? Why am I considered abnormal? Shen Yin retorted with a smirk. Are you a celestial being? So what brings you here? I came to play with you, big sister. Xia Yanxun closed the door behind her, hands clasped behind her back, striding in with an air of confidence that carried with it a delightful fragrance. She slipped into the hall, yet failed to spot Xinyu. Glancing towards Xinyu's room, she wondered if she was still asleep, though it seemed a silly question. Xinyan stifled a laugh, recalling that Xinyu had gotten up briefly to eat before retreating back, possibly still awake, engrossed in her phone. You could knock, he suggested. Before he could finish, the door swung open, revealing Xinyu, who appeared to have risen, though she remained in her room. What is up, Xiachuan? Come in. Xinyu beckoned. With a cheerful grin, Xia Yanxun dashed inside and shut the door, leaving Xinyan in a state of bemusement, as if they were conspiring over something significant. In the past, they often gathered to plot mischief against him. A mystery Xinyan had yet to unravel regarding Xia Yanxun's intentions. Xinyu had little to say about her own affairs, while Xia Yanxun treated her as if she were family, not merely a neighbor. Xinyan felt a surge of frustration at the recollection of past incidents. Not long after Xinyan lay on his bed, Xia Yanxun emerged from Xinyu's room, giving a token knock on his door. Xinyan, I'm coming in, she announced before opening it. Clad in an autumnal ensemble with a loose outer shirt over a fitted base layer, she seemed unconcerned about her relaxed neckline. What do you need? Xinyan asked, pulling the quilt closer. Xia Yanxun tilted her head slightly. I just checked out some clothes with your sister. She is looking for a trench coat online, and I thought I'd drop by to see you. Just a casual visit, huh? You rascal, Xinyan replied, patting the edge of his bed. Weren't you shopping yesterday? No, I didn't find anything I liked. Rather than sit beside him, Xia Yanxun perched herself on Xinyan's desk, absent-mindedly flipping through his exam papers. She was surprised to see he had written extensively, each sheet densely filled with neat handwriting, nearly matching her own. A row of morning light pen refills lay half empty on the desk, along with a Xiaomi pen that had run out unexpectedly. You're quite diligent, she remarked, crossing her legs. What university do you aspire to attend? What do you think? Xinyan replied, resting his head on his pillow while glancing out the window. Honestly, I haven't made up my mind. Do you still want to apply to Sinan University? Yes, I prefer not to venture too far. Not even to Kyoto? Not really. Sinan University held a unique position. Its high school educational resources were somewhat imbalanced, with 3 exemplary high schools, yet only the first and second were truly proficient. The same applied to university. Besides the prestigious Sinan University, which was ranked among the top, the remaining options fell into the second-tier category. Although rumors circulated that several second-tier institutions might elevate to first-tier status soon, there had been no concrete developments. This suggested that if Xinyan's scores hovered around the first-tier threshold, he might end up attending university out of province. If he didn't become a dark horse, he would undoubtedly find himself studying elsewhere. Attending Sinan University locally might not be inferior to attending a university in Kyoto. The differences existed. But it was still a prestigious institution, especially considering Xia Yanxun's exceptional scores in her chosen field. Chapter 162. Abundant learning resources on mobile phones. Xinyan had scarcely contemplated the prospect of attending university. Given his tendency to complete summer assignments at the last moment, it was likely he would not delve into such matters until after the exams. In truth, it seemed rather premature to ponder. As long as his scores were sufficiently high, it was the students who selected their schools. With 7 months remaining until the college entrance examination, he felt entitled to entertain such thoughts. The question of which institution to target was one reserved for those whose scores fell short. If left to his parents, they would undoubtedly insist on the prestigious Tsinghua or Peking University without a second thought. Many elders exhibited this mindset. When asked about universities, they would remain silent. But mention Tsinghua or Peking University, and they would comprehend entirely. Gaining admission to these institutions could even earn him the privilege of calling his father father. It was entirely possible that in the future, Xia Yanxun might aspire to attend university in Kyoto. If you don't wish to go, then neither do I, Xinyan declared, reclining comfortably. But what if I do wish to go? Then I would like to go as well, Xinyan replied with a chuckle. You initially hoped I would attend school locally, so I shall accompany you. That isn't true. I never said such a thing, Xia Yanxun huffed. Who said you didn't? At the start of the semester, you lamented that if I didn't strive harder, I'd only be able to attend a first-tier institution elsewhere. Isn't that an expression of regret? Nonsense, I never said that. You did, indeed. Xia Yanxun pouted, unsure of the truth of her own words. 3 months had passed. Who could remember? Perhaps she had merely spoken in passing. How come you remember so clearly? I remember because I do. There is no other reason. I still recall the time you accidentally got cow dung in your mouth while playing with firecrackers. The girl's face blushed deeper than any romantic declaration. And Xia Yanxun felt a warmth from Xinyan. She had intended to counter with a sharp retort, but after a moment's pause, she swallowed her words. Chattering away about Xinyan for a while, Xinyan, indifferent, scratched his ear and chuckled. You scold me, yet you still smile. This isn't mere affection? Xia Yanxun murmured under her breath. Xinyan's laughter ceased at that, and he cleared his throat, patting the edge of the bed. Chunbao, I have something urgent to discuss. Come sit closer, and I'll tell you. Xia Yanxun sighed, realizing that he sought closeness yet required an excuse. He had often embraced her without her consent before. She went to close the door and then gently sat at the edge of the bed. What are you doing? Didn't you say you weren't interested? I never said that. You just said it yesterday. I don't recall. I felt dizzy yesterday and can't remember clearly. This seemed familiar. Xia Yanxun playfully pinched Xinyan. You silly boy. Ouch. Have you remembered? I have indeed. What an incredible feat of memory. Earlier, when she pinched him, it hadn't hurt much, but now. It seemed she had learned to pinch him painfully. Xinyan grimaced, rubbing the spot she had pinched, realizing that foolishness was such. When successful, it was met with laughter. When failing, one could only await their fate. Soon, He sat upright, moving beside Xia Yanchun, draping his blanket over her. Chunbao, cover yourself with the blanket. I'll fetch some fruit. He dashed out, and Xia Yanchun, with a pout, wrapped the blanket around herself a little tighter. Shen Yin refrained from turning on the heating, leaving the room rather chilly. With the rain and the drop in temperature, Xia Yanchun indeed felt a bit cold. Now, wrapped in a blanket, she felt considerably warmer. She quietly pinched the blanket and held it to her nose, catching a whiff of the familiar scent that lingered from riding on the back of his electric scooter every day. Taking a deep breath, she curled her feet up and covered herself snugly, using Shen Yin's pillow as support behind her back, leaning against the headboard. Shen Yin returned with a basin of green grapes, a tablet in hand, and asked in surprise, "Why are you lying down?" "I'm just leaning, all right," she replied. "No difference, just moving a bit, thank you." As Shen Yin squeezed to the edge of the bed, Xia Yanchun had no choice but to shift towards the center. "Are you going to watch a movie?" "Yeah, I'm a bit tired of studying." Even if Xia Yanchun hadn't come over, Shen Yin had intended to pass the time watching videos and playing games. He had already devoted more time to studying today than most would in 2 or 3 days. A diligent high school student who studies seriously on a Sunday is bound for success. "What do you want to watch? I can put it on for you. Just watch what you want. I'm afraid if I watch something you don't like, you'll leave." Xia Yanchun blinked in surprise, then added, "It's fine. I can hang out here for a bit." Xia Yanchun, more industrious than Shen Yin, had studied alongside him for an entire morning. With the heavy rain outside and a lack of interest in mobile games, she had come to seek Shen Yin's company for advice on buying clothes. "Juan Bao is magnificent. Let me bow to you," Shen Yin said, feigning gratitude. "Then bow," she replied. "I was just kidding. You really want me to bow? Baby, we are the best in the world. Don't be too harsh, all right? Who are you calling the best in the world? Who is your baby? At least we are no longer pure-blooded rivals, considering we shared a bed." "That is true." Xia Yanchun brushed her hair, unsure how to respond, and awkwardly tugged at the blanket, covering herself more completely. Her little feet playfully pressed against Shen Yin's. "Your feet are so small next to mine," he remarked. "Give me your phone." She changed the subject, her cheeks unexpectedly flushed. "Checking up on me? What are you talking about? Don't say such things." Xia Yanchun grew more irritated, tapping Shen Yin's leg and saying sternly, "Hurry up, why are you so on edge?" "It's nothing, you didn't say anything, and I felt insecure." Shen Yin handed her his phone, which contained a wealth of study materials, while others were still ignoring risks. He had already downloaded Teacher Huang's advanced physics exam questions explained in 12 lessons. This was a true treasure trove. After studying, he could easily score points on the physics exam. He often indulged in watching it late at night with headphones on, a secret he kept to himself. Not having entered Shen Yin's password in quite some time, Xia Yanchun pondered for a moment before unlocking it. She swiped left and opened his photo album, only to discover he had indeed taken a screenshot. Casting a sidelong glance at Shen Yin, she deleted the screenshot of their video from yesterday right in front of him, ensuring even the 30-day recoverable trash was cleared. "Damn it, you owe me," Shen Yin said, genuinely flustered. "Happy Mid-Autumn Festival. Wishing everyone a joyful reunion every day." Chapter 163. The softness of a young girl's belly. Xia Yanchun feigned indifference, her eyes devoid of emotion as she regarded him. "What compensation are you talking about? The screenshot is mine, after all. It is indeed on my phone." Shen Yin defended his stance with reason. "You agreed to show your feet, and the screenshot was disclosed without any objections at the time. What does deleting it mean now? With the 666 version leading, you can retract your agreement, can't you? And yet you claim not to be a little fairy. I might just challenge you to a duel, seriously." Shen Yin, being ahead in the external server, had no choice but to engage in a magical confrontation. Xia Yanchun, uninterested in playing along, retorted, "You've deleted it. What use is it to me now? Then why keep it?" Shen Yin was momentarily at a loss, stroking his chin before suddenly adopting a different expression. "I'll keep it to see if I have any ill intentions. We are not perverts, after all." "Then delete it," she insisted. "Good riddance." Xia Yanchun's disdain deepened. With a flushed face, she returned the phone to Shen Yin, shifting slightly to create a small gap, then leaned against him. Regardless of whether Shen Yin had decided to pursue a closer relationship before or after, she was unreserved in leaning against him. Even during their frequent quarrels, she enjoyed resting against him while sharing the same vehicle, finding comfort in sleep. What is a sibling relationship without a bit of bickering? Why not take advantage of having a brother? All right, let us not argue about that. Hurry up and find something to watch, or I'll head back. By the way, my buddy is watching a horror movie that might scare you to death. You don't think I'd be so cliched as to cling to you in fear, do you, Shen Yin?" Shen Yin, with his mismatched eyes, poked her forehead in confusion. "What are you talking about? I haven't even started watching. And you're already leaning on me." Xia Yanchun blinked, feeling slightly embarrassed. "What is wrong with that? Whatever you say is what it is." Shen Yin, uninterested in retorting, was more than happy to have her lean against him. He was somewhat soft himself, not particularly athletic, and in this moment of complete relaxation, he was often surprised by the softness of Xia Yanchun's body, especially when she was either hugging him or resting against him. His Adam's apple moved involuntarily as he searched for a well-reviewed bloody film on Douyin. This genre typically emphasized violence and gore, with the infamous Texas Chainsaw Massacre being a prime example. Shen Yin enjoyed such films. Xia Yanchun was not particularly fond of horror movies. Instead, she preferred watching explanations of them on Douyin, especially those with high-energy countdowns. She had seen a bit of bloodshed films, but had never finished one completely. She didn't like this genre. She watched it only when it appeared, and if left to her own devices, she would likely gravitate towards more artistic or entertaining comedies. "Is it good?" she mumbled softly. "I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it. Want to switch to another?" "Suit yourself. I'm fine either way." Shen Yin had already been considerate of Xia Yanchun's feelings, and since she had expressed her thoughts, he was determined not to change the film. Reclining slightly, he positioned the tablet across his abdomen, crossing his legs to avoid any awkwardness without a blanket to cover them. As adults, Xia Yanchun immediately discerned the intention behind his subtle gestures and kindly shared half of the blanket with him. To the unknowing observer, she might appear to be a compassionate older sister. "You've taken all my blanket," she remarked, suppressing her dissatisfaction. Shen Yan found himself at a loss for words. With no other recourse, he gently pulled her small hand, which clutched the blanket, towards him to caress it. Her hands were cool and smooth. And Shen Yan found himself enamored, wishing to warm them, subtly shifting his body closer to her. Xia Yanchun nestled against Shen Yan's shoulder and chest, while he tenderly pressed his hand against her hair. "Zhenbao, what are you doing?" Shen Yan felt an itch at his neck. A few rebellious strands of her hair had escaped and slipped into his shirt, tickling him. "Nothing, just eating some fruit," she replied. Shen Yan plucked 2 green grapes and offered them to her lips. As she reached out to take them, he brought his hand even closer, his fingertips nearly brushing against her mouth. In that moment, their defenses crumbled. Xia Yanchun hesitated, then opened her lips to accept the grape from his fingers. Feeling a flutter of uncertainty within her, Shen Yan reclined slightly, while she surrendered almost her entire weight to him. It was fair to say they were lying on the same bed. With that thought, she straightened up just a bit. She contemplated when she might become the best in the world, allowing her to fully recline on Shen Yan's form. For now, she only had a fleeting taste of that aspiration. Her small movements evoked laughter from Shen Yan, especially around his neck, where he felt irresistibly drawn to her. Yet, she remained blissfully unaware, exuding a lazy innocence. Shen Yan tucked her hair behind her ear and playfully pinched her soft cheeks. After a few seconds, Xia Yanchun grew impatient and swatted his hand away. "You can't help but fidget, can you?" she teased, too weary to scold him. The film began with a typical setup, several college students camping, complete with 2 couples and a chubby friend. They pitched tents in the wilderness by a riverbank. And soon the female students began shedding their clothes to don bikinis for a swim, an all-too-common trope in films seeking to exploit visual appeal. "Is this a horror movie? I thought it was something else," Xia Yanchun remarked, exasperated. "You're quite blunt," Shen Yan replied with a chuckle. It's hard not to be suspicious with such an introduction. As expected, that night of camping saw the couples engaged in various escapades. With ample risque scenes captured on film, Xia Yanchun grew increasingly uneasy, swiping the screen to ensure it wasn't some obscure title before reluctantly continuing to watch with Shen Yan. The film, laden with gory scenes, soon introduced a grotesque creature wreaking havoc, splattering blood everywhere, leaving Xia Yanchun momentarily stunned. So it really is a horror movie, she thought. Engrossed in the unfolding chaos. Just as she was captivated by the thrilling spectacle, Shen Yan began to squirm, his hand stealthily sliding under the blanket to rest gently on her abdomen. Xia Yanchun snapped back to reality, grasping his restless hand, her almond-shaped eyes wide. Reflecting his somewhat foolish expression, she mused that he must have been a weasel in a past life. She understood his intentions. Yet if he merely rested his hand on her belly, she could tolerate such familiarity. It is merely an ordinary embrace, albeit in a different posture. While driving, Shen Yan would rest his hand upon her abdomen, and she had often cradled his belly as well. She nuzzled against Shen Yan's arm, playfully reminding him to behave. Indeed, the young woman's abdomen was delightfully soft. In Chapter 164, The Grass by the Nest, it becomes evident that attempting to keep Shen Yan in check is utterly futile. She is all too aware of the kind of person he is. The large hand resting on her lower abdomen was anything but still. It would occasionally sneakily curl a finger to tease her, stirring her heart into disarray. In response, her smaller hand grasped his fingers, preventing his playful antics. With Xia Yanchun absent, Shen Yan had initially intended to watch a movie. Yet, the allure of The Grass by the Nest had captivated his thoughts entirely. The self-control that had sustained him for 3 months crumbled in the presence of Miss Grass by the Nest. His vantage point allowed him to glimpse the delicate curve of the young woman's fair collarbone, accentuated by her slight shivering, causing the already loose neckline of her top to reveal a hint of pure white fabric. As his breathing grew heavier, Shen Yan could not resist nuzzling Xia Yanchun's fluffy hair, overwhelmed by an urge to envelop her completely in his embrace. The intensity of his breath did not escape her notice. She met his fervent gaze, and in his eyes, she recognized a flicker of desire. Xia Yanchun, feeling a flush of embarrassment, instinctively drew back her neck, her heart fluttering. She hurriedly removed his large hand from her abdomen, feeling it insufficient, and playfully tossed his hand from beneath the blanket. Shen Yan, unfazed, twirled her hair around his fingers, offering her a gentle stroke, and teased, "He. Miss Grass by the Nest is truly nearby. What nonsense. I cannot comprehend," Xia Yanchun replied, wrapping the small blanket tighter around herself, forbidding further playful banter. "Let us not speak of that. Let us watch the movie." Fortunately, Shen Yan refrained from any further advances and genuinely focused on the film. He even shared a few sarcastic remarks about the film's absurd plot, such as the protagonist wielding a weapon yet failing to deliver a finishing blow to the deformed creatures, or missing a shot at close range. However, such gory films often lack logic. No matter how acclaimed, they have their limitations. This genre is best suited for commentary. Once the film concluded, Xia Yanchun sat up from the bed, her tone somewhat languid as she remarked that the film was utterly unappealing. Merely violent for the sake of violence, and devoid of intellect. Indeed, horror films tend to follow this pattern. You ought to seek out psychological thrillers. They are the most terrifying, she suggested. Perhaps next time, Xia Yanchun nodded, only then realizing her feet had unknowingly found their way onto Shen Yan's. She quickly set them down. Certain scenes had indeed startled her, Although the jump scares were somewhat rudimentary, they proved effective. For she hadn't even realized when she had begun to grip Shen Yin's fingers, squeezing them in her nervousness. Outside, the rain poured relentlessly. The raindrops tapping against the window with a crisp sound, casting a somber ambience within the room. This atmosphere seemed more conducive to study. With the movie over, it was time for Xia Yanqun to return. She shuffled to the edge of the bed, slipped into her slippers, and glanced back at Shen Yin, suddenly struck by a thought. Indeed, tomorrow, being Monday, there will be a school meeting where awards will be presented. You are certainly due to receive an award. The top 10 students will be honored with special prizes and a scholarship of 4,000 yuan. As for the Progress Award, I am uncertain if it will be awarded this time, but if so, it might range between 1 to 2,000 yuan. I have never received the Progress Award. Shen Yin scratched his head, nearly forgetting about the certificates as well. The homeroom teacher will likely announce it during the evening study session, but since we are staying off campus, I wanted to remind you just in case. No wonder you are so affluent, consistently earning 4,000 yuan with every exam. You think so? With free money available, Shen Yin had no reason not to feel elated. Those who can attain a special prize are undoubtedly the top scholars in the province, and the school is quite generous in its offerings. This reminder from Xia Yanqun made Shen Yin recollect the honor roll. He would probably have to go take a photo next week. In the past, he was the top student in mathematics. Now, he ranks 8th in the entire school. Are you heading back? Shen Yin also sat up, moving closer to her. Otherwise, stay for a meal. I'll ask my sister to cook for you. Xia Yanqun's lips twitched, a forced smile gracing her face. It doesn't seem as appealing as Chishi. However, she could not voice this. It would not be wise to let Shen Yin report her to Shen Yu. Perhaps it's best to decline. I have some leftover food at home. Shen Yin felt a wave of relief wash over him. That is good. I thought you were genuinely going to agree, almost believing you were a Chishi enthusiast. Shen Yin was undoubtedly the one who disrespected Shen Yu the most. The closest connection. Xia Yanqun swung her feet, stood up, and declared, I'm heading back now. Indeed. I originally intended to seize the moment and steal a kiss, but since you've said that, let us save it for next time. Xia Yanqun's eyes widened in disbelief. Is this even appropriate? What nonsense is this about a kiss and next time? How could he utter such words? Logically, this should have been a plan, but he blurted it all out. Fortunately, Xia Yanqun was sharp-witted, her mind racing as she quickly deduced his intentions. Shen Yin was merely giving himself a precaution against any future advances. If it had been another girl, she would have undoubtedly been swept off her feet by Shen Yin. But she was familiar enough with him. Rivals are rivals, and their long-standing enmity was not without reason. Although she had guessed Shen Yin's motive, her cheeks still involuntarily flushed. In the blink of an eye, had their relationship evolved to the point of being able to share a kiss? The more she pondered, the more disconcerted she felt. Seizing the opportunity, Xia Yanqun kicked him playfully, thinking, as if, with that, she dashed away, fearing Shen Yin might unleash his desires and capture her. The following day, Monday. After the rain yesterday, the floor remained damp, and Shen Yin still did not go for his workout. The weather began to cool again. Shen Yin was fine. But Xia Yanqun, whose skin was already delicate, found her ears and nose turning slightly red from the chill, necessitating the adjustment of her hoodie's cap. Breakfast consisted of ordinary meat buns and soy milk, with Shen Yin adding an extra serving of tofu pudding. Throughout their journey, Xia Yanqun hardly spoke. And whenever Shen Yin attempted to initiate a conversation, she merely responded with vague affirmations. When did we become strangers again? Shen Yin, driving, was perplexed. Since the moment you mentioned wanting to kiss me, we have been estranged. How splendid. Alight from the vehicle and walk to school on your own. Shen Yin said with a relieved smile. In a fleeting moment, a small figure pressed against his back, declaring, my car does not accommodate strangers. You fool. Hurry up and drive. Xia Yanqun pouted, wishing to pinch him, but her thick clothing hindered her, leaving her to sulkily scold him instead. Your insults sound like a child's sulk. Shen Yin, do you possess any conscience? I have treated you so well, and yet you dare to kiss me. I swear I would trample you. After listing the benefits, what about the drawbacks? Alas, the high-spirited Xia Yanqun had vanished, replaced by her rival persona. She decided to sulk, leaving Shen Yin to guess her thoughts. Shen Yin, enjoying the peacefulness, drove with one hand while the other grasped Xia Yanqun's hand that was wrapped around his waist, playfully squeezing it. Chun Bao did not resist, absorbed in her own sulking. In the classroom, as usual, there were few students present. Chen Dong and Ma Mingfan arrived quite early, though Chen Dong appeared somewhat zombie-like. Lacking energy and spirit, Shen Yin nudged Ma Mingfan, gesturing toward Chen Dong. What has happened to my son? Look at him. Ma Mingfan wore a peculiar expression. What does that have to do with me? Chen Dong is not Xiao Nanliang. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. If you don't tell me, how would I know if I understand? Ma Mingfan shrugged. I was busy with that 8 treasure porridge operation. Lu Tao dragged me into it. And within 2 minutes of landing, I got possessed. It's been like this since last night's evening study session. Shen Yin, unfamiliar with the 8 treasure porridge operation, genuinely did not comprehend. By the way, how is it that you and Liang Jing became acquainted? I have never seen you converse before. Chapter 165. The Mediterranean Principal stood at attention. Liang Jing? Ah, that's interesting. Ma Mingfan rubbed his nose, turning around with a clatter. I returned home during the last national day and discovered she was on the same bus, sitting beside me. A fellow townsfolk? More or less. Is there such a thing as more or less? Ma Mingfan organized his thoughts. We were merely on the same route. I live in the city. She resides in the town, and I got off halfway. Although the distance isn't great, we shared the ride. Her phone was dead, so she watched me play games. I even let her try it out. She said she would download it and play with me when she had time. What were you playing? Can one truly find their Hinata and Naruto? Ma Mingfan shook his head, I was playing mobile Minecraft. Oh, that's a relief. Shen Yan felt reassured. Ma Mingfan waved his hand, seemingly recalling something, and began to vent to Shen Yan. Let me tell you, Shen Yan. There are too many scams at the 10 yuan stores these days. I asked the owner about something priced at 10 yuan, and he clearly stated that everything in the store costs 10 yuan. I had my eye on a refrigerator, but he refused to sell it. Isn't that absurd? Shen Yan raised an eyebrow, pondering. When I question this, it's not because I have an issue, but rather I suspect there's a flaw in your reasoning. Shen Yan began to doubt whether Ma Mingfan's head contained the dreadful apple pie of the neighbor lady. He refrained from conversing with the foolish. Provided it does not rain, the flag-raising ceremony must take place on Monday, followed by a student reciting a speech, and then the leaders will deliver their addresses. Not only students, but also some proactive teachers share a similar sentiment. Leadership speeches often extend into the first period, encroaching upon valuable class time, leading to incomplete lesson plans, which inevitably causes a disarray in the review schedule and results in inconsistent progress across two classes. The ground remains damp, and the schoolyard, adorned with grass, leaves shoes littered with clippings after a brief stroll. However, today's award ceremony has shifted Shen Yan's perspective. While queuing, Tsukashi deliberately approached Shen Yan to inform him of her upcoming award presentation, encouraging him to stand by the podium. Many students in the class received second and third prizes. However, due to the abundance of recipients, these awards would be distributed by the homeroom teacher back in the classroom rather than on stage. In contrast, the special prize, first prize, and progress award would be conferred in front of the entire school. Lacking experience in receiving awards, Shen Yan followed closely behind Xia Yanxuan, his spirits lifted by the sight of her swaying ponytail. Hey, should we stand apart or together? He inquired, peering curiously at her. Excitement bubbling within him for his inaugural moment at the podium. Shen Yan did not discern her earlier frustration, which seemed to dissipate on its own. The 10 recipients of the special prize could stand freely, so she suggested he stand beside her. Oh, okay. A petite girl, a first prize winner, joined them. This young girl was also remarkable, excelling in academics, possessing an endearing appearance, and enjoying a stroke of fortune, even boasting a prominent family background. Was this fortunate fate predetermined at birth? If I can't find a job after graduating from university, will your family's company hire me? Shen Yan's sudden inquiry caught Li Shiyan off guard. Her small hands fidgeted together. You, with such high scores, how could you possibly struggle to find a job? I wouldn't. I was just hypothetically speaking. Perhaps you would, she replied cautiously. After all, her family did not own a company, merely a somewhat larger studio. Discussions about hiring Shen Yan could wait until a real company was established. When one reflects on it, with Shen Yan's consistent performance, securing a place at a prestigious institution, it seems unlikely he would face unemployment unless society were to plunge into a significant crisis. During the award ceremony, students called to the stage lined up in a row, with the Mediterranean-haired principal personally presenting certificates to the special prize recipients. Holding the special prize certificate for the first time, Shen Yan felt a weighty significance attached to it, far surpassing that of the third prize. Indeed, the special prize embodies the essence of technology, perseverance, and effort. Everything I have today is a result of my own hard work. Come on, let us see your limits. He chuckled, momentarily miscalling the system's name. After the 10 special prize students captured their commemorative photos, the first prize was next, followed by the 3 Good Students Award, and finally, the Progress Award. In comparison to the consistently high-achieving students, the dark horse of the Progress Award was evidently more compelling. Prior to the awards, the principal would read an extensive speech. Now, we shall honor those students who have shown remarkable improvement in their scores compared to the last major examination during the midterm. From Class 3 of the senior year, Huang Zixin, with a total score of 621, has improved his rank by 92 places in the school. In the third year, Class 5, student Wu Ting achieved a total score of 584, elevating his rank by 103 places within the school. Those whose names were called beamed with pride, their postures becoming more upright. While the total score may not be particularly high, the significant improvement in rank was indeed exhilarating. As the saying goes, scores may be inflated, but ranks are not fabricated. In Class 23, Zhao Jichao attained a total score of 636, ascending 190 places in the school ranking. Shen Yan observed his comrades, initially weary from standing, suddenly straighten up to receive their certificates upon hearing their names, unable to suppress a smile. The young man stood at attention. In Class 31, Shen Yan garnered a total score of 688, his rank soaring by 539 places. The principal, while reading, paused and scrutinized Shen Yan. Hold on, young man, you seem familiar. Did you not just receive the special award? The principal appeared somewhat bewildered, as the Progress Award is conferred only when a student shows substantial improvement over 2 examinations, making it puzzling for the same individual to receive both accolades. As the principal continued to read, the statistics revealed by other officials led to further doubts. Shen Yan, with a total score of 688, had indeed risen by 539 places. The jovial boy standing next to Shen Yan fell silent. Are you serious? How is this possible? What is your total score? What about your rank improvement? Are you suggesting that from the end of last semester to the midterm exam, excluding the 2 months of summer break, you advanced by 500 places while maintaining a score of 688? Even in dreams, such a feat seems unattainable. The murmurs among the students grew louder. Though Shen Yan could not discern their discussions, he could surmise their sentiments. After all, his remarkable score increase was indeed extraordinary. When the principal announced the rank, his gaze towards Shen Yan transformed. Over the years, from teachers to principals, he had never witnessed such an impressive achievement. With newfound respect, Even the Mediterranean-haired principal stood at attention. As the award ceremony for the Progress Award concluded, Shen Yan requested his special award certificate to be taken by Xia Yanchun. I inadvertently improved by 500 places. My apologies, my friend. I shall endeavor not to improve so drastically next time. Holding his certificate, Shen Yan passed by various first-year classes, where some exuberant boys greeted him with enthusiasm. You are incredible. Is it true that your rank improvement is beyond belief? Senior, your presence is mesmerizing. It's making me a bit starstruck. Shen Yan chuckled, feeling somewhat embarrassed by their exuberance. As the sole third-year student to have advanced by over 500 places, his demeanor bore a maturity that set him apart from his peers. An air of composure amidst the forgetfulness of the past. Regrettably, the scholarship would not be dispersed immediately. It required approval from the homeroom teacher, who would then notify the parents and request the student's bank account details for the funds to be transferred. Shen Yan understood this, as even high school students, despite being of age, were often treated similarly to minors, with many matters needing parental notification. Everyone in the class is aware of his academic performance, so there isn't much of a reaction. However, the gazes from other classes in the senior year occasionally drift towards him. The disparity in rankings is rather exaggerated. One might mistakenly think he is a prodigy. Upon returning to class, lessons proceeded as usual. Shen Yan no longer found it necessary to attend lectures, spending most of his time working on his own practice papers. 2 consecutive periods of Chinese were sufficient for him to complete an entire exam paper. When Sukashi conducted her rounds and saw him engrossed in his work, she chose not to intervene. She had already heard from Yen Yuzhu about Shen Yan requesting exam papers, so it came as no surprise. Shen Yan had already demonstrated through his results that his study methods were effective. Thus, Sukashi found no reason to insist he attend classes. Forcing him to review with the teacher could yield counterproductive results. Li Shiyan also performed admirably, with a bit of effort and a stroke of good luck. She might even secure a spot at a prestigious university. The thought that her class could potentially produce 3 students bound for elite institutions made Sukashi feel elated. You 3 must strive for excellence. The teacher is pleading with you. After class, during the lengthy break, Sukashi summoned Shen Yan and Xia Yanchun, the 2 recipients of special awards, to her office. She first instructed them to contact their families using their phones to provide the bank account numbers for receiving their scholarships. Then, she pulled out her phone, apologetically explaining, I intended to take your photos this afternoon, but I have some commitments, so I must take this time during your break instead. Let us proceed downstairs to capture your half-body portraits. You all must be no strangers to appearing on the honor roll. The honor roll required not only photographs, but also the announcement of names and rankings, from special awards to first prizes, culminating with the top achievers in individual subjects, all of which needed to be recorded. Additionally, they were to include a personal motto. The lengthy break lasted only 25 minutes, and Sukashi hurriedly led them downstairs to a patch of blooming flowers, where she took their photographs. Now, take some time to think of a life motto and let me know before noon. I must take my leave now. You may head back up on your own, Sukashi said, pulling up her sleeves as she walked toward the school gate. Not far along, she received a phone call, indicating she indeed had matters to attend to. The wind was a bit chilly, rustling through her soft hair, prompting Xia Yanchun to instinctively huddle her neck. Let us head back up. Shall we go to the convenience store? The words almost tumbled out simultaneously, and Shen Yan clicked his tongue, gesturing toward the store with a thumb, grinning, please, if not, then forget it. Not going is a missed opportunity. Since it was during the lengthy break, the convenience store was quite crowded. The store offered a variety of overpriced snacks, and Xia Yanchun, not as tempted as Shen Yan, was at a loss for what to buy and simply followed him around. Seeing Shen Yan heading toward the drinks section, she quickly tugged at his shirt. Are you buying more drinks? Aren't you worried about high uric acid levels? If that is the case, I want tea drink. Shen Yan replied, shifting to her side. You should buy something. Some spicy strips or chips would be fine. If you're hungry, get some sticky rice chicken rolls. I have money. Xia Yanchun muttered softly, I don't know what to eat. Then I'll help you with your purchase. Shen Yan grabbed a bag and filled it with several chicken feet and duck feet. The chicken feet, duck feet, and duck necks are perhaps the least overpriced items at the corner shop. They are sold for $2.50 outside, while the school shop offers them for $3, still within an acceptable range for Shen Yan. By noon, Shen Yan's backpack had long run out of snacks. While waiting for Chun Bao to fall asleep, he planned to venture outside to purchase more. All right. Your little bag is about to burst, Shen Yan. Xia Yanchun playfully tapped Shen Yan's wrist. Why buy so much? Indeed, you could never be my sister, he retorted. What nonsense. Clarify that. Xia Yanchun felt a bit flustered, her patience tested. If it were my elder sister, she would definitely make me buy a whole bunch to take back so she could snack while watching variety shows. Yet here you are, my esteemed class monitor, even preventing me from getting a few more. True, no one has decreed that there can only be one type, Xia Yanchun replied defiantly. A sister is still a sister. Even 2 biological sisters can have different habits, let alone in my case. She wouldn't fall for Shen Yan's tricks. One could say that being the top student in the grade allowed him to think quickly. Shen Yan couldn't outsmart her, and in the end, he bought just over 10. While queuing to pay, Shen Yan rummaged through his pockets, his lips twitching. Oh no, I forgot to bring cash. Xia Yanchun, with a forced smile, produced a $50 bill from her inner pocket. Remember to pay me back. Consider it done. Shen Yan cheerfully completed the transaction, pocketing the change with a gleeful chuckle. It's mine now. Thief. Give it back. Not a chance. Woohoo. Shen Yan had already dashed away, his long legs taking large strides. He nibbled on a duck foot in the classroom, while Xia Yanchun pouted her lips, returning through the back door, angrily like a little bull. With many familiar faces around, she chose not to confront Shen Yan. In class, Shin Yin supported his chin with his hand, pondering the life motto for the honor roll. Such a public declaration to all students and faculty must radiate positivity and enthusiasm. He quickly jotted down a line on paper. Advertising space for rent, $5 a day. Wow. Shin Yin was momentarily stunned by his own entrepreneurial spirit. With such acumen, he would surely succeed in any endeavor he pursued. Spin around, Xinyu, Miaojia, Pinduoduo, Taba, and the gentle cat girl. All roads led home. The 3 morning classes were quite effortless for Shin Yin. Now, as long as he did not disrupt the classroom, the teachers would not admonish him. Having ranked 8th in the school, what more could they say? Could they accuse him of lacking diligence? He devoted his time entirely to writing exam papers. The monotony of writing wearing on him. During the lunch break, Shin Yin rushed to the cafeteria. Xia Yin Chun had yet to go for lunch, and he was already full. Xia Yin Chun arrived late, finishing her meal just past 12:40, obediently seated at her desk. Ahem, do you have any water? Shin Yin cleared his throat, pulling out a chair from the desk in front of Xia Yin Chun and plopping down in front of her, grinning. After consuming 2 duck feet and a bowl of rice for lunch, he felt parched. Xia Yin Chun merely glanced at him and pretended not to hear, returning her attention to her book. Shin Yin placed his change on Xia Yin Chun's desk. Xia Yin Chun merely huffed in response. Isn't there water? Drink it yourself. I don't have a cup, he replied. With all the drinks you consume daily, you don't have even an empty bottle? Shin Yin shook his head. I threw them all away. With a heavy sigh, Xia Yin Chun wore an expression of helplessness and produced her small water cup, which was still half full, crying. We truly are the best of friends. Who is your friend? Hey, don't drink straight from the cup. Shin Yin downed the water in one go, a few drops splattering at the corners of his mouth. In winter, the water is always cold, yet it felt incredibly refreshing. He wiped his mouth, saying, It doesn't matter, I'll wash it for you later. You must be doing this on purpose. Are you angry? Xia Yanchun furrowed her delicate brows, stretching her toes comfortably forward, resting her chin on her hands. I dislike you, you pighead. Shin Yin paused and chuckled. It seems we are indeed rivals. What do you mean? Our thoughts never align. Xia Yanchun blinked her almond-shaped eyes in confusion, unable to comprehend how they went from being rivals to discussing thoughts. What are you talking about? I don't understand. What thoughts? You dislike me. I like you. Indeed, rivals are truly opposites in every regard. Chapter 167. Whispering Shin Yin always had a knack for uttering words that left Xia Yanchun utterly flabbergasted. It had been so in the past, and it remained so now. Upon hearing his words, her gaze immediately turned evasive, her head lowering slightly, her cheeks betraying a rosy hue. What nonsense are you spouting? She fidgeted with her hair, taking a long moment before pretending to casually blow a bubble. I'm not spouting nonsense. Is this a confession? Xia Yanchun was unsure, not knowing how to respond. So she bit her lip, waiting for Shin Yin to continue. However, he offered no further explanation, merely gazing intently at her youthful face for a while. Shin Yin grinned, taking her hand without permission, cradling it between his own, playfully squeezing and kneading until her hand flushed as red as her face. The girl's hands were cool and tender, and perhaps due to her naturally shy demeanor, they quickly warmed under his touch. What do you like about me? Xia Yanchun couldn't help but ask. Shin Yin pondered for a moment, momentarily at a loss for words. After a series of hesitant uhs, he struggled to articulate. Xia Yanchun pouted slightly, her expression one of disbelief. You must be joking, right? Bro, I'm speaking from the heart. Though you have many flaws, your virtues are rather scarce as well. Shin Yin hurriedly moved to Li Shiyin's seat, shifting his chair closer to hers. Chunbao, that is not what I meant. This classroom is a place for learning. Let us discuss something academic. Xia Yanchun shot him a resentful glance, ignoring his hand that had crept up. You know this is a classroom. You clearly don't take it seriously, suddenly saying such things. Haha, you're right. Shin Yin didn't wish to elaborate, gently brushing his fingers against her cheek. But I wasn't speaking out of turn. If you don't want to hear it, I want to say more. The blush on her face remained persistent, and she sensed that she might not be able to sleep at all this afternoon. The neighbor boy, who grew up alongside her, expressed his fondness, yet it was not a confession. Shin Yin did not articulate any desire to pursue a romantic relationship. It was merely a statement of fact, casually uttered. As for what he liked about her, she paid it no heed. It was akin to her aversion towards Shin Yin. Despite not being able to pinpoint the exact reasons for her disdain, a peculiar unease enveloped her, and Xia Yanchun instinctively shrank her neck, muttering, I didn't say anything unreasonable. I dislike you. Don't be disheartened, dear Zhuangbao. Let us venture outside to procure some snacks. I shall treat you. Truly this time, I won't swindle you, he said. Have you watched The Wolf is Coming? Your trust in me has been utterly depleted. If I had to choose between believing you and the first emperor of Qin, I would unhesitatingly side with the latter. Is that so? In truth, I am the first emperor. I sought the elixir of immortality, only to be deceived. The potion was merely a reincarnation pill, allowing the user to be reborn with memories intact. If you send me 500, I shall secretly take you to the tomb of the first emperor to find my steed, the polar bear. Xia Yanchun could only stare as he rambled on. There is something far more disconcerting than being adored by a Yandera. It is the attention of a fool. After he finished his animated speech, Xia Yanchun feigned agreement, saying, You ancient folks may not know, but it's fashionable to pay after receiving services. First, take me to the polar bear, and then I shall send you 500. Now, I must sleep. Then sleep, he replied. Xia Yanchun retrieved a small pillow and obediently closed her eyes. However, the lingering after-effects of their conversation made it impossible for her to entirely disregard Shin Yin, especially with his hand resting on her arm, unashamedly. She subtly turned, opening one eye to glance at the person beside her, who lay with his face turned towards her, blinking. Shen Yan? Yes. Do you truly like me? Indeed, he retorted. But do you genuinely dislike me? Xia Yanxun blinked twice, her breath quickening, her feet restless against the table's crossbar, producing an unpleasant sound. She is asleep, she murmured. Shen Yan understood the answer. Whether or not he heard Xia Yanxun say it aloud was of little consequence. Such a tsundere you are, he thought. Yet, he pretended to be vexed, leaning closer to her buried head and nudging her with his forehead. You leave me hanging mid-sentence, don't you? Taking advantage of her semi-conscious state, Shen Yan drew nearer, his hands playfully tugging at her arm and waist, making Xia Yanxun stifle a laugh, giggling softly. She held on for quite a while, but eventually lifted her head slightly, blushing like a pufferfish. You're laughing. It seems you are aware of the game you're playing with me, he teased. Huh, not at all, she retorted, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Impish girl, he murmured, brushing against her face and hair, tenderly nipping at her delicate ear. The warm, damp sensation startled Xia Yanxun, causing her to instinctively retract her neck, incredulously covering the ear that Shen Yan had playfully bitten, her eyes reflecting his face, lips pressed into a thin line. She felt as if she could hear him swallow. Or perhaps it was merely her imagination, until she truly witnessed the movement of his Adam's apple. Xia Yanxun lowered her gaze. You still nibble on my ear? I was actually planning to kiss you. Shen Yan bared his teeth, feeling that it was still somewhat acceptable to express his affection for Xia Yanxun. But now he found it increasingly difficult to suppress the unusual emotions stirring within him. What a beautiful thought, but I really must sleep. As the clock approached 1, Shen Yan ceased his playful antics towards Xia Yanxun. Although his heart was somewhat restless, it was, after all, her nap time. Xia Yanxun, lacking exuberance, understood the significance of a good rest. He slung his backpack and ventured outside the school to procure some snacks. The classroom was deserted. Xia Yanxun rested her face on her hands, her thoughts a chaotic whirl. The moment she recalled Shen Yan's admission of affection, a flurry of blossoms unfurled within her heart. The ear he had nibbled still radiated warmth, a lingering heat that enveloped her for quite some time. At 2 in the afternoon, the clouds parted to reveal the sun, dispelling the remnants of yesterday's downpour. Shen Yan returned to the classroom with his backpack, and Xia Yanxun appeared to have just awakened, sitting dazedly at her desk. Her eyelids heavy. This sleepy version of Chun Bao was utterly adorable. Shen Yan hung his backpack, leaned on her desk, and gently brushed his fingers against her soft lips. Startled, Xia Yanxun instinctively covered the ear closest to him, only belatedly realizing the moment called for a feigned battle face. I went to wash my hands, she declared. Shen Yan anticipated her response. Who asked you? Shen Yan remained silent, merely grinning foolishly. One by one, classmates trickled into the classroom, appearing as if they had been dead for 2 days, slumping over their desks to continue their slumber. The afternoon passed without significant events. Even the teacher seemed lackluster, covering a few problems before allowing the students to study independently. For Shen Yan, it made little difference. It was all merely about writing exams. The 80 papers before him were indeed a monumental task, and without a spark of enthusiasm, he would have to forego 2 magical pills. Chapter 168. Still renting advertising space, Dong initially intended to ask Shen Yan whether he wished to play a game of Go. However, upon turning around, he was startled to see Shen Yan engrossed in his exam papers, triggering a moment of sheer panic. You ought to be damned. Huh. Shen Yan glanced around, wondering if he had somehow crossed into a realm where the most handsome met their demise. What are you writing? Why is there an exam paper from another school? I got it from the teacher. Wait, are you actually using exam papers from different schools as practice? Indeed, Shen Yan nodded. Is there a problem? Dong was genuinely flabbergasted by Shen Yan's audacity. Fine, perhaps Shen Yan shouldn't be condemned. If he's this far gone, what more can be said? This special award should rightfully belong to him. Do you want to play Go or not? No, I'm busy with homework. Dong, with a face full of sorrow, displayed his partially used workbook, flipping through the pages for Shen Yan to see, lamenting. These are the remnants of our past, each page a trace of our shared experiences. Let them remain sealed in our memories. Seriously, have you been infected? Has the Chun Shoyu virus finally spread? I long to play, Dong sighed. Since Shen Yan refused, he turned his attention to Ma Mingfan, who was already slumped over the desk, asleep, his brow furrowed and his body restless, as if ensnared in a nightmare. Dong, fearing for his friend's life in slumber, hastily slapped him, rescuing him from his torment. Ma Mingfan jolted awake, gasping for breath. Where am I? In this world, it is a matter of survival of the fittest. Dong consoled. Congratulations on being among the last to survive. And what about you? I inquired. Both Shen Yan and I have become souls. Damn it. Ma Mingfan took a deep breath, yet still expressed his gratitude. I nearly perished in that world. Wait. Did you just traverse into the realm of cultivation, and during your tribulation, did your disciple and partner conspire against you, leading to your demise, only to be reborn anew? Are you out of your mind? Ma Mingfan was bewildered by his deskmate's sudden lapse into foolishness and quickly shifted his seat. Shen Yan, amused by their banter, set down his pen and interjected, what did you dream about? Ma Mingfan wiped the sweat from his brow. I dreamt that Tangwa confessed her feelings to me. Shen Yan and Dong's expressions shifted dramatically. The mere arrangement of those words sent chills down their spines. During evening self-study, in the second period, Shen Yan had already commenced working on the 3rd set of exercises, demonstrating an unexpectedly rapid pace, even swifter than during the National Day holiday. Of course, this was also due to his heightened proficiency. The experience gained from the dim light training was subtle yet immensely beneficial. Dim light training is truly remarkable. It is akin to a husband who, after a long day's work, falls into slumber upon returning home. Without such a character, the entire film would lose its essence. Yet one would not specifically seek out that character while watching. Greatness requires no embellishment. There will always be a system to bear the burdens for one's companions. Who says that only those who stand in the light are considered heroes? Suddenly, Xin Yan was struck on the head by a crumpled piece of paper. Frowning, he glanced at Xia Yanchun, who was seen making a gesture of unfolding a note. If there's nothing of importance, I might have to rein you in. Xin Yan thought to himself as he opened the note, revealing Xia Yanchun's tidy handwriting. Are you there? Xin Yan felt relieved. It turned out that Haji Chun was simply bored and had playfully targeted him. He replied with another note. You better have something worthwhile to say, or I may indeed have to control you. What is your life motto? Write it down for me, and I will inform the homeroom teacher to have it recorded. Upon receiving the note, Xia Yanchun was filled with confusion, glancing between Xin Yan and the note before finally showing it to Li Shiyan. It seemed that Xin Yan could see numerous question marks floating above the heads of the two girls at the adjacent desk. Perhaps feeling played, Xia Yanchun refrained from responding to Xin Yan's note. After the evening's self-study ended, Xia Yanchun stood up and glanced at Xin Yan, saying, the homeroom teacher asked us to find her and report our life mottos for registration. Oh, Xin Yan thought to himself. This would be a convenient opportunity to take a break. Only those who received special awards and first prizes could have their mottos inscribed, while only the special and first prize winners were eligible to write their so-called life mottos. Xin Yan and Xia Yanchun were special prize winners, while the petite girl had secured a first prize. This time, Shindong missed the mark and could not attain the first prize, thus missing out on a life motto. Shindong's life motto in his second year of high school was a moment's ease can lead to a lifetime of regret, conveying the message that one should not indulge in temporary comfort at the expense of a lifetime. It was undeniably positive energy, much to the approval of the leaders. In the corridor, Xin Yan nudged Xia Yanchun with his elbow. What is your life motto? The internet is filled with inspirational quotes, striving until exhaustion and fighting until one is moved by their own efforts. Such positivity. Xin Yan lightly poked Li Shiyan's shoulder and asked, what about you? If I had ambitions, I wouldn't stop halfway up the slope. Wow, that's quite serious. It doesn't have the flair of your QQ name, Li Shiyan murmured to herself, feeling it was rather mundane. What is your life motto then? Xia Yanchun could not help but inquire. Haven't I told you already? Are you serious? Absolutely. Xin Yan's expression turned peculiar, and she wondered if Xin Yan's mind was a bit unhinged. Did Xin Yan's mother give birth to him upside down? Can such a life motto truly be conceived by a poet? Indeed, Xin Yan was quite close to the divine, yet distanced from humanity. His ability to achieve top awards allowed him the liberty to craft any life motto he desired, leaving her with no grounds to argue further. Upon entering the office, everyone gathered around Su Kashi, sharing their life mottos. And you, Xin Yan, what is your motto? Su Kashi inquired while typing away at her keyboard, recording their mottos until she finally turned to him. Xin Yan cleared his throat and declared, advertising space for rent, 5 yuan per line. This elicited a cascade of question marks. Nearby, Yin Yuzhu nearly spat out her drink, stifling a laugh. Another English teacher, recognized as a genius by the system, looked over in astonishment. Is he displaying a commercial acumen at such a young age? Impressive. Oh, so it's Xin Yan. Now it makes sense, Sukashi thought, both amused and exasperated. Is this not suitable? Xin Yan appeared dejected. Then let me try another. Among 10 lotus flowers in the pond, I shall only pick one, leaving you to gather the other 9. Sukashi nodded, eager to record this saying, but after typing a few words, her demeanor shifted. To be ranked 8th in the entire school is already quite inflated. If you were to achieve first place, it would be quite the spectacle. Never mind. Achieving 8th place in the school and within the top 50 in the province is commendable. I shall acquiesce. After some contemplation, Sukashi decided to include Xin Yan's advertisement in her records. Chapter 169. A brother should always warm his sister's heart. Upon returning to the classroom from the office, Xin Yan took out several duck feet from his backpack, distributing one to Xia Yanchun and Li Shiyan. Li Shiyan immediately tore open the packaging and began to nibble on it slowly, reminiscent of an elderly lady with no teeth. Meticulously savoring the flesh before discreetly spitting out the bones, a true delicacy. Xin Yan felt he possessed a hint of gluttony himself when consuming duck feet. He would only discard the largest bone, while the smaller joints were chewed and swallowed. Xia Yanchun, less tempted, tucked her duck foot into her pocket and turned to Xin Yan. Would you like to buy a water bottle as well? Huh. Xin Yan shook his head. I generally prefer to buy water directly. Then keep an empty bottle for water, don't dispose of it so quickly. Xin Yan grinned. Realizing that Chu Bao was concerned, he might continue using her water bottle. Lunch was unexpected, and he felt too lazy to go out. Unrelated to other matters. I merely wish to remind you that having a water bottle is quite beneficial. Xia Yanchun brushed her hair and turned her face away, having said this. She ceased further conversation with Xin Yan. As the class commenced, she, being the monitor, had to appropriately manage the discipline of the classroom. Perhaps out of respect for Sukashi in the office, everyone was rather self-disciplined today, and there were few disturbances. Even the occasional murmurs quickly faded away. After the evening study session, Xin Yan exited the classroom in a state of vexation, contemplating whether he should purchase a water bottle. What made you change your mind again? Xia Yanchun raised an eyebrow. Feeling a bit parched earlier, he found himself without a water bottle or any beverage. He wouldn't dare to ask Xia Yanchun for her water bottle during class. If he had, she certainly wouldn't lend it to him. The black duck flavor was still too salty, so next time, he would opt for the refreshing flavor. Ah, you realize your mistake, don't you? Xia Yanchun said with a hint of schadenfreude. So, do you wish to buy water now? I might as well buy a water bottle while I'm at it. Oh, typically, one could find such water bottles for sale at trendy shops along the roadside, adorned with various accessories like hair ties, DIY stickers, and stationery. all reasonably priced. Shen Yan selected a black one, featuring a soft cap shaped like Batman, thinking it looked quite cool. However, Xia Yanchun disapproved. This one is much better, she remarked, choosing a sunflower water bottle that was far more appealing than his gloomy selection, as it was transparent. Isn't this meant for girls? It even has a straw. They are all for drinking water. As long as it looks good, that suffices. Shen Yan found himself conceding to Xia Yanchun's point. Since she favored it, he decided to purchase it. With his scholarship included, he felt a bit like a wealthy young man. Those who graduated 2 years earlier might not even have as much savings as he did. He was already contemplating whether to splurge on a small car outright when the time came. Would you like to buy anything else? No, I have enough. All right. Next time I visit your home, I'll take a couple more. Oh, so you're the reason my collection has dwindled. I see you've been pilfering them. Hey, you misplaced them yourself. Don't blame everything on me. I only took one blue one. It must have been you who stole it. Everything is my fault. Is it? Using my account, huh? Xia Yanchun cheerfully settled into the back seat of his bike, not far from home. Both she and Shen Yan were too lazy to wear helmets. Along the roadside, numerous barbecue stalls were bustling, and some intoxicated individuals, caught up in a conflict, appeared ready to brawl. Shen Yan quickly found a place to park and, lowering his voice while feeling a bit excited, elbowed Xia Yanchun. Look, there is going to be a fight. Let us not leave just yet. Let us take a look. There are tattoos too. You should drive a bit further away. What is there to fear? I could drive 50 meters away if it comes to that. Xia Yanchun also enjoyed watching fights. She would certainly pause to observe any spectacle occurring along the way. Keeping a distance was prudent, as one could never predict how the situation might escalate. The two tables of individuals shouted at each other, but were eventually persuaded to disperse, and by the time Shen Yan drove away, no actual fight had broken out. On Thursday, the temperature dropped, reaching a low of merely 11 degrees. Shen Yan donned the light-colored autumn jacket that Xia Yanchun had helped him select during the parent-teacher meeting. The coat, slightly elongated and rich in layers, paired effortlessly with a pair of long trousers. The fabric was of exquisite quality, a testament to Chuanbao's discerning taste. Xia Yanchun wrapped herself snugly, resembling a little sparrow. As she opened the lid, a waft of steam rose from the bowl of millet porridge. She cradled it in her palms for warmth, her delicate hands reddened by the cold. Without a touch of hand cream, her skin was prone to cracking. Indeed, the chill in the air was palpable. Shen Yan exhaled into his hands, gently placing them over the young girl's rosy ears to keep her warm. For winter had officially arrived. Xia Yanchun casually responded, inserting a straw and sipping the hot porridge, her eyes curving with delight. On a frigid winter day, a mouthful of warm porridge was truly gratifying, warming her stomach and her ears alike. Chuanbao's expression was almost melting away. A brother should always provide warmth to his sister. While Shen Yan was driving, she entertained herself with her phone, switching hands whenever one grew cold from the wind. When both hands felt the bite of the chill, she mischievously pinched Shen Yan's earlobe. That's excessive. Shen Yan felt a tingle from her antics. If you keep this up, you'll regret it when I take a tumble. He warned. Who told you not to wear a helmet? Oh, it's unnecessary. It's just a few minutes drive. You didn't wear one yesterday, either. But I wore one today. And you did not. I refuse to converse with someone so hypocritical. Shen Yan fell silent, grasping Chuanbao's small hand and slipping it into his pocket. This was reminiscent of ancient bandit kings who would seize their captives and never let go. Xia Yanchun attempted to pull her hand away, but Shen Yan showed no intention of releasing her. With the back of her hand pressed against his warm palm, Shen Yan enveloped her hand in warmth. Xia Yanchun huffed, securing her phone, and her other hand joined the first in Shen Yan's pocket, making his pockets bulge. At the school gate, Shen Yan parked the car and quickly caught up with Xia Yanchun, extending his hand to the nape of her neck. Eek! Xia Yanchun immediately recoiled, breathlessly grasping Shen Yan's hand to toss it away. Are you out of your mind? Hee hee, my foot. I'll step in dog poop and shove it in your mouth. Shen Yan's smile faded, and he ceased his playful teasing. During the long break, Shen Yan capped his pen, concluding a segment of his exam paper. Writing 10 sets of exercises was still quite a task. What he had anticipated to finish swiftly had dragged on until Thursday. Nevertheless, he had made considerable progress compared to before. System notifications soon followed. Main quest, promotion to senior adventurer. Completed, reward, 10,000 gold coins. Title, senior adventurer, charm 3, stamina 3, agility 3. Unlocking main quest, corruption of demonic energy. The demon general under the demon king has descended. The terrifying demonic energy will corrupt all things. As a senior adventurer, with the warmth of countless homes behind you, wield your sword and vanquish the demon general. Reward, 50,000 gold coins. Chapter 170. Mastering the culinary arts. 2 task panels appeared in succession, and Shen Yan studied them line by line. What the hell? First, he battled low-level monsters, then intermediate ones, followed by high-level beasts. And now he faced a formidable general under the demon king. Were they progressively escalating from the lesser to the greater? Following the established pattern, this general would likely serve as the first mock examination of the month. Indeed, in a certain sense, this creature was a significant figure beneath the demon king. The new reward consisted solely of gold coins, which Shen Yan initially regarded with indifference. However, the sum was staggering, 50,000 gold coins, coupled with his current savings. He could afford a modest automobile. He had previously mentioned purchasing a car upon graduation, and it seemed that day was approaching sooner than anticipated. Yet, Shen Yan was not foolish. Acquiring a vehicle so hastily would undoubtedly invite scrutiny from his family. A few thousand for an electric bike might pass unnoticed. But suddenly unveiling a purchase of over 100,000 for a small car would raise suspicions that even acceptance to Tsinghua or Peking University could not dispel. The newly acquired Advanced Adventurer title automatically replaced the Intermediate Adventurer status, setting aside the attributes of charm and stamina for the moment. The additional 3 points in agility provided Shen Yin with a tangible sense of the system's enhancements. Agility not only improved his movement, but also heightened his focus and reflexes, which he could now perceive even without deliberate attention. His gaze turned towards the window, and it seemed as though he could see further than before, such a direct and terrifying enhancement. Could it be that I truly possess extraordinary abilities? Am I genuinely capable of responding like a prodigy? Am I, in fact, a genius youth? With heightened sensitivity, the world around him felt sharper. The sound of footsteps was discernible even through the high-end headphones that cost 28,000. As for charm, Shen Yin no longer paid much heed. It was as if it existed in abundance, a reflection of his very self. The slight increase in stamina was of little consequence. He felt invigorated and rarely experienced fatigue. Effortlessly capable of running a full marathon. He contemplated participating in a nearby marathon competition someday. After class, Qin turned to him, asking if he was going to the restroom. Not going, Shen Yin replied curtly, new clothes. What do your new clothes have to do with that? You idiot. You'll end up soaking me. Dong chuckled in exasperation, recalling how often Shen Yin had been the one to inadvertently spill on himself. He playfully slapped Ma Mingfan, urging him to wake up. Otherwise, he might be chased down by the overly sweet candy. Startled me. You dog, Dong, Shen Yin quipped, feeling no urge to relieve himself and too lazy to make the trip. A few days prior, he had purchased a new water bottle, and he had been adequately hydrating since, rarely indulging in beverages anymore, whereas he used to consume 2 or 3 bottles daily since acquiring the water bottle. He had only bought an iced tea once during Tuesday's gym class. Was it fair to say that giving up sugary drinks was a form of self-discipline? However, this notion held little significance for him. It was merely a matter of habit. Unfortunately, Xia Yinjuan strictly monitored his beverage consumption every time he contemplated buying a drink. Her disapproving gaze seemed to convey, oh no, not again. The corner by the wall and window is rather peculiar. It becomes sweltering in the summer and frigid in the winter. Even with the window closed, one can still faintly sense the chills seeping in from outside. Could this truly be the coldest year yet? With the early onset of winter already bringing temperatures down to 11 degrees, it seems plausible that snow might fall today. Shen Yin, resting his chin on his hand, found himself in a reverie until he sensed someone approaching. Turning his head, he locked eyes with the stealthy Xia Yanchun, who had crept closer. What are you doing? He inquired. Xia Yanchun quickly shoved her small hands into her pockets. Oh, nothing. Just thought I'd come over and take a look. Shen Yin forced a smile, replying, I suppose the Agile 3 is useful after all. I nearly fell victim to that wicked woman. You better not be trying to freeze me. How could I? I'm not that malicious. Xia Yanchun awkwardly moved to the window, opening it slightly. The icy wind rushed in, stinging her fair face with its sharpness, causing a slight ache. Really, there's nothing wrong. I'm feeling a bit dizzy. I thought perhaps a view might alleviate my eye strain. Don't flatter yourself. Shen Yin, no one is eager to be near you. But you are right next to me now, aren't you? Well, I'm here to admire the scenery, of course. This car is certainly a car. This weather is undeniably weather, and this view is quite the view. Xia Yanchun helped Shen Yin tie back the curtains, brightening the corner by the window considerably. She pulled out a chair beside him and extended her hands. Do you have a big treasure? My hands are freezing. Idiot, I don't have any. How had he managed to play with so many girls since childhood? Did everyone else harbor secret affections besides himself? Xia Yanchun pondered life's mysteries and discreetly withdrew her hands. I don't have a big treasure either. We're just buddies. I can buy you a bottle when we head out for lunch, can I? No need. I'll borrow from someone else. I'm off. Xia Yanchun stood up, propping herself on her knees, and pretended to leave. Just 2 steps behind Shen Yin. Her hand darted swiftly to poke his neck. Wow. Haha. Xia Yanchun felt a surge of satisfaction. You are such a wicked woman, Shen Yin muttered under his breath. Feeling invigorated. Had this been at home, he would have retaliated by now. It was the classroom that saved Xia Yanchun. While a girl might slip her hand under a boy's clothing for playful mischief, a boy doing the same with a girl might find himself facing a week of confinement. Shen Yin fumed silently. As he watched Xia Yanchun seek out other girls to borrow a tissue, he stroked his chin thoughtfully. The classroom wasn't particularly cold. Yet why were Xia Yanchun's hands still so icy? In contrast, his limbs radiated warmth, and he never experienced cold hands or feet at night. It seemed he would have to endure some discomfort to keep Xia Yanchun's hands and feet warm while she slept tonight. He certainly could use his skills to help treat her frostbite, but Xia Yanchun would never allow him to hold her hand in such a public setting. Shen Yin was taken aback as a system task unexpectedly materialized before him. Trigger side quest, renowned reputation. As a distinguished adventurer, you are destined to be a role model for others. Please enhance your adventurer's prestige. Reward, 1,000 gold coins, survival skill, culinary mastery. Survival skill. The previous survival skill was fishing mastery, which is quite extraordinary, as Shen Yin is well aware. Fishing mastery allows fish to hook themselves without any struggle. So, culinary mastery means one could simply place 2 pieces of beef into the pot, and they would effortlessly transform into a dish. Chapter 171. Shen Yin often feels out of place with Dong due to his perceived lack of brilliance. The only issue at hand is the so-called reputation. Reputation should pertain to one's renown. If it were a game, there might be specific tasks for players to complete to enhance their reputation points. With a high enough reputation, one might enjoy slight discounts when purchasing items from NPCs. However, in reality, this seems rather implausible unless one becomes a celebrity of significant stature. Otherwise, discounts would not be granted without cause. The key lies in how to elevate one's visibility. Essentially, it involves exposing oneself to others, ensuring they remember you. As mealtime approached, Shen Yin pondered how to enhance his own visibility. His first thought was to manage a personal online account. With a growing number of followers, his fame would naturally increase. The internet requires not only skill but also a stroke of luck, and he happened to possess the title of Lucky Star. With a luck score of 5, which should pose no problem. If all else fails, he would resort to plan B, fishing in popular spots, aiming to catch 100 pounds of fish within 2 hours, thus becoming a legend among fishermen. Such feats would likely be remembered for a lifetime. Why aren't you eating? Shen Dong remarked, surprised to see Shen Yin lacking appetite. If you're not going to eat, could you pass the chicken chop to me? How audacious of you. Shen Yin snapped back to reality and quickly took a few bites of his meal. He then inquired of Shen Dong, do you have any methods to increase someone's visibility? What do you mean? Shen Dong responded, I mean, are there ways to enhance someone's fame? What is the purpose of that? Why do you want to increase someone's visibility? Not for me. I was just pondering this in the morning. Shen Dong understood, recalling that he had once asked Shen Yin why people eat with their mouths. When one finds themselves idle, it is easy to ponder foolish questions, and if answers elude them, they tend to linger in the mind. Enhancing visibility is quite simple. Shen Dong asserted, go on. You could go to the subway and shout, I am the dog of divine power. The entire carriage would remember you. Actually, shouting I am an idiot would yield the same effect. Would yelling that Shen Dong is an idiot truly have an impact? Here I am giving you advice, and you insult me. Just think, wouldn't that ensure everyone remembers you? Shen Yin often felt out of sync with Shen Dong due to his perceived lack of intelligence. After exchanging a few words, Shen Yin returned to the classroom. He ate quickly, while several girls in the class had not even begun their meal. By the time Xia Yanxun finished eating and returned, the lunchtime bell was about to ring. I'm freezing, Xia Yanxun muttered to herself. Upon seeing Shen Yin at the podium fiddling with the multimedia, she tucked her hands away and quietly approached. As soon as his hand reached toward Shen Yin's neck, he deftly sidestepped, evading her grasp. How childish, one would think, considering their ages. Shen Yin could hardly be bothered to glance at Xia Yanxun. He now possessed an aura reminiscent of a martial arts master from a film, capable of instantaneous reactions to ambushes, even evading them with his eyes closed. He felt entirely at ease dealing with such petty attacks, as long as his assailants were not true martial arts experts employing techniques to mask their movements. He could always sense their approach. Frustrated by her failed attempt, Xia Yanxun puffed up her cheeks, remarking on his earlier behavior that morning. So what? Shen Yin responded, opening a music app to listen to a couple of songs before sleeping. What shall I play? Anything, she replied nonchalantly. He nodded and let the music play. The melodies of Man Man Bo Bo, Hajime O, and South and North Green Beans filled the air. Now, this is real music, Xia Yanxun declared. After listening for a brief moment, the alarm rang, prompting Shen Yin to switch off the multimedia. With nothing else to occupy her, Xia Yanxun retrieved her small pillow early. Propping herself up, Shen Yin plopped down beside her, asking, shall I warm your hands? No, she retorted, hiding her hands away. Why do you have frostbite and pimples? He brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. Have you been staying up late recently? Xia Yanxun pouted, glancing into her small mirror and noticing a red mark concealed within her hair, not particularly painful or itchy, a deep-seated blemish. No, I'm not a deity. It's normal to have pimples. Aren't you a little fairy? And you're a shrimp-headed boy, she quipped. Shen Yin chuckled, his fingers gliding over her delicate skin before he withdrew. The healing touch did not require constant contact, as Xia Yanxun had learned during her previous ankle injury. Let me warm your hands. No, it tickles. It's the cold that makes it tickle. I'm just trying to help. With a deadpan expression, Xia Yanxun opted not to expose him, sitting up languidly and allowing him to do as he pleased. Shen Yin gathered her small hands, genuinely wishing to warm them and alleviate her frostbite. Is it warmed yet? No difference, she huffed, retracting her now warm hands. Are you going to sleep? Not yet. I'll secretly play on my phone for a bit. Are you cold? I can lend you my jacket. I'm not cold. Xia Yanxun nestled down softly, choosing to ignore him. It was surprisingly considerate of him, and she found herself a bit unaccustomed to it. In the afternoon, during physical education class, most students departed from the dormitory directly to the playground, with only a few girls stopping by for a drink. Shen Yin headed down with them. Just as they began to gather, during the run, they moved like turtles, heads tucked in, lacking energy, but thankfully the teacher was not overly strict. This time, Xia Yanxun also took a break, resting alongside the regular fixture Li Shiyin in the designated relaxation area. After completing their run, groups began to settle down to chat. Shen Dong had gone off to play badminton, and Shen Yin, initially seated with Ma Mingfan exchanging light banter, was just about to inquire if Ma Mingfan had any simple and reliable methods to enhance visibility when Liang Jing approached with 2 bottles of AD calcium. Liang Jing, true to her name, embodies tranquility. She speaks little during conversations, often listening quietly while others engage. Are you discussing games? Shen Yin glanced over but remained silent, allowing Ma Mingfan to speak first. No, where have you gotten to in the game? I saw some open-air iron mines yesterday, and they seemed entirely burned out. Does that mean we can venture into the caves if we craft iron armor? If you're afraid, then just make it, Ma Mingfan replied. Feeling a bit shy after only a few exchanges, having seldom conversed with girls, Liang Jing smiled, offering Ma Mingfan and Shen Yin some AD calcium. Would you like some? Is there any left for me? I have enough in my classroom. Shen Yin waved his hand dismissively, getting up with a stretch. Oh dear, this seed is killing my back. You all continue chatting. I'll play some badminton. Despite his humble demeanor, Shen Yin felt a sense of joy at seeing Ma Mingfan converse with a girl, concocting a flimsy excuse to excuse himself. Whether this interaction blossomed into something more remained uncertain. After all, they might merely be gaming partners, and it was none of his concern. Xia Yanxun was amidst a group of girls, while Shun Yin scratched his head, not daring to intrude. He opted instead to seek out Qindong for a game of badminton. The badminton court was conveniently located near the resting area, essentially a volleyball court that had been repurposed due to the lack of volleyball players. What brings you here? Aren't you the one who doesn't play sports? Qindong remarked with a puzzled expression upon seeing Shen Yin. Just giving it a try, Shen Yin replied. Here, take the racket. Qindong handed it to him. You continue playing. I'm freezing my lungs off in this winter chill. Just practice more. Shen Yin chuckled. You better hope to win. Chapter 172. My home, your home. Keeping you warm. Shen Yin wasn't entirely inept at badminton. He possessed the basic skills, having played a bit previously. However, to claim prowess would be a stretch. He could barely best a 7-year-old in town, let alone an 8-year-old who could easily defeat him. Apologies for not providing the little tyke with a thrilling match, he mused. Yet, times had changed. Now, the 18-year-old Shen Yin, with quick reflexes and formidable stamina, was ready to take on the challenge. He grasped the racket, swinging it a few times, the sound of air slicing through evident. Let us start a new game. Zheng Bu served a standard shot. Shen Yin received it cleanly, and, upon Zheng Bu's next return, struck it back with force. Whoosh. Before Zheng Bu could react, the shuttlecock had already landed. Qindong gaped in astonishment. You really can play? Are you truly a prodigy? Shen Yin cleared his throat. I'm just average. Zheng Bu, speechless, thought it absurd for such arrogance over just 1 point. Let us serve again. He planned his strategy to hit the shuttlecock towards the corners, aiming to make Shen Yin leap from side to side, exhausting his energy. Although this tactic was quite conventional, it easily ensnared players of their caliber. I Zheng Bu am not one to play unfairly. After consecutively scoring 2 points, he began to employ this tactic to lead Shen Yin astray. It became evident to him that Shen Yin's badminton skills were fundamentally rudimentary, lacking in finesse and relying solely on quick reflexes. Occasionally, when his calculations faltered, he could only barely return the shuttlecock, and any shot that was not a powerful smash was easily manageable. The lateral movements quickly consumed Shen Yin's stamina. He could not endure for long, and Zheng Bu felt assured of his dominance. Why aren't you exhausted, mate? Zheng Bu could hardly restrain himself. How long has this been going on? I'm completely worn out, brother. The longer they played, the more perplexing it became, despite Shen Yin's constant lateral shuffling. Zheng Bu found himself feeling fatigued. Seizing the opportunity, he executed a decisive smash, only to have it effortlessly returned by Shen Yin. Zheng Bu gazed at the shuttlecock soaring far beyond the court, lost in contemplation. What a pity. Shen Yin sighed. If that shot had landed, it would have felt more satisfying than any victory. It's akin to the exhilaration of battling for hours only to emerge slightly ahead. Unfortunately, I lost. I doubt I will sleep tonight. I must share a bed with Chuan Bao to find rest. Enough of this. Zheng Bu finally retrieved the shuttlecock, panting heavily. How could I, the one setting the pace, be the one worn down? Is this even reasonable? No skills in badminton. Yet I'm the one out of breath after all this running around. How does one even play against such an anomaly? Why stop? My energy is depleted. You truly are impressive. Shen Yin was bewildered. Having lost 2 consecutive points, how had he become the impressive one? Qindong, it's your turn. Let us have a showdown. I'm tired too. I've even got a runny nose. Alright then. However, he never truly enjoyed playing. It felt somewhat lackluster. Since they were no longer playing, he decided to seek out some girls to chat with instead. As the physical education class concluded, Shen Yin couldn't resist accompanying Qindong to the convenience store for a drink. The honor roll has been updated. Aren't you curious to take a look? Qindong remarked after taking a sip of iced tea. So soon? Let us go have a peek. The honor roll seemed to update around noon, and many students were gathered around during the break. Shen Yin maneuvered through the crowd and found himself on the front page of the special awards section. Motto of life, advertising space for rent, 5 yuan per day. Wouldn't the teachers in charge of the honor roll find that amusing? Some junior students also noticed this absurd motto and could hardly contain their laughter. This life motto is outrageous. It made me laugh so hard I almost lost 2 teeth. It seemed vaguely familiar, reminiscent of the watermelon incident during military training in the first year. That's rather appealing, he mused. 666. Getting business deals to appear on the school honor roll. The school could filter out mediocre students, but not the extraordinary. The higher the score, the more extraordinary individuals emerged. And the more extraordinary they became. Shen Yin's lips twitched in irritation. My proud entrepreneurial spirit has been labeled as extraordinary by you lot. A quintessential example of an android mentality. As the class bell rang, Shen Yin returned to the classroom just in time, discreetly hiding his drink behind him as he passed by Xia Yin Chuan, lest she comment on it. His furtive demeanor only drew more attention from Xia Yin Chuan, who immediately spotted the drink bottle in his hand. Why the need for pretense when purchasing beverages? Shen Yin was evasive, having played badminton for a while. He felt a bit parched. I noticed you were being toyed with by Zheng Bu. There's nothing to be done. I never was particularly skilled at it. And their play felt akin to fishing out of water. It's not that difficult. In my recollection, Shen Yin seldom engaged in sports, only occasionally partaking, struggling even against younger opponents. Previously, when he played with others, he was always relegated to collecting the shuttlecocks. Yet, you seem quite adept, managing to return so many shots. Primarily, Zheng Bu was being lenient. There were times when I could scarcely return his serves. Indeed, had I been in your place, you would have lost 10 times over. I'm giving you face. The racket just brushed your cheek. Humph. The teacher arrived shortly, prompting Shen Yin to cease his interaction with Xia Yin Chun. He used to follow her around, never having played much himself, only having engaged in a few matches with local children during middle school, and those were hardly successful. What if he were an extraordinary badminton prodigy? only to have his talents suppressed at the very age when they should have been showcased. Reduced to a mere shuttlecock collector by Xia Yin-chun? Chun Bao, you have truly done me a disservice. The biting cold wind swept in as the sun descended. Thick clouds following closely behind. Though it did not rain, the wind brought a palpable chill, significantly lowering the temperature compared to the daytime. With so many students in the classroom seeking warmth, they typically enjoyed stepping into the corridor for a breath of fresh air during breaks, but now they huddled within. During the final period of evening study, Shen Yin closed his textbook, stretching lazily on his chair. Maintaining a single position for an extended period was uncomfortable. In the adjacent space, Xia Yin-chun remained engrossed in her work, her small hand gripping the pen as she scribbled on her draft paper. When confronted with challenging questions, she would often balance the pen on her upper lip, shaking it back and forth like a little coin, adorably so. As class ended, it was evident that Xia Yin-chun was eager to return home, promptly urging Shen Yin to head downstairs. The cold wind made her tuck her chin in, seeking refuge beside him. Shen Yin instinctively brushed her hair back, noticing the faint pink hue on her earlobes, finding it amusing. Perhaps you should buy a pair of earmuffs. Your ears are turning red. I might browse Taobao when I get home. Shall I buy you a pair as well, offering you a discount? There's an additional service charge, so consider the extra as a gift. For 10 yuan, Qindong would call me dad for a day. Would you do the same for 10 yuan? Get lost. Xia Yin-chun huffed, playfully bumping her forehead against him, like a little calf. A gust of cold wind rustled the leaves by the roadside, slipping into her sleeves, rendering her unable to keep her eyes open. Suddenly, she realized how large Shen Yin appeared. Even though he was still shorter than her during middle school, Shen Yin glanced around, seeing no authority figures, and boldly wrapped one arm around Xia Yin-chun's neck, pulling her close. Is it truly that cold? If so, there's no alternative. Why not come to my room to warm the bed? Absolutely not. Then I shall go to your house to warm your bed. Chapter 173. Only thinking of his own pleasure? Xia Yin-chun remained silent, half of her face buried, subtly leaning against him. Her silence implied consent. Chun Bao, would you kindly leave the door ajar tonight? I said nothing. Do not let your imagination run wild. Well. Haki-chun, you rascal. Shen Yin smirked, wrapping his large hand around her delicate face, smooth and cool to the touch. Heaven knows how Xia Yin-chun manages to maintain such flawless skin. That's why he brought it up when he noticed her breaking out. It seems Xia Yin-chun seldom indulges in snacks. After her 3 daily meals, she primarily consumes water and adheres to a disciplined routine. Is this the secret behind her radiant complexion? They say late nights and stress can lead to breakouts. Shen Yin touched his own face. He had given up his late-night antics, brimming with vigor, completely unfamiliar with the concept of sleeplessness. His skin had indeed improved compared to before, with no traces of acne or even scars from past blemishes. Hiss. Shen Yin touched his face again. Is it possible that acne scars are a form of skin damage that, once triggered by a miraculous remedy, could be repaired? The legendary beauty master, indeed. Upon returning home, he found Shen Yu lounging on the sofa, engrossed in a television show. Why aren't you asleep at this hour? Shen Yin inquired, slipping off his shoes, feeling puzzled. I'll sleep after this episode. The house is a bit messy. Remember to clean up over the weekend, she replied lazily, munching on sunflower seeds. Some shells scattered haphazardly around the trash can. Your mother, picking your nose and flicking it. Do you believe that? My mother is not yours. And it's unselectable. Far too excessive. Shen Yin found himself at a loss for words. The burdens of one's origin. One's roots. The original sin. He grabbed some clothes and headed for a shower. The warm water cascading over him was pure bliss. The system task was completed while he bathed. Side quest, renowned reputation, completed, reward, 1,000 gold coins, survival skill, mastery of cooking. Shen Yin was momentarily bewildered. Bro, I'm just taking a shower. Why has the system settled the task for me? The previous fishing master task was also completed in an inexplicable manner. Are these survival skills bundled together? If you wish to distribute the rewards, just say so. There is no need for a task to be a mere formality. System, please. Don't let your infatuation be so blatant. Shen Yin was eager to try his newfound culinary mastery, but the hour was too late. As a high school student with a schedule filled from dawn till dusk, when would he have time to cook? He would have to wait until the weekend to experiment. If the maids at the cafe can magically make omelets delicious, why can't Shen Yin? Emerging from the bathroom, his hair still damp, he found the living room devoid of Shen Yu's presence, though the light in her room remained aglow. Shen Yin casually towel-dried his hair, lingering in his room until 11:30. He waited for Shen Yu's light to turn off before quietly taking the key to her house and stealthily slipping out. Such late-night rendezvous should remain undisclosed to Shen Yu. Otherwise, she would inquire whether he would return tonight, which would be rather awkward. Some matters must be approached with discretion. Caution is the key to longevity, Shen Yin pondered deeply. With a click, he opened Xia Yin-chun's door. The main light illuminated the room, filling the air with the fragrance of flowers. The girl, dressed in a simple floral nightgown, sat on the sofa drying her hair. Her gaze fixed intently on him as he entered. What brings you to my home at this hour? Do you have no sense of propriety? Xia Yin-chun murmured, her hair cascading down. Shen Yin closed the door behind him, retorting, I believe that is something you ought to say to yourself. I knew you would retort. She replied with a huff. You and my mother share quite a resemblance now. I have no qualms about you calling me mother. Shen Yin remarked, Haki-chun is beyond redemption. She aspires to be both an elder sister and a mother. What a contradiction. Ignoring her words, Shen Yin slipped into her room, where the fragrance was far subtler than the floral scent of the body wash and shampoo in the hall. Of course, Shen Yin was not a lecher, who would invade another space merely to sniff around. He typically preferred to embrace Xia Yin-chun and inhale her scent. On the bed lay some of the girl's clothing that she had yet to tidy up, which Shun Yin neatly folded and placed on her desk. The noise outside finally subsided as Xia Yin Chun entered with her hair down, her expression not particularly friendly, her hair still damp. Hee. Shin Yin patted the edge of the bed, inviting her to sit. I still wish to read for a while. I'm not going to sleep so early. It's still early, but it's nearly midnight. Don't be so wrapped up, Chun Bao. If you continue like this, how can I possibly excel in the exam? You. Xia Yin Chun shot him an embarrassed glare. In a huff, she switched off the bright light outside, closed the door, and pulled out a chair to sit at her desk. Because of what you just said, I am determined to learn something tonight. Oh, are you courting disaster? You'll end up dozing off in class tomorrow. So what if I do? Listening to the